What's going on, everybody?
Baby.
What's up, buddy? What's up, buddy? How are you?
Hey,
we don't know, right? I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that. We got a guy in the background, but I'm getting to that. This is the Functional Gentleman. We're your hosts, Roy Gravis, Bucky Pender. Back there at Producer's Corner, we got Juan Kanika, the good brother himself, and we have very, very, very special guest, Mike Wright with Longhorn Liquor, ladies and gentlemen.
It is so great to
Hit
have
the
you on,
applause
buddy.
button on the thing, if you don't mind. We need to give this man a round of applause. Sometime, yes. There you go.
There we go.
There's your clapper.
There it is.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
How are you, sir, is the question.
Yeah, nice crowd.
Yeah, live studio audience.
Yeah, live studio audience coming to you live. Fantastic. So, like I said, this is the
Come on,
Functional Gentleman. We've all had good weeks, I'm assuming.
Yes,
Mine's
yes,
been a little
been-
hectic. I know yours
It's
is
been
hectic.
hectic, man.
You're okay.
We've been getting ready for
How's your
you.
week?
Yeah, it's been one of those.
Nice.
Hectic, yeah. We got a lot going on.
I bet.
Very much. Yeah, because y'all are in crunch time for the Southeast Texas Whiskey Fest because you're less than a month out.
Less than a month. It is, you know, you start planning something. This probably started back in April, I would say, somewhere around there. Maybe even slightly before that. And me and Mike were having a conversation, my boss, and I'd gone to Whiskey Social last year over in Houston.
Yeah.
And, you know, and Mike and Dennis, the owners of Longhorn, had already had this idea going through their head, and COVID had kind of put a kibosh on those plans. And so it's conversation started, and you tell those two guys something, and they get the wheels rolling in their head, and it's on a fast train, man. And they nailed it and put it together, and luckily they let me help.
That's so nice of them.
Yeah, that was awesome to be included in that, and yeah, now getting down to crunch time, super excited. I think
We're super excited.
We're excited about it, and we'll dive a little bit more into that. Let's knock out some
stuff.
some stuff first.
We got the smoke of the week this week.
Smoke of the week.
Smoke of the week this week is the Drew Estates M81 Blackened. This is the collaboration that Drew Estates did with Blackened Whiskey, which is the Metallica whiskey, as we all know.
Yeah.
So this is a really good stick. It is a Mexican San Andreas wrapper with a Connecticut broadleaf binder and a Nicaraguan Pennsylvanian broadleaf Ligero filler. So it's from all over the place. It ranges between $9 and $10 a stick. Not too bad on the price. Like I said, my wheelhouse
Especially
is
with it
normally
being
at
a
6 to 9.
collaborative effort.
Yes, because you
between
always worry with collabs
always
if they're
gonna
going to
be
be
expensive.
super high price or
Right.
they're super.
It's kind of like celebrity whiskey. It's always a little
Exactly,
overpriced.
very much like celebrity whiskey. So, like I said, this one actually hadn't been out on the market long. It was released September 29th of 2022.
Oh, wow.
So not that far off. I got these from my good friend Ryan
Yes.
McGee, our good friend Ryan
Shout out
McGee.
Ryan
So shout
for
out to
this
him.
one.
I'm excited about this one because I love everything Drew Estates, just like
Yes.
I have a love affair with Alec Bradley.
I may not smoke the whole thing, but I'm going to at least try it.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you.
Would you like one?
Would you like one?
sure.
Yeah.
I've had it.
Getting all into it, I love the fact that they're double banded.
So this is a 7x50 Corona.
It is
Doble.
7x50 double Corona.
So did they blast music while the tobacco was growing?
You know, I wondered that because that's how they do the whiskey. They kind of
Right.
they do a playlist around it, and I get that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some kind of
So-
gimmick around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good there. Oh, dang it. I forgot to bring the trash can in. We got a brand new trash can, and I forgot to bring
It's
it
fine.
in. Go ahead.
Oh, after you. There's an additional lighter. That's the single. I'm going to roll with the triple just because I'm super bad. I got soul too while I'm at it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I got soul and I'm super
Do
bad.
you have soul?
I feel like I got a little bit, not a whole lot. But like I said, on the first light, it's got a real good aroma to it. I love the
Oh,
aroma.
that's a little burnt.
A
Toasted.
little bit, yeah.
Ooh, I think this one needs some fluid. What do you think, buddy? I've heard it's super bold.
Is there a trick to this thing here? It's a great start. There we go. That helps.
And,
You
to,
think that
and to
helps?
think they have a humidor in their store.
Yeah.
No, we've talked. It's
So how
really
often do
good.
you smoke cigars?
Not
Month
more
and
than
all.
once a month.
So,
All right,
so
well,
you're meeting your
this is it.
quota. I like it.
This lighter is
Use the triple jet.
great, by the way.
Use the triple.
I'm pretty sure my finger's burnt already.
Use the triple. Oh, that's got good pepper on it. Very spicy. I like it. Very spicy. Fantastic. That's a good wrapper, though. That's a good looking wrapper.
Yeah,
Wrapper's real good.
it's really long.
It really is very long. It's very, very long. Yes, indeed. It's very long. That's what she said. Yes, we can all make sophomore humor jokes
Okay,
about it.
yeah.
But I like it so far. Like I said, I get a little bit of the whiskey in it. You can tell they've kind of like, I think what they did with this, if I remember correctly by reading, they kind of did the same thing that Schwarzenegger does with his.
Mm-hmm.
They took the blackened and brushed it
Oh, really?
and then sealed it.
Huh.
So that's why you kind of get that real
That's
faint.
interesting.
Well, I mean, like we said before, Schwarzenegger's the one that started that whole thing.
Right.
So, but this one is
Nice.
that's very good.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got back there, John?
John has a Fat Bottom Betty by Deadwood
yeah?
Cigars, which is also a Drew Estate brand.
Yes, it is.
So
I like this.
kudos to him. You like the sweetness
Super
on the
sweet,
yeah,
yeah.
the sweet. That's the Drew Estate's trademark with his stuff. He likes to dip the caps in different honey type
Yes.
things, and it makes them very sweet.
Yeah.
Because the funny thing about Drew Estates, he got started with his acid Kubas, which you guys saw at
Yeah.
your humidor. They're in every humidor that you got really. Because I've been to quite a few of them.
No.
Yeah, I've been to Beaumont's. Beaumont's is I like Beaumont's. Beaumont's has got a good setup on theirs. Lumberton's is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How much do, maybe you know, maybe you don't know, how much control do y'all have over what cigars y'all carry in the humidor?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's available through, one of our distributors, then, pretty much free range. I mean, one thing we always try to do is aim to please the customer. So at Lumberton, you'll see we have a request list that,
Oh, okay.
a little pad there with a pen where people can tell me what they're
Right.
looking for. And, if I have access to it and I believe it's something that I'm going to get enough movement on, then, definitely bring it in.
Is there typically a minimum? Is it like a one box minimum, or is it a?
For like when we're ordering?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
yeah.
If I went in, because if I go in, you're obviously not going to just order one blackened.
No.
no,
Yeah. We
order
buy the box.
By the box.
Yeah, some,
Which most boxes are 20 to
Right.
20 to 25 sticks.
20, 25. We get some that come, trying to think of which brand it was. They come in the kind of the big cube boxes.
That's probably more like the factory smokes by Drew Estate, stuff like that.
Yeah.
They come in like the cellophane bricks almost.
There's a particular company, though, they make like the barber pole. They're massive. They're big cigars. I think there's like 30 of them in there. Asylum.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Asylum makes a barber. Well, Asylum makes a barber pole. You're kind of the Swamp
there's a-
Thing's the barber pole.
Yeah.
You're kind of a big fan of that because it's
Yeah.
a Kentucky Fire Cured Milwaukee
No,
wrapper.
Yeah, so we carry some Kentucky Fire Cured
Yeah,
stuff too.
I know.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah,
That's definitely one of my favorite smokes.
So-
is the fire cured.
Great story. I mean, what brought me to bring that one in was a customer.
Oh, really?
We got some
Nice.
ladies that live there behind the store that are really into cigars, and she
Okay.
came in and asked if I could get some of those KFCs in, and I think it's
He's not
just a
talking about
friend.
the chicken place.
Yeah,
Not
not
the
the chicken
I got
place.
excited.
Yeah,
In fact, I got hungry.
chicken.
No, but that's really cool.
Yeah. So she had requested, I think, it's just a friend.
Yeah.
So we brought those in, and they've been popular. Yeah.
Okay,
so-
well that
You've
leads to a
had the
question.
actual sweet chunky
Yes.
by them.
Yes,
So that's a
that
good one,
one's
too.
that one's way different because
Yeah.
it's sweet, it's smoky, it's really weird. But they're just the regular Kentucky Fire Cured is one of my favorite smokes. You said a couple of women live. Are there a lot of women cigar smokers that come in and shop with y'all, or is it?
I
Kind
mean,
of
it's
a
definitely
split, or-
predominantly men.
Right. Because we talk about the women of whiskey all the time.
Yes.
Because it's an up and coming thing. I know there's always been women in whiskey, but I mean that kind of leads to another side of it. Is there a lot of on the female side that you see with cigars?
No.
Predominantly.
I mean,
It's
predominantly
predominantly
men,
a guy
but-
thing. I mean, you've got a few of them out there like Stogie Chick, she's really good. Cigar Vixen, she's really good with all her reviews and stuff. They're both big on YouTube.
Yeah.
And of course, it helps too that they're easy on the eyes
And-
as well. So,
yeah.
I mean,
And I know, like, Stephanie and my wife,
Yes.
they'll sit and smoke, like, the almost like a cigarillo or something. But
Yeah.
they're smaller, they're sweet. I know Dana likes some of the, like, the Sweet Jane.
yeah, the Sweet Janes and
All
stuff like
those.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, we started bringing in the Baby Janes.
Yeah, the Baby Janes
Yeah,
are- yeah,
those have
they're
been super popular.
About like
the
that.
tins.
Yeah.
About like that.
Yeah, like 10 to a little 10.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good way. You can keep them in your purse that way.
Right?
Great.
Yeah.
Break them out at any
Oh
event.
yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, so that's pretty much covers the smoke of the week for us. Like I said, it's a good one. I enjoyed it. I was kind of super looking forward to this one, so it did not disappoint me at all. Which
No, it's got it. I think
I like.
I find a lot of bitter cocoa in it. I like, and I kind of like that. It's not as much cedar woody as much as it is for me, at least, like bitter cocoa.
You would like this one, sir. It's not cedar. John has a cedar allergy. That's why we
okay,
mess with him
gotcha.
about the whole cedar thing.
Yeah.
We got to watch what cigars he smokes, and it's a safety thing all the time. Safety issue.
Yeah, safety
But-
first.
So, do we want to dive into what I hope is?
Somewhat okay.
I don't know, man. I was nervous about this one.
I
I'm
know.
not gonna lie.
I'm really nervous about it. I'm not gonna
I
lie to
saw
you.
it. It intrigued me because I know this particular company got famous by making vodka. So
Yes.
that's always a thing when you have them make one thing and they try to gravitate to something else. But just in case
Yeah.
you guys are following at home, this is Western Sun's
Yes.
Texas Bourbon Whiskey Single Barrel,
See.
which is from batch number 26, bottle number 42. So
It
we
has
have that going for us.
45% ABV.
Yes, it
Which
is.
equates to 90 proof.
Yes, it does.
So that's kind of something. That's first off, I thought that was kind of weird that they're proofing down a single barrel, which kind of tells me that they're trying to get the most out of it.
Most bang for your buck,
Right.
yeah. But you want to
Yeah.
tell you the crazy thing about this? So in the video I posted this morning from my cab of my work truck,
Yes.
all I did was name the city, and our fans are
Yeah.
super intelligent. So instantly,
He
somebody's
immediately
like,
got it.
"We know
Western
what we know what you got." And I'm like,
But
so much for that. But
So-
yeah, I'm like I said, I'm kind of nervous, but I'm also kind of. So this is a Texas bourbon whiskey, supposedly from Pilot Point, Texas, which is just north of Dallas.
yeah, correct.
Okay.
So
And you see quite a few of single barrels throughout some of the bigger distilleries through Kentucky
Right.
that proof quite a bit of them down.
Yeah, and-
Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit, that's proof down to 101.
Right.
Yeah, I mean Weller single barrel, which
Yeah.
is not easy to find.
No,
but
the one thing I do
Yeah.
love about this label, I'm not gonna lie to you, they are super transparent with it. They put the mash bill on it.
Yeah, they've got
they
everything
tell
right
you what
there.
kind of char they run it through. They tell you what kind of malted barley, which they
Yeah.
use a 2-row malted barley, which is interesting to me.
And it
So-
sounds interesting, but 2-row malted barley is actually your standard barley.
Right. Yeah, it's
good.
pretty
You're good.
standard. I get that.
So, and you might know a little bit more about this, and
Well,
because so here
I would
to me,
hope he would know more about
well,
it.
no,
He's-
to me, so what I found really weird whenever I started looking at the bottle that you sent, and then I
Right.
started doing a little bit of research because obviously I don't know anything about Western Sun
I don't either.
whiskey. Something I found strange was there's no kind of age statement anywhere,
no.
but from what I understand about calling it bourbon, so it doesn't say straight, which means it's less than 2 years.
Right.
But from what I understand, anything less than 4 years old is required to have an age statement on it. Or am I mistaken on that?
I thought it was less than 2 years was the required age statement.
And you may
but
be
we
right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Yeah, let me
I
look
made
at that.
I made a few notes.
We'll let you examine that, sir.
What I wrote down is I can't find anything anywhere that gives any clue to any kind of age. Not saying straight on the bottle tells me it's got to be less than 2 years old, but also there's nothing on the bottle which is a requirement at less than 4 years old.
So, yeah, I'm not super up to date on the TTB.
Right.
You know, on the, I thought it was 2 years. Yeah, that's interesting.
So
No
that
idea
kinda,
how.
That kind of worries me a little
I
bit.
don't know, dude.
You
Like I
know,
said,
like if it's in Texas, it's you know, we're kind of known for having younger whiskey,
Right.
Which you know is due to the climate
Yes,
that we're
for
aging
sure.
in.
Of course.
So, do you mind
No, I don't.
MSRP on that bottle?
I walked out at $45.
Okay.
That's
So
tax and all.
39,
That's
$39.99?
roughly, yes,
give or take?
$39.99 ish
Yeah.
MSRP.
Okay.
So that's what I walked out with it at. It was right at, like I said, tax and all, right at $45.
I mean, I can tell you, it piqued my interest when you sent me the picture.
It piqued my interest when I saw it on the
Because I
shelf.
had no idea that they even
I was
did
like,
whiskey.
What is
Yeah,
that?
I've never had it. I knew they had gotten to the whiskey game.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, my buying habits here of late, you know, I got into bourbon super early and then kind of started going into a different direction.
Gotcha.
So not buying a whole lot of bourbon at this point, more on the single malts. But something I've never had, I'm definitely interested in
say-
giving it a taste.
Crack it?
Let's hear that beautiful sound.
Yeah.
Let's see what it does. It's a good one for a
It's a good pop.
synthetic cork.
Synthetic cork.
Synthetic
Nice
cork.
pop.
Yeah. Can you hand me a
I most certainly can.
Glencairn?
There's one.
I will take you a Glencairn.
Move that one.
Light pour for whoever.
I'll just pass it around the table.
That'll work.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
That would be yours. Yes. You got comments on there?
Via the website,
Uh-huh.
it shows that a bottle that does not have the age on the bottle has to be at least 2 years.
So it's at least a 2-year-old
Yeah.
whiskey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes me feel somewhat okay.
Yeah.
But just to run down a little bit while you guys are wafting and sniffing
Yes.
and all that, the mash bill on this little darling is 68% Texas and Midwestern corn, 22% Canadian rye, and finally complemented with a 10% mixture of 2-row malted barley. The mash is fermented and then distilled in a 600-gallon copper pot still. It's run through a new American white oak barrel that is a level 3 char.
Okay.
Where was that? This is another thing that interests me. Upon maturity, each barrel was blended with Texas aquifer water.
Aquifer?
Yes,
Aquifer?
aquifer, and filled into a specially numbered bottle. Each bottle. Where am I at? Oh yeah. So basically, each bottle was handcrafted. The notes, which I love the fact that, like I said, I love the fact they're super transparent. They tell you everything on the bottle. So according to this, let's see, the entire process of milling, mashing, fermenting, distilling, barreling, aging, blending, and filling each barrel carefully crafted by Western Sun single barrel bourbon whiskey that desires a mixture of dark cocoa, caramel, honey, and vanilla notes, and they take pride in every drop. And the barrel size that this one actually came out was a 30-gallon barrel, because it says that on the back as well. You got the 15 and the 30, and they checked the 30 box. So
So
Which is
ki-
smaller.
Yeah. It almost tastes flat. Like a flat cola
yeah.
almost. But
the nose is not.
So
It's not bad.
I've used that term exactly before, flat cola, and it kind of sounds negative in connotation when you say it.
Right.
But one of my favorite whiskey brands, I get that on, and that's Garrison Brothers.
yeah.
So it's interesting, you know, both Texas, you
Yeah.
know.
They are both
sweet.
Texas.
It's super sweet.
That's sweet.
to me.
I get a very, like, a tea
Super
note.
sweet. Yeah.
Like,
Sweet. Almost.
yeah,
can
almost
see
like
that.
yeah.
Sweet tea almost.
Almost like a
Interesting.
tea that you sweeten with artificial sugar, like
Yeah.
Sweet and Low or something.
Yeah.
You know.
I kind of get. This is gonna sound really.
It's not. I mean,
cornbread.
I could see where you could get. I'd see where you get a little bit of corn, like almost sweet cornbread. I could see where you would get the sweet cornbread from, like my wife's favorite
Like
cornbread that
honey
she likes to
cornbread
do,
or
like the
something.
Jiffy Mix. It's sweet cornbread.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
get
honey.
that.
I like the honey cornbread.
And I'm kind of wondering if it's a little bit of that youth.
Yeah,
It's got that
Yeah.
young craft whiskey kind of.
for sure. Yeah, which I don't think.
It's not terrible.
I think
No,
so
I
many
mean,
people.
it's all honesty. I mean, you and I talked yesterday,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh God, I'm so
I know.
worried about this." We got Mike Wright
What are
on.
you
What is he
bringing?
gonna think?
Oh.
What are you doing? And I'm like, "Trust the process, bro. Trust the process. It's not gonna be terrible." Which I stand by my statement. I said pre-show, this is better than Redneck
Redneck
Riviera
Riviera.
by far.
But
I like this better.
What are
Yeah,
you saying?
this is way better than Redneck Riviera.
Yes, way better.
Yeah, for
That was
sure.
that was our first
But
dabble
it's-
into celebrity whiskeys,
It's
quote
definitely.
unquote.
and I'll go back to that flat cola thing. It's very, very front of the palate.
Yeah.
As soon as you hit, that's the flat, and then you kind of get that artificial flavoring, sweet tea,
Yeah.
and then it's kind of that honey cornbread, a little bit
Yeah.
of dryness on the finish.
I could see you using this as a quote unquote mixture, like a
It is-
mixer,
there's,
more or less.
There's no length to the finish.
No,
Yeah.
no. There's no length
It
whatsoever.
dissipates really quick.
Yeah.
You could, man, I would sip this. I have
Yeah.
no problem
I
sipping
mean,
it.
I mean,
yeah.
it's-
No, I mean for a
Like-
$37 to $39 bottle,
Yeah.
I
Not
mean,
bad.
I mean, 90 proofs usually a
Right.
little low
Yeah.
And it,
for
yeah.
what I'm usually gravitating towards,
Yeah,
but
you and me both, but I was trying
Yeah.
to, like I said, it piqued my interest because I know this particular company is known for their vodkas. That's
Yeah.
what they.
well, you did a good job because at this point,
Well, thank
there's
you.
probably not a whole lot of bottles that you could pick that I hadn't had before.
Yeah,
So,
see? Look
yeah.
at there.
Yes.
We got one he hadn't tried yet.
Hey, where's that
Fantastic.
round of applause drop?
Yeah. Drop the button.
There we go.
Hey, y'all.
Fantastic. Oh, the Yam's watching. Nice.
Mom is watching.
Right nose bourbon. Fantastic. Yes. Yes.
Does
You
he?
don't say.
Does he? So he was a good choice for a guest.
Nice. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's my buddy Patrick.
I see that.
Yeah,
I see
he's a good
that.
one. He's a good guy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well,
So,
I'm kind of surprised that I found something that you haven't tried.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was
And
the other
especially
thing that was
Texas,
kind of
because that's the other thing I gravitate towards now
Texas.
is a lot of
Yeah.
Texas
Oh,
whiskeys. And
it's noted ad nauseum my love affair with Balcones on this podcast. I love Balcones.
well, then you're in for a treat.
Oh, fantastic. I love when people tell me that.
Yes, you were in for a treat.
Fantastic. You want to dive into your Advent
Yes.
calendar? Because I see you got the bottles out.
John,
Oh, yeah.
can you do me a favor? Can you record on here too?
Oh,
We're
yeah,
gonna
'cause
do a
he's gotta
double
do the
recording.
TikTok.
So
Yeah.
just keep it up and down because it's got to be a long
Long
video.
format.
All right.
Nice. So TikTok's going to see a
Yeah,
behind
so
the
we're
scenes
gonna
look
see a
because they're
little
going
bit
to
of
see
a
the actual
yeah.
green
They're
screen
gonna see a green
itself.
screen. They're going to see a little bit of behind the scenes.
Nice.
Are you going? All right. So this is
Fantastic.
day 9 of the 25 Days of Whiskey Advent
Nice.
calendar, made by myself and my wife. She's the only one that knows. Real quick, I do want to say that last night's was. Dang it, I don't even remember now. I can't remember. Dang it.
Let me guess.
Oh, God, if you get it right, you really do know bourbon.
Last night's, I think you said was.
Well, so it's a bourbon.
Oh,
Are they all bourbons?
Well, they're all whiskey.
Okay.
I watched it and I
Here you
can't
go,
even
sir.
remember what you said. I'll just take mine.
You don't have to. Yeah, you can drink it straight out the
I'll
bottle.
take
They
mine
are
out the
clean.
bottle. It's going to be hard to smell out of this little hole, though.
I'm gonna introduce you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Yes.
Look at you.
We've got Mike Wright from Longhorn Liquor and Roy Gravis, partner in crime.
Fantastic.
So this is interesting.
It's very interesting. I like that.
What's the first one y'all put?
Oh, I know exactly what that is.
Oh, do you?
Oh, where, is it this one?
Yes, in the bottle.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I know exactly what that one is. Only because I requested this one, sort of, from my wife
Okay.
It's
Don't
good.
give it away.
when she bought it. When she bought it, I requested it.
Okay.
Sort of, kind of, in a sense.
I feel like this is like a Garrison Brothers honey type thing, maybe.
Okay. I like ours.
He's like, I like Garrison's. I mean, am I close?
No.
Okay.
I didn't want to give anything away. I'm going to let him. I bet this is something you've never had. I want to know your initial thoughts on it.
It's low
Low
proof.
proof, for sure.
Yeah. Is this even 90?
I don't remember what the proof is.
Okay.
It's less than 90.
That's a sophisticated palate in action right there, ladies and gentlemen. He's like, it's less than 90.
Yeah,
I
know
love it.
I know exactly what it is.
Okay.
Is it less than 90? Or do I just look like an asshole?
No, it's less. It's less than 90. I'm pretty sure it's less than 90.
Well, it's good. I'll give you that.
And my wife is watching, so she'll confirm whenever I say it. But if y'all, like I said, I don't think either one of y'all have ever had this. Just because I don't think it's anywhere around here.
Okay.
I don't get a lot off of it. I mean, it's not offensive.
It's
for
not
sure.
offensive.
No, it's very,
It's very,
mellow.
like, people use this word, smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a.
It's not harsh.
Yeah.
It's,
It's very mellow.
Very easy.
Yes.
to
Very
drink.
mellow.
Very approachable.
Right.
I like that word.
So and tell me if I'm wrong, but this is actually Tim Smith's Southern Reserve.
Okay.
You know Tim Smith from Moonshiners?
Yes.
Okay.
This is I'm pretty sure this is his Southern Reserve, and he actually ages it rapidly.
Okay.
So they do the rapid aging where they
Okay.
stick it in a big thing and throw some wood cubes and
Yeah,
stuff in
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Rapid age it, and then he puts it out.
I like it.
It's 90
It's
proof.
90 proof. Okay.
Oh, okay.
But go ahead. If I'm wrong, tell me now, because I'd like to know.
Is he wrong? I'm curious. Are you wrong? Because
I enjoy this one.
I feel it's
It's a good sipper for me.
It is a very good sipper. I feel
Yeah.
like it's
There's no
very
harshness
good.
about
No,
it.
it's
There's
not harsh at
no.
all.
There's nothing, like you said. There's
No.
nothing offensive about
You're
it.
correct.
Ka-chow!
Yeah,
You can
that
go
is
ahead and-
correct.
But yeah, it's got his moonshine.
Interesting.
In it.
Are we
Yeah,
good?
you're good.
Yeah, you can get in that.
And like I said, I'll edit it because you got to get down to 3 minutes, so I'll figure out how to.
Oh yeah, that's the
that
thing
way.
about TikTok. You got to get down to 3
Yeah.
minutes.
It was like
Oh, okay, perfect.
2:37. I was
Nice.
counting.
Oh yeah, were you? So do you do anything on or does Longhorn do anything on TikTok, or you have? Are you
No,
on
I've
it,
never
or-
gotten into TikTok.
Well, this is our TikTok expert.
I wouldn't go that far.
I'm in my infancy with TikTok. So
Yeah, my kids are on it. I
Okay.
know that. Yeah.
Okay.
Never messed with it. We do mainly Facebook.
Right.
Okay.
That's really what I'm on.
I got you.
I do have a on Twitter, but yeah, I think we mainly do Facebook.
Okay.
There may be an Instagram account that I'm not aware of because I'm not on Instagram.
nice.
And for those of you that aren't following you on Facebook, you can just search Longhorn Liquor.
Yeah,
Is there
Long-
one generic?
well,
Right knows time. So he knows bourbon and he knows time. Fantastic.
Is there anything he doesn't know?
What
let's
does he
let's
not
cover that.
know, Patrick Bell? What does he not know?
I paid Patrick to.
Is that
jump
what you
into
did?
that,
I knew it. Look, live studio
yeah.
audience.
Oh man, they're great. So what was the question?
Oh, so on Facebook, is there?
Yeah,
how do they find you?
I would say the main account to find first would be Longhorn Liquor because when we do store pick drops,
Right.
anything news coming into the store that we want to get out there and share with our customers, that's the first place that it goes.
Yeah.
And so other than that, I wouldn't be hard to find. I'm part of most of the bourbon and whiskey groups, whether they're based out of Houston or Southeast Texas.
Okay.
But Michael
Okay.
Wright, you know,
Okay.
pretty easy. I think my Facebook photo's a picture of
Your
one of
whis-
my bars.
Yeah, one of your shelves. Yeah, I saw it.
So yeah. That was my Balcones collection
was it?
for that, and
Okay.
it's grown since then
I
for
love
sure.
Balcones.
Oh yeah, it's
I love Balcones.
Yes.
Those guys
we
are
could do a
way
3-hour podcast on Balcones
Nice.
alone.
I wouldn't be mad about that.
No, I wouldn't
And
either.
What's
Yeah.
fun about it is you could literally sit and drink a different expression every time for that entire 3 hours.
Yeah, it's funny. I've got a lot of whiskey at my house,
You don't say.
and
Did you steal it?
no, never.
The bourbon heist.
But if I have 300 bottles, 150 of those I'll probably never go back to because now I've just honed so much in on American single malt Scotch. I do like bourbon, and I do, still drink some occasionally. I brought some that are some of my favorites.
Nice.
Yeah, it's I've got these guys at work now that I've hired, and great guys, and they're getting into whiskey. They know my passion about it. One of them's he comes from a wine background.
Okay.
And so
He's the
he's
bald-headed guy in Lumberton. I've met that dude.
James, yeah.
I know
he's-
exactly.
Bald-headed dude.
Yeah, he's kind of tall, glasses, bald-headed.
Yeah.
The one that's in there most of the time?
Yes, in
Yeah.
Lumberton.
Yeah,
Yes.
in Lumberton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I talk to him every time I walk in.
Yeah.
He started making fun of me.
You have a question?
What is pickleball?
What is
Pickleball.
Oh, is there a story behind
He
that?
doesn't know about
much about pickleball? Or is he just randomly naming
Isn't
things now?
pickleball the
I think so.
ladder golf
Yeah, I
game
think
or something
so.
like that?
Something along those
your
lines.
guess is as good as
Why is
mine.
Patrick
See?
throwing me off?
I don't
I
know.
did not pay him to do that.
Dang, I done lost track. See, that's my ADHD kicking in. I don't even know where we were
Yeah.
anymore.
I love it.
But yeah, anyways,
Yeah.
we were talking about Balcones, whatever.
Yes.
Texas whiskey.
Nice.
I'm very glad that you picked that one. I always love to try something different and something new. And so, not bad at all.
I'm glad to know that it wasn't as
that's what I
terrible
was
as what I
saying.
was thinking in my
'cause
head.
That reminded me because I'll walk in and he started recognizing me now, and he'll be like, "You just gonna pick up a couple bottles,
Yeah.
and put them back down?"
Yeah.
That's not
Yeah.
funny.
James said that.
Because I'll walk in and I'll grab a bottle I'm thinking about getting, and I'll walk around a little bit and I'll see another one. I'll look at y'all's little end cap of the some of the nicer stuff, store picks or whatever.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, "You gonna put that one down yet?" I don't know. Leave me alone.
So I've been some of those bottles that I don't think I'll ever go back to as they're starting their journey into whiskey. I brought them a box and just like, here, dig through it. Y'all fight
Do what you
over
want
it.
to do.
Do what you want to do. You know, try something different.
He pulled a whole Thunderdome thing in the middle of his in Lumberton.
Your turn.
2 men enter, 1 man leave.
But
That's awesome.
yeah, that's one of my. You know, I had people that were instrumental when I first got into whiskey and kind of guided me and piquing my interest and teaching me.
Right.
And so try to do that. And I don't know. I like whiskey. It's the community is probably my favorite part. And so,
Well, I'm glad you mentioned. Yeah, the community is definitely the biggest.
Yeah.
That's been my greatest asset in this journey. Is just the community on Facebook, on TikTok. Once I got on TikTok, because my initial thought was TikTok's all about dancing teenagers, right? Because everybody saw the dances.
I thought it was a Chinese spine on the
right. And that we heard a bunch of that too.
Yeah.
That was all over the place.
Yeah.
It was either that or dancing teenagers. But once you get into it and it really curates to what you're into, the community there was awesome. I mention him on the show all the time. That one dude Ryan has been awesome, and he's been instrumental. And he's giant. I mean, he's got like 100,000 followers or whatever it is.
Where's he out of?
Florida.
Okay, there was a guy that came through one day in Lumberton videoing on TikTok.
I like where Patrick's going with this. It was more.
There can only be one.
So when I made the Thunderdome reference, he
Right.
pulled Highlander
He went
reference.
Highlander.
Okay,
But
That man needs an applause for that.
So-
Anybody that's got the Highlander reference going on is good.
there was a
That's
guy
the next
video.
level.
You said there was a
yeah,
guy
a
video.
guy came through. I think he was from Lake Charles.
Oh, really?
And said, I mean, I don't know, pretty good following. I
Yeah.
thought, 50,000, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, but just doing. I guess that was his stick, was going through the bourbon aisles and looking at different things. So
Nice.
That
But-
one dude Ryan, his stick is he calls it slams and sips.
Yeah.
So he grabs the bottle and he slams it down on the table.
Yes.
He grabs his glass, slams it down on the table.
I'd be afraid to do that with my
But-
Glencairn. I'm afraid of
Well, and they've actually got it's a glass called Wisdom.
Okay.
Whiskey Wisdom glasses.
Okay.
And they've got the thick bottom like a rocks glass.
Gotcha.
And then it does the tulip shape. So
Okay.
then it does the same thing as a Glencairn, but it's got a lot thicker bottom. So he's able to slam it.
Nice.
But that's his whole stick is slams and sips.
yeah,
But
Fantastic.
his knowledge is awesome. He goes live every Tuesday and does Talk Whiskey to me.
oh wow,
So I'm always on there, and his wife is always kind of in the background talking and curating.
yeah.
And it's fun to go back and forth with them because they're very interactive. But it's been awesome. Just the community as a whole, joining Southeast Texas bourbon scene 2.0.
Yes, those guys.
All of them, they've been open arms and just you join the group and it's like you've been there for years.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
But yeah, the community and sitting around whenever we go to Ryan's house, I mean, we talk about it all the time.
Yes.
Just being able to sit and talk to other people that enjoy it. That's one of the best parts about getting into whiskey for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, especially since I've started at Longhorn, the amount of people I've met that have become close personal friends, I'm very blessed.
Yeah.
For sure,
for the
yeah.
circle of friends I have, and my wife, she has gotten into whiskey. Not as
Really?
much. She likes wine more, but
Yeah.
she'll sit there and drink 130 proof whiskey
Really?
neat. And
Nice.
yeah,
That's impressive.
yeah,
That's very
impressive. Yeah, so, but I guess if you live with me, you gotta have to.
you're
Yeah,
gonna have to.
it kind of comes
Look,
natural.
You're gonna have to do it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do it. So,
So, if y'all don't mind, I mean, I'd kind of like to dive into a little bit of business first.
Dive into whatever
Okay.
you got to dive into, bro.
So, I've got a few questions on the business end of it.
okay,
So, we're all here to talk about Southeast Texas Whiskey Festival.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
But first, I kind of want to do a little bit of what I like to call whenever we have guests or we go to distilleries, is a little bit of your origin story.
Okay,
So, how did you get into whiskey, and then how did that evolve into you getting in with Longhorn Liquor? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you've said it multiple times. You live in Nederland. Mm-hmm. How did you end up at and mainly the Lumberton location? 'Cause I run into you all the time. We talk
Yeah.
pretty regularly whenever I'm in there. that's where we see you at.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious of just how it all kind of played out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I probably around the age of 29 I worked for the post office for first 10 years. Got on with them very early.
Not a bad gig.
19 years old, 19, 20. And did that and decided I wanted to do something for myself and started a catering business with the help of one good buddy of mine that was a pharmaceutical rep.
Okay.
And so he started throwing, these pharmaceutical reps going to doctors' offices, feeding their staffs, and he got me on with a couple people, that were doing the same thing he was, and just started building that business.
Nice.
And slowly built it, and kept it I didn't want to get huge. And,
So are you a pretty good cook?
Yeah.
I gotta ask because I fancy myself a pretty good cook.
He's the better cook out of the two of us by far.
Yeah.
I have no problem admitting that.
I've
He's the better cook.
Yeah, I do most of the cooking at home. My wife will admit
Same.
to that. So she keeps me around. So hopefully,
right.
But it was a good business. I cooked just like I'd cook if me and y'all two were hanging out in the backyard.
I got
And
you.
so did that for 15 years, grew it, and then COVID came. And so I was just sitting around on my back
Oh, I can
porch,
imagine. God, that would suck.
smoking cigarettes and drinking whiskey for 3 months.
That's good for the health.
Yeah, not knowing what COVID was going to be, and went to the wife and said, look, it's been 3 months. We have no idea. I can't set out a year.
Right.
We need some income.
Right.
And luckily the catering had been good where I had and so I was like, I'll start looking into something else. And I thought it'd be very cool to get into whiskey. Now I'll back up to tell you how I got into whiskey.
Yeah.
So about 6 months before COVID, well, maybe 4 months before COVID, we were in Fredericksburg doing winery tours. We both enjoy wine as well. Her more than me, but I do enjoy wine. And saw that there was a distillery out there, and I was like, I've never been to a distillery before.
Let's check it out.
Literally hadn't bought a bottle of whiskey, and I couldn't tell you. If
Yeah.
it was
Wow.
going to
Right.
my buddy Craig's house, bought a bottle of Crown to go have Crown and
Exactly.
7 or something.
Right.
Like that's.
I think that's how everybody gets into it, is either like Crown and Coke or
I was super
Jack
in-
and Coke or.
Yeah, I was super into craft beer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
No.
that was my drink of choice for sure. Was craft beer. Started love Shiner, and then started going from Shiner to just anything. Just kind of gravitating to the edges
Right.
and what was. And so did that, and
I love the fact that he mentioned my favorite beer of all
Right.
time.
Shiner?
There's nothing finer
Oh,
than
yeah.
a Shiner by far.
yeah. So we go out to Garrison Brothers and in High Texas, and just you walk onto that property, and it's just
Amazing.
undisturbed hill country.
That's on
just
my list to do. That and Balcones for sure. I want to go to both.
completely different experiences.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, completely different, but both great.
Yeah.
And I went out to Garrison Brothers and fell in love. Literally, just fell in love with
Nice.
did the tour, the process, the artistic, expression behind it, and so came back and had a massive catering deal I was doing that was starting up that was going to run for like 3 months. And so 7 days a week, 16-hour days.
Wow.
So
That sounds
after
almost like a shutdown type catering
yeah,
gig.
yeah, it's actually, I'll tell you, it was when TPC blew up.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got that job, and so
Wow.
we were feeding a lot of the agencies that were down doing investigations, a lot of TPC employees.
Gotcha.
And it's about 650 people a day, or meals a day that we were preparing, and so started doing that. And every Wednesday after we finished that lunch delivery, my kitchen was in Groves, about a quarter mile from Longhorn Liquor.
Nice.
And so I would go into that Longhorn every Wednesday, and I'd started just buying whiskey. I mean, 3 bottles, 4 bottles at
Oh,
a time.
wow. Yeah.
And just,
Wanting to
collecting
try it
them.
all.
Yeah, wanting to try it all. Whatever I could get my hands on. Started off with, you get into it early and you hear about the Blantons and the Wellers and stuff like that.
Blanton's
So,
to me is the Ohio
be
State
there.
of whiskeys by far.
Yeah.
Overrated as
Yeah.
shit.
well, I try to be, proper when it comes to,
Of course, no.
not knocking too much, but Blanton's is one of my favorite whiskeys. When I have somebody that comes over that maybe I hang out with a lot of people that are very smart and very astute whiskey drinkers. But you get somebody that's just kind of getting into it that has this opinion about Blanton's because it's got such a hype.
It's got yeah. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong.
No,
Flavor's good.
Yeah. Kentucky bourbon. I mean, it's
Right,
good.
it is.
Yeah.
Everything coming out of Buffalo Trace Distillery is good.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. But when you come in and you pass up on all the other offerings that are on the
Right.
shelf because that store doesn't have Blanton's, and this is regardless if it's Longhorn or any store, you're silly.
Right.
Because there's a lot of
There's
good
a
whiskey on that
Yes.
shelf that's available all the time. And so, as y'all know, there's different factors that are driving that hype.
Of
and
course.
so I love to with people that may not be as experienced, or even myself. I'll have my wife will pour me blinds sometimes, but include a Blanton's in that blind, so
See
you
where it's
take that
yeah.
bias out, and yeah, every single time for me, it's finished last.
Really?
Yeah,
That's surprising.
It has, and that's blind, and it's probably been just a handful of times. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember Old Tub. I don't know if y'all know that whiskey from
way.
Jim Beam. Yeah, Old Tub beat it. Yeah, and
That's rough.
I like Old Tub. Yeah,
I'm not an Old Tub fan.
really. Yeah,
I just can't.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't like to talk bad about a lot of whiskeys. I mean, there's some. The Jim Beam Double Oak, I think it tastes exactly like black licorice, and I can't do it.
Oh yeah.
But I try not to talk bad about a lot of whiskeys. But
Yeah.
Old Tub, it's not terrible, but I just can't do it.
Yeah. Well, it flew off the shelves, and since then, we haven't gotten it back in very much. I think
Yeah.
we'll probably have a few stores that are still getting it, but it's that's the way it goes. You gotta remove those biases
Yeah.
every once
Oh,
in a
for
while,
sure.
Yeah.
And that's what
for drinkers.
That's what I
anyways,
enjoy about what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Is I have no idea what they are.
Yeah.
And I've surprised myself a little bit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, now whenever it comes to like Canadian whiskey, I can tell that pretty immediately. Like day one was a Canadian whiskey, and I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
It's a Canadian. I can tell.
Yes.
I'm just not a fan.
Mm-hmm.
But as we've gone along, and especially we got on a little bit of a Texas kick. I guess she was just grabbing all my Texas ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I could tell there was some that were just like, okay, really? And then, there was like Contradiction, which is MGP, but
Yeah.
it's still not bad, but it was not what I remembered it whenever I knew what I was pouring.
Right.
So but that's what I enjoy about what I'm doing with this is that the blind aspect of it is where do they really stand?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When you're and I always try to go like I'm always it's very hard to take if it's a true blind
Right.
to take and nail that whiskey. It's but I'm always trying the game I'm playing with myself. Can I even get the main grain? That's not as easy as people think sometimes. Especially with all the finishes and stuff that are coming out now. These Texas single malts that are coming out, especially really American single malts in general. If I gave you a Scotch right now, you'd probably be able to say, yeah, that's a Scotch.
Right.
But you can take a single malt that's coming from America. I mean, production's the same, mash, just 100% barley.
I actually got into a
Right.
little bit of an argument. Me and a lady from Scotland. She works at a Scotch dealer, a Scotch distillery. I don't remember which one. But we got into a little bit of an argument because somebody had brought up Balcones, and then I kind of went into the whole how they're doing the single malt thing, and I was like, it's basically Scotch. And she's like, no, that is not Scotch. And we got into like this long comment in somebody's live, and they were like, can y'all please stop arguing in my live? Like I'm trying to read comments, and all I can see is you two going back and forth. But it really is. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's our answer to Scotch, and I'm glad you kind of brought it up because I do. It's a little bit of foreshadowing. I do have a little bit of a question about that once we kind of get past the business side of it.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
So let's kind of dive in. Since, like I said, we're talking about the Southeast Texas Whiskey Festival. So let's give everybody at home a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look, if you can. So Southeast Texas Whiskey Festival is approaching quickly. How involved have you been with all of that? How's it been prepping for it? We're getting kind of, like he said in the beginning, we're getting into crunch time. We're less than a month away.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we got tickets like as soon as they were posted and
yes.
ready, we bought tickets.
Yes.
And I don't think there's any left, but kind of go into those for those that do have the VIP tickets. What does that include? What does that look like? Just kind of a little bit of a rundown on everything you can tell us about what's coming up. Any vendors? What can we expect to see out there?
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
vomit out the mouth. Let's go.
Yeah. So January 6th and 7th. The 6th is a an event that is already sold out. It's a celebration of some of our sponsors and stuff like that. People that help make this happen. Without a lot of people's help, this isn't possible. Obviously,
Right.
I would say right at the top, obviously Mike and Dennis, took this and ran. I've been fairly involved in the process, and bouncing ideas off of each other and seeing how we wanted it to look, and still doing some of that, just getting some of the final, what the flow will look like, and so. We're very excited, but it is a celebration of whiskey, is what it is. We came
I
to
love that. I love the way he worded
celebration
that. A
of whiskey.
celebration of whiskey.
So,
Yeah.
kind of just a side question, real quick, and then I'll let you kind of continue. Is this the first official whiskey festival in this area?
As far as I know, and of course I've been into it, just slightly over 3 years.
Yeah.
So maybe there was something, but I really doubt it. I think this is the first. I definitely think it's definitely the first of its kind, and I'm kind of referring to the scale there
Right.
of this event.
Yeah.
That it's weird. Probably the hardest thing when I talk about Whiskey Fest to convey to people is when you say it's in Beaumont, Texas.
Yeah.
And okay,
Yeah.
no,
How
really,
big can it be?
it's Beaumont, Texas. I get it,
Yeah.
but this is going to be a major, massive event. And if somebody doesn't have tickets and they're on the fence, hopefully by the end of this conversation,
Yes, that's what we want.
Yeah, we'll get them off the fence
Yes.
because I'm super excited. Obviously, this what brought us together was the love of whiskey.
Oh, yes,
and so
for
to
sure.
do it on a much grander scale,
Right.
where we can bring 1,000 of our closest customers and friends and maybe newbies or people that I'm still running into people that what's Whiskey Fest?
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, okay, well, you got a minute, you
Yeah.
know, and
You have a minute?
and, yeah, let's have a conversation, and so it's going to be a crazy event. It's been a lot of planning that's gone into it. I think Mike and Dennis would both say that they're ready for January 8th to be here.
I'm sure.
I can imagine.
So it is what it is on that front. It's always going to be stressful when you're trying to put together an event of this magnitude. But I think as we get closer and we see that those I's are getting dotted and the T's are getting crossed, there will be a time, especially January 6th, hopefully, where we can just kind of start sitting back and looking, especially at the end of January 7th when things are winding down, and hopefully we will have brought a very successful event to
You'll
Southeast
look back
Texas.
and be happy with what you did.
Yeah, I think so. And I think we're already, I brought that up to Mike today. I said, I think, we're already happy with what we've accomplished with this event. And so, yeah, we're very looking forward to it and seeing the response. And hopefully if it's received well, then, year two.
That's what I'm excited about and that was something I had written down is there a planned year two? Is it going to be bigger, better, stronger, faster?
I think once we're able to sit back and kind of reflect on the after January 7th and kind of
You want to handle that comment, or you want me to handle it?
what's that?
Mitchell said he needs
I need
tickets.
to get
Mitchell,
tickets.
get tickets.
Yeah,
Yes.
if
Get tickets
Mitchell
now.
will come see me at Longhorn Liquor in Lumberton, I can help him with
There you
that.
go. See
Yeah.
that?
Fantastic. See,
Hook
go to
yourself up.
Lumberton.
Yeah,
Yes.
come ask for me, and
So-
or anybody at
Yeah,
Lumberton
y'all-
can help you. Yeah.
For sure. So I guess a little bit of behind the scenes. Is there some vendors that are or some whiskey companies that are going to be out there that you can kind of give us a little bit of a sneak peek at? Is it a full transparent list, or is there some?
It's fully transparent. If you go to SETX whiskeyfest.com, you can look at all the vendors on there. It would probably be easier to say who wouldn't be there, but you can imagine. And here, I'll pull up my phone in a second
Okay.
and go to that list and start getting through some of them. But Yeah, we've got a lot of Kentucky bourbon will be very well represented.
Nice.
The Texas whiskey scene between Balcones and Andalusia whiskey and Garrison Brothers.
That's the one that intrigued me the most. When I saw Andalusia, that's the one, because I hadn't tried a whole lot of their stuff.
And I think we'll get into that a little bit whenever we get into more of the personal fun questions.
Yeah.
We'll get into some Andalusia, but Southeast.
But
SETX.
Scotches will
Really?
be.
Okay.
So apparently Mitchell will see you Thursday.
Okay. Well, lucky for him, I work Thursday.
There you go.
9:30 to 5:30.
Yeah.
Nice. He even plugged his times that he worked.
There you go. He'll be there.
Yeah.
love
But sorry, ask that question again. But what were
Your
you saying?
question?
I lost my train of thought.
Just some of the vendors, I guess, that you want to highlight or that you can clue us in on. And is there going to be some? I guess what everybody would be more or less interested in, as far as allocated bottles.
Okay.
Is there going to be anything special out there that we need to be on the lookout for? Is there going to be a bottle of E.H. Taylor floating around that you need to try, or
I think you'll see an aspect
maybe
of
an
some
Elijah
of that,
Craig 18, or
where people will be able to,
Elmer T. Lee.
get some samples of some bottles that they may not normally find just sitting on the shelf.
are people going to be able to purchase bottles out there or no?
So we are, this is crazy.
Because I know at Kentucky, the Kentucky Bourbon Fest, or Kentucky Whiskey Festival, whatever they want to call it, the big one, only distilleries are allowed to sell out there.
Yeah.
Somebody like Pursuit United, who we kind of talked about pre-show, they're not able to sell because they're a non-distilling producer.
Right.
So they can't sell while they're out there, but bigger distilleries, Buffalo Trace, all those, they can sell bottles. So I'm kind of, can we purchase bottles while we're out there? Or no?
So we cannot sell you a bottle out there.
Okay.
Or the distilleries cannot sell you a bottle out there.
Okay.
But what we've worked up with Square is a website-based program.
Okay.
That we will list the whiskeys that will be brought, because obviously some of the whiskeys these distilleries bring will not be available for purchase because of their allocated status.
Right, exactly.
But the ones that will be available, we will have a QR code that you can scan, and you can go to and you can add these to your cart throughout the night.
Oh, wow.
And then
So I better start saving now.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then pretty much order it, and then to be picked up at Longhorn at a later date.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we're very excited about that. I think that brings a lot of value for our vendors.
I think it does too, especially the fact that they're doing that is
Yeah, that's big time.
that's big time in its own right.
So I have a little bit of a funny story and a little bit of a knock on who's not invited.
Okay.
Matt with Penelope Bourbon, he's their national brand ambassador. I've gotten to know him a little bit. I'm not saying we're friends. I'm not saying any of that, but I've talked to him a little bit.
You wouldn't call and borrow his truck, basically.
No, right, exactly.
Okay, let's check.
But I got to talking to him a little bit, and I just asked, hey, are y'all going to be out at Southeast Texas Bourbon Festival or Whiskey Festival? And he was like, well, I'm not sure about that one. Our calendar's already pretty full, and I don't know if it's on there. And then a few minutes later, he came back and he was like, hey, what was the name of it again? And when is it? And he started kind of asking questions, and I kind of went into a little bit, and he put me he gave me the, I guess this area's brand rep in a sense.
Okay.
For them, or I guess he does more than just Penelope, but he was like, hey, you need to probably talk to him. And then he was like, hey, well, maybe we can get out there somehow. And I was like, even if y'all just have a rep out there talking, because he knows I'm a huge fan of Penelope. I love what they're doing.
Yeah, he loves Penelope.
It's done really well on our shelves.
Yeah.
I just thought that was kind of funny. And I was like, well, this Southeast Texas Whiskey Festival, and it's the guys at Longhorn, and they've actually done a barrel select with y'all, and da-da-da. And he was like, oh, Longhorn Liquor out of Southeast Texas. I know those guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, small world. That's really
right.
cool. But I was like, yeah, we're talking to him, and we're trying to push for it, and we're doing all this. But I just thought it was really cool that as soon as I said it, they were like, immediately they knew who I was talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you kind of want to go into that a little bit, I know I'm not trying to shine a negative light on anything. I hope their rep shows up. I hope they're there for 2024.
Yeah. Well, if it's something, and I know we're live, so I don't want to, overspeak. But
No,
like
no,
if
no, you
it's
say whatever.
something that, if he wants to be a part of this year's, obviously no guarantees, anything like that, but you could pass him my number,
Okay.
for sure.
I may try to do that.
It's not an oversight from us where we,
No.
it's not not like we're calling people up, inviting them. It's
Right.
the relationship. He's part of the distillery. They have a distributor, and somewhere in there, that connection didn't get made.
No, and that's kind of what he was saying. He was like, actually, our schedule for this year is already pretty full.
Well,
so
that's
it may
kind of
have
the same conversation
been
you and
on
I
us.
had with Taylor Bradford at
Yeah.
Front Porch. They were like, hey, we don't necessarily have a distributor, but if they decide to do 2024, we
Right.
definitely need
Yeah. Some
Yeah.
contact.
our game in it by far.
But I mean, and kind of, I guess, how does a relationship like that get built? Because whenever I mention it to a distillery out of New Jersey, I think Matt spends a lot of his time in Florida. How does a relationship like that get built with a distillery where they're like, because if you in the grand scheme of things, Southeast Texas is a small,
Yeah.
small scale thing.
Yeah.
What's it like to? I mean, how do you build a relationship like that where they immediately know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think for okay, so I see what you're saying. I mean, we have 12 stores right now. About to break ground on number 13.
Nice.
That's still a big presence. And we buy a lot of alcohol, and so
Because you guys stretch as far as Katy currently.
yeah, Katy,
Katy,
as
Houston
far to
Heights.
the west, the lakes up on the north side,
Yes.
and so those were through the distilleries. A lot of those relationships are built through the distributors, because you've got that middleman there. That so when we start putting something together like Whiskey Fest, we lean on those distributors to help make a lot of those
And I don't know how
contacts and
much you
stuff
can,
like
you
that.
can give, but if I'm not mistaken, Greenlight is a huge presence in Texas. Greenlight Distributing.
It is. I
They've
mean,
got quite a few brands, if I'm not mistaken.
They do. They've got Blue Note. Yeah, they've got the Penelope. I would say right now, I think off the top of my head, don't quote me on this, but Penelope's probably. I mean, Blue Notes have been very well.
Oh,
And
they've been
we've done
right.
2 single barrel
Yes,
picks with
they're-
Blue Note that.
Y'all single barrel pick from Blue Note is awesome.
Yeah, I got lucky enough to be able to do that second one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and that I thought they came out great. They almost don't exist on our shelf anymore.
Yeah.
They did sell really well.
Yes.
Nice.
So I would say the Blue Note and the Penelope are 2 of their bigger brands from
Mm-hmm.
Greenlight that have done very well in Texas. They've done very well in Longhorn liquor. I can tell you that. I know you were looking for that Valencia bottle
I
the other
ran into
day.
you the other day at the
Yeah.
Beaumont location. I was like, he shouldn't be here.
Besides,
I didn't expect to see you at Beaumont.
besides Lumberton, that's my favorite location is the Beaumont. I
The
love the
Beaumont.
Dallin Roadway.
Yeah, for
I walked
sure.
in and it was a bottle left.
Yeah.
I was like, that one.
Yeah, you can see what they're doing in the Beaumont store. It's a big store,
Yeah.
beautiful. The very well stocked.
Oh, by far,
always.
yes.
Usually,
Always
if,
stocked.
if you're going to find something a little less available on a Longhorn shelf, that's
the
probably
store.
your best shot.
I know. I regret. I walked in one day and they had the Booker's Kentucky tea or green tea or whatever they call it, the green label.
Yeah,
And I looked at it. I looked at it and I looked at it, and then I walked out. I
Yeah.
regret not buying because it was the last one sitting there, and I was like,
yeah.
dang it.
Yeah, Booker's and Little Book, they've really. I
They've done
mean,
some good
when I
stuff.
first got on with Longhorn, I love Booker's. I
Yeah.
like that Jim
I do.
Beam profile,
Yeah.
and have enjoyed those. And they, we'd get them in, and they would sit for a little while. They would sell very steady, but
Right.
now they fly
fly off.
They fly off.
That's
the
a good
shelf.
thing.
Yeah, but maybe that has a lot. This whiskey community, not even on a local basis, but just more of a national basis, is still blowing
Yeah.
up. And so the more people get into it, the average price that I think people are willing to spend on whiskey seems to be going up.
Yeah, for sure.
As you see on the shelves, prices are starting to head.
A little north.
They start heading more north. And
Right.
that's not I think some customers come in sometime thinks that's just a function of Longhorn. That's
Yeah.
obviously not the case. We have to, react
Right.
to what the current market is.
For sure.
Well, not just
And-
that. I mean, you guys are in the business. Let's be honest. You're in the business to make money.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a business. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Kind
Yeah.
of circling back to the Southeast Texas Whiskey Festival. Are there some distilleries that are going to be there that you're a little more excited to see out there than others?
Yeah, so kind of to finish up on what you were saying before and kind of going to the other part is So a lot of those are made through the distributors, but some of these relationships with Texas brands have been made through me. And not toot my own horn. It's just I love those.
Toot, toot.
I love those brands.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
so I've spent time in their distillery. And
Right.
when you go into a distillery and they know you work for a liquor store, you're treated really well.
Really?
You know,
That's good, though.
because you're the one that's ultimately moving their product,
Right.
and so. The guys over at Balcones, especially after this last pick that we did with those guys, they really rolled out the red carpet for us. We got to meet a lot of people behind the scenes, get
That's
a really
really cool.
close,
That's super cool.
close personal relationship with Balcones, and couldn't be more thrilled. I mean, it's obviously anybody that knows me, not to, put any other whiskey brand down. Balcones is by far my favorite distillery on the planet, and so. But Andalusia is the same way.
Yeah.
I like to spend a lot of time in the hill country when I can. Me and my wife love it out there, obviously. The Fredericksburg trip kind of started.
Yes.
But coming across Andalusia and seeing what they were doing, and getting to meet Ty and those guys down there, it's been some really cool relationships and some cool opportunities to get to pick barrels from these guys who I put in such a high esteem
Yeah.
from the art that they're putting out there. So. Yeah, it's those relationships can come many different ways, but that's my favorite. I'm very passionate about certain products, and I mean I'm passionate about our customers, stuff like that. But myself, when I get home, I mean there's
because at the end of the day, you're just like the rest of us. I mean, you're still a whiskey drinker.
yeah, I'm a
Yes,
whiskey
by far.
drinker.
And
not
that's
just
kind
that,
of what
yeah.
led to my
You can
question.
tell by having a conversation with him that he's very passionate. I mean, we've talked to him two or
And that's
three
kind of
different
what leads
times,
to my question is what distilleries are you excited to see out there? And
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, because
yes,
I'm
me too.
All of them.
but it's just because this
But
is.
I'm
this-
telling you now, if Garrison Brothers is out there, I'm going straight to that
Yeah,
booth. I
yeah,
mean, that's where
absolutely.
I'm
But-
not going to lie about that.
But the thing for me, what I like, of course, these distilleries will be bringing a lot of their core lineup.
Yes.
Because they're introducing that core lineup to people that don't already know it or
Right.
haven't already
Right.
tried it. But you're also going to get a lot of cool, new, limited type stuff that maybe doesn't even
That's-
get released to retail.
Yeah.
That's the aspect I love of it
Yeah.
right there, is the fact that you're getting to try stuff that you normally would not get a chance to try.
Because I think every time I walk into both the Beaumont and the Lumberton location, I stare at the glass case because they both have a cowboy bourbon in there from
Yeah.
Garrison Brothers, and I just look at it and I'm like, one day.
One day, sir.
Let me tell you, like on those, and if my boss is listening, I apologize. But if I posted that cowboy bourbon, you post those in the right group, like they probably would fly off. Like
I'm
Garrison
sure.
Brothers that's one distillery that I've really seen over the last couple of years that the following has really just blown up.
It's a good product.
Yeah, it is.
a very good product.
And it is a premium priced product. And so it's not in the
Right.
budget for everybody.
Right.
I haven't bought a cowboy yet still myself. It's a lot to drop $250 on a bottle. It's a great, fantastic whiskey. I've had it, and I may finally pull the string on
At
it
some
here.
point, I'm going to.
Yeah. But,
Just buy it,
Just
Bucky.
buy it.
yeah.
Just buy it.
So my buddy that's been in the chat, Patrick Bell, he is a massive. He's part
Really?
of the like old 300 that they do there at Garrison Brothers, which is
Oh, wow.
I've got
Yeah.
I've got the small batch and the honeydew sitting on my shelf, and what really introduced it to me. I'm in.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mike
yeah,
knows
there
where to
you
find
go.
me. Hey, I like
Well,
it.
one of your bosses is listening.
That's Shelley. Yeah, she's our GM there at Longhorn.
But I've got the small batch and the honeydew. Love them both. But what introduced me to it, because I had heard about it. Ryan, our buddy, he
Yes.
had the Balmorea sitting on his shelf, and I felt obligated because I know how expensive it is and I know what it is. I felt obligated before I touched it. Hey, but you mind if I go ahead and pour me a small little glass of it just to try it? Well, that was my mistake. Is I jumped into Garrison Brothers at
And you
like
went
the
straight,
highest
you
end.
went straight to
Yeah.
Balmorea.
Right,
yeah.
I jumped in at the highest end, and I was like, oh God,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is never going to get any better.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I'm done.
Oh my-
I never need to drink whiskey
freaking out.
again.
Yeah, it's
love
it really is a premium product. It's to me, drinking certain whiskeys is an experience.
Yes, it
and so the cost to get that experience is different, and,
Right.
and
Right.
for everybody, whether they can afford it or not. But yeah, beautiful whiskeys they're putting out. Yeah,
Mike will tell you he's not kidding either. When he said that, he's
Yeah.
serious as a
No,
heart attack.
I appreciate it.
Fantastic, sir.
Maybe it's something we all have to do
No,
at some
absolutely.
point.
Definitely, yeah.
It goes back to the community.
No, for
yeah.
sure.
I love it.
But since I mentioned Ryan, it's a perfect little segue. Ryan actually had a question, so it's a listener question.
Okay.
This one is about the single barrel releases, which we've talked about a little bit with the Blue Note.
Okay.
I've pretty much got all of them that you've released except for the Elijah Craig. I couldn't get that one.
Yeah.
But I've gotten them all recently over the last few months. But Ryan kind of wanted for you to dive into a little bit of your barrel select process. So they get a little bit of a spotlight on Facebook, obviously, because you have to let people know. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of a little bit of a multi-point question. How do y'all choose who you're going to do it with? Is there anything you particularly look for in the samples that they send you? Mm-hmm. Are you trying to go completely opposite of what normally would be in like a Garrison Brothers or a Buffalo Trace? Or are you trying to stick with what people know and love? And then, of course, my little addition to it is, did you have to do any kind of training?
Oh, interesting. No, I mean, a lot like my catering background, that came from a passion of just loving to cook. And so I feel like everything, and look, there's plenty of guys that I hang around with that may be listening that know way more about whiskey than I do. But it kind of comes from the same place, just a passion of wanting to, YouTube is just, it's a free school.
Yeah.
Like
For
it's
sure.
out there, and like you can learn about whatever you want through that platform. And so that's obviously how I started, is gravitating to a lot of the YouTube channels, and just kind of built that passion, and to the point that, I mean, you taste many different whiskeys like the craft beer world. I started gravitating towards kind of what was out there on the edges. And so when I do a barrel selection, I've got to be careful sometimes, because I like the kind of the extreme, maybe awkwardness of that particular whiskey, or something that's different that I haven't had.
I like it.
So I've got to, usually, yes, it's a group of people. Sometimes these selections are done with me and Mike, and maybe even Dennis, or a lot of, they'll come in and he'll give me the sample bottles and be like, hey, take this home and shoot me a picture of the winning bottle tomorrow morning. And then luckily for me, my favorite process is obviously going to do at the distillery.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You
I
can't
can
beat
imagine.
going.
Yeah, that's an experience that,
Going to
again,
one.
So
when
what's
I
that? Go ahead.
when I got into
whiskey,
whiskey, that was one of the really driving points that I was like, could I ever do a barrel pick? How
Yeah.
awesome would that be?
I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit while we were talking before, whenever we were talking about doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an experience I would love to be able to do, even not at a distillery, but obviously being able to go to the distillery and just do it there and have that red carpet rolled out to you. So just kind of, what's that like?
It's surreal, for sure, when you get to go to a place as I feel about Balcones, or
Right.
this last trip to Kentucky this past year. Maker's Mark is top notch as far as the carpet they roll out for you there. The process of that pick is just amazing. The scenery, everything that goes into it to set that setting. They're very serious about the process. They want you to get something that you're very happy with. And it can differ from distillery to distillery. When you go to Buffalo Trace, you walk in and let's say I'm doing a Sazerac rye pick. There's 3 Sazerac rye barrels sitting there. They probably, most likely, have already been hand-picked,
Right.
to make sure that you are going to get a good product that you're going to put your name on. So with that picking process, yes, you're still picking between 3 unique barrels. They're all good. They're
Of
really
course.
good, and to pick out, the nuances
Yeah.
between those 3 isn't an easy thing to do sometimes. But that's why you usually group of people is the best. 3 or 4 guys
Yeah.
is perfect. If we get sample bottles in, you're limited on the amount of juice they send you.
Of course.
I don't like to do just one sip. I like to pour enough to where I can, like if we were doing 4 barrels and we were going to be tasting those tonight, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, decide what I like out of 1 and 2,
then
decide what I
four.
like, a little mini tournament,
Gotcha.
and just go through and spend time with them, get a first impression, then let it sit, and open up a little bit, and then go back to it and see if you still agree with your initial assessment of that particular whiskey. And then I'm going to tell you, without fail, almost every time, and I give credit to the guys that I pick with, they all have really good palates, I believe, and although I do think that's subjective, and we always come to pretty much the same agreement.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
I won't give too much away because the next, if we don't have any, I'd like to get to another pour and sample something.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
for
you're-
sure.
Yeah.
Y'all
While we're talking about the process,
keep talking. I'm going to step out, actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
You break this. You
Here's
got to
my
break the
cup. If
stick.
y'all do
Okay.
Pour something. That
Set
one's
it right
mine.
there. That's fine.
I thought the rules were you had to be in here to get the pour.
Well, I mean, he's got
Funny.
a little bladder, so we kind of roll with it with his little bladder. But
So I'll set the stage a little bit for
Okay.
this one if you want to get into this.
I'm game for whatever, man.
Yeah.
This
So this past year, the Kentucky trip
is okay.
kind of came together at last minute. Couldn't be more excited. There's a lot of people out there that their dream pick would be to go to this distillery.
Okay.
And I was lucky enough to get it to go together. This distillery uses 10 different mash bills.
Okay.
Okay. Well, they use like 5 different yeast, and then they have like 2 recipes, 2 different mash bills.
Okay.
So you combine the different yeast strains with the different mash bills, and you come up with 10 recipes.
Okay.
And so if y'all aren't familiar with that yet, let me pull it out.
Okay. So basically,
4 Roses?
4 Roses.
I knew as soon as you said 10 different mash bills.
Yeah,
So I knew who you were talking about.
Yeah, so this is the new. This just hit. This is not hit stores yet. It is just.
Exclusive.
Nice.
This is
fantastic.
This is the first bottle here. So I brought this to let us sample tonight.
Okay.
Awesome.
Do I hit the breaking news button?
Breaking news.
So we'll just go over a little of the details.
Yeah,
okay.
with
I'd love to know.
Between the 10 recipes, we did pick one that was, fairly common.
Okay.
Which
OESK?
I had some real. One guy in particular, Paul Hansen. He is a real Four Roses expert.
Okay.
Knows his shit when it comes to Four Roses. He was not part of the original group that I had picked to go up there,
Right.
and he took his time to fly from Houston to Louisville
nice.
Oh,
to
wow.
come just for that Four Roses pick, so he
Nice.
could be a
Awesome.
part of it. And so I want to thank him for that because
Yes, definitely.
his knowledge in that setting. Well, let's start with when you're picking 10, you're tasting
10 mash
between
bills?
10 barrels of whiskey. It helps
At
to
what
have.
point do they all start tasting the same?
Right. And so, when you're going through 10, it's like, okay, do I like one better than 2?
Yeah.
And then 2 better than 3, and just trying to go down the line and pick out some favorites. And in the end, everybody had several common answers in their top 3. That's kind of the way we broke it down. And Four Roses was great about, again, helping with that process between 10 barrels because it's not as easy
Yeah,
when you're
it's-
just doing
No,
4.
yeah.
I can imagine how
Yeah.
difficult that would
Yeah,
be.
for sure.
And so we actually ended up, I had to make a tie-breaking, decision
Oh, so all
on
the
that
pressure
one.
on you, huh?
And so the one that we ended up passing on was one of the, I guess, less, more rare of the recipes. And I can't remember that particular recipe off the top of my head. And, so we picked, it's OBSV.
OBSV.
And,
That's okay.
yeah, so 10 years, 7 months.
Wow.
Bottled it right at 111 proof.
Ooh, very
and
nice.
so, yeah, we're very excited about this. We didn't do a Four Roses pick last year.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is our first one in a couple years that's going to be released. And there's a high demand in the market
Yes.
for
Oh,
Four
yeah,
Roses,
Four Roses, yeah.
single barrel picks. So I don't have fingernails, so if you want to.
I don't have fingernails either.
Yeah.
We're going to try them.
There we
at
go.
you.
Look,
got
you
it.
hand me a single barrel from Longhorn that's
You
an
can rip it
exclusive,
off.
I'm going to get that
You're
thing
gonna get it
open.
open.
Yeah.
ready for
So,
this?
just to
Get
let
it.
everybody that's listening know, this is not available quite yet. This is just hit our warehouses, and we are, we can get into that a little later, but we're going to have some picks that we're going to be dropping.
Just to
and
kind of give everybody a little bit of a preview. Do
Yeah,
we
well-
know when this one will be available?
It will be soon. I don't,
turn the
no
side
date
Turn
yet.
to the side, Longhorn.
The Longhorn. There you go.
There it is.
There
There it is. That's what we all want to see.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like I said, I've gotten y'all's single barrel picks over the last few months, and I'm just gonna tell you, I have not found a bad one yet.
No.
The most recent one I bought, and I know it's been out for a little while, if I'm not mistaken, was from Wyoming Whiskey.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that one
Okay.
has been out a
Longhorn
while.
selection.
Yeah.
Silsby actually just had a couple of them sitting on the shelf, and I was like, I gotta get it.
Yeah.
I got it. Because I've got the Old Forester, I've got the Buffalo Trace, I've got the Sazerac.
Well, the store
the
picks-
Blue Note. I mean, they're so
And
they're
some-
so different.
Yeah, and some of them have really become, I don't know if y'all have been to one of the big drops that we do either in Lumberton or Beaumont.
No, I'm
but-
excited to get to one though.
Yeah, the lines there, can get pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Usually Beaumont's got, a little bit bigger line, but we've really built it up in Lumberton. Just with the people I've met and me being there, they come out and
Yeah, that was
and
one of
it's-
and I remember one of our early conversations. That's one of the early reasons you gave me your card. I was like, just go ahead and text me so I can put you on the list, because you were like, you should come out to one of these events because they're big. People
Yeah.
will bring bottles.
Yeah.
Everybody will hang out and pour and all this
Yeah.
other stuff.
Nice.
So I was,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm immediately excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun time, and so we've got
The anticipation.
I
is
know.
killing me.
yeah. Oh,
Oh,
man.
That's probably the best. That's probably the best cork pop we've had.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yes. Oh,
We may need
so
to pause the video.
don't look down.
Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome.
So I'm really excited about this one because, like I said, I mean, there's the barrel selects that I've had from y'all are just outstanding.
Yeah, and I think that's key. Before I got there, Mike had a team of guys they'd go with. They'd have a lot of fun with it, and
And these aren't all specifically employees of the company, correct?
No, I mean, I would say for the most part, unless we're doing something that happens to be in store with, sometimes a rep will bring bottles in and we'll do them there. Usually, it's if it's a on-site pick, it's usually if it's me or if Mike's going, it's usually going to be a group of guys. I
Right.
mean, not saying employees wouldn't be, but
No, right.
that we take this very serious to try to put out a product.
But that's
that,
really cool that
Yeah.
consumers, which I know you consider most of them friends at this point,
Yeah.
are able to help and be a part of a barrel
I
selection.
consider everybody friends.
Right, exactly.
Can we give Patrick Bell the award for comment of the night so far right now? I love that comment. Longhorn is amazing for the community. They're incredibly generous and support tons of nonprofits. A true asset to Southeast Texas.
Yes.
I
And
love
that's,
that statement.
That's something I wanted to touch on.
Yeah, I love that statement.
I posted a video. It included myself and Roy. We both posted kind of separate videos, but I mashed them together. One of the pictures I included on that is your cure for calls.
Yes.
That's
Cure
one
for
of the,
rare disease.
or
Yes.
Cure
Yeah,
for rare
for rare
disease. I'm
disease.
sorry.
Yeah.
But that was one of the pictures I posted on there, and I doubt any of the cashiers that normally check me out, whichever location I'm at, will ever remember. But since they started asking, there's not been a time I said no.
Yeah.
I round up every single
Yeah, I
purchase.
do the same
Yeah.
thing. I round up.
And I just want to say thank you for everything that you're doing.
Oh,
and
for
just
sure,
to elaborate a little
yeah.
bit on that.
Yeah, I'd love
but
to. That's one of my favorite things. Yeah,
I'd love for you to just kind of.
because we do have, we go many places nowadays, and you see either like a roundup or people are hitting up for donations, and people can be skeptical at times on like, where's this going, and so it's something that I really, with the partnership that Mike and Dennis forged with this foundation, and the meaning behind it, and knowing where everything goes. What I love to tell people is every cent that we collect in Longhorn Liquor we double.
Really?
We match it.
Nice.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that neither. That's fantastic.
Proceeds from Whiskey Fest are going to Cure for Rare Disease.
Yes.
Like,
Fantastic.
it's a very important foundation to us, and they've personally met with the gentleman that started this foundation will be a speaker at the Friday night part of Whiskey Fest, and so excited to get to actually meet him.
Don't cry. Don't cry.
Maybe I need to get some tickets.
Get tickets. If you ain't got them, you need to get them.
But
I tell that to anybody. If you want to go to this, there is no reason why you can't.
yeah, and,
for
and,
sure.
and we
There's
can
no
touch
reason.
on that real quick to let people know. Of course, you can go to SETXWhiskeyFest.com to
Yep.
get tickets. You can come into the Lumberton or Beaumont store, ask one of the cashiers there, about a ticket for Whiskey Fest. And so, yeah, we still have some VIP tickets left.
Oh, really?
Okay, it's very limited at this point, so I would encourage anybody that is on the fence, if you kind of want that extra level of
Can I upgrade
access,
my tickets?
yeah, to then if you want that extra level of access, it still exists out there. It's what the VIP gets you in an hour earlier.
Yeah.
What I like about what our event is doing versus some of the others I've been to is we get there, I get the VIP ticket, show up an hour early, and then it seems like every single ticket they sold for that event, if they could sell it as a VIP, they did.
Yeah.
And now you're waiting in a massive line. And by the time you get in there, 20, 30 minutes of your VIP hour
Right.
is already gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just trying to get into the venue.
Right.
And so what we did was we limited the number of VIP tickets
that's awesome.
to roughly 20%.
Okay.
And so that kind of keeps the
Give everybody a chance to
yeah, those
enjoy that extra hour.
right, and it is a more premium price for that ticket, which is to be expected.
Well, yeah.
And
If you need to take that, you're more than welcome.
yeah, I will if they call twice. then
Okay.
that
if it's a
I
two
think
call.
that's the international code for everybody.
Yeah.
If you
Hell
call
yeah.
and I don't answer, and then you call right back,
yeah,
Or if they text like 911.
yeah. Well, if Shelly's still listening, then if you can call the Lumberton store and make sure it's not burning down.
yes,
that would be,
please don't let that one burn down.
No.
Yeah.
No.
We like that one. And
Yeah.
we like our Silsby one too. I like the Silsby
You know,
location.
I was gonna not bring it up, but Silsby seems to get left out on some stuff.
Well, when you get as many locations we've had now, and yeah, you get them out to Katy and the Heights stores.
Yeah,
It's
Houston
gorgeous.
Heights out here
that's-
is
it's amazing.
Yes.
I mean, they found such a great location. I mean, that's such a dense neighborhood to begin with, and they found a great location. Our manager over there, Sophia, she's a rock star. She's awesome, and so we've got a really
I actually referred a guy in the Bourbon TikTok community that lives in Houston. I referred him to one of y'all, whichever location was closest to him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
But yeah, it was that because I had posted a video about the Valencia.
That is
I think
so
Roy's seen it. But
Yeah.
whenever after I got the Valencia, I was holding a couple oranges. I threw them up, and then I cut it the video, and I was catching
Oh,
the bottle
the
of
bottle,
Valencia,
yeah,
and I
it was-
threw it on my
nice.
counter.
Yeah.
Well, he ended up asking where I got it from, and Longhorn Liquor in Beaumont. But I'm sure they've got to have some other bottles floating around somewhere, and I know they have Houston locations.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Perfect, I'm going tomorrow."
Well, here's an
Yeah.
underrated thing that I love that Longhorn does. So if you go in and ask a bottle and they don't have it, they will look and see what store has it, and they'll tell you up front, "Hey, we don't have it,
But
but,
that
this
store
store does." And I love that.
Yeah, or we'll at least try to find it for you.
Right.
You know, even if it's a product we don't carry. You know,
Can you transfer bottles store to store or no?
No, not between over county lines or anything
Oh,
like that.
okay.
Yeah, it's
so,
kind of like
yeah.
what I do. We have certain counties that we can distribute in, certain
Right.
counties that we can't. So
Yeah.
GABC rigs, you can't really transport
Right.
over county
Yeah.
lives. But one of our climbing up the ladder super fans, Mitchell, was like, he loves the fact that y'all have one in Ivanhoe because it's 5 minutes from his house.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
Those in some of those locations like Ivanhoe, our Rayburn store
Yeah.
up in Brooklyn, both those stores. Ivanhoe is, I mean, a very well performing store.
Yes.
Is it really?
You know,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's funny to see, you know, I look at the numbers between store and store, and you can kind of tell what items are big, and
Yeah.
you know, and so the clientele kind of changes, you know, from neighborhood to neighborhood.
Well, the thing with the Ivanhoe store is it's the first liquor store that you catch when you get into Tyler County.
Oh,
It's the first
okay.
one.
Yeah.
When you're going up to Woodville,
Right.
it's the first store you hit is Ivanhoe.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you have one right there at the Hardin County line, but it's not a Longhorn. It's some other brand. I can't remember. I think Oasis, maybe. That's right there at the county line. But the first one that you hit in Tyler County is Longhorn and Ivanhoe.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
I'm kind of curious, how long ago was it that you had, or that y'all selected this? Because from what I understand, nothing moves fast in the whiskey industry. Anytime you do something, you're at least 6 months out.
Yeah. So this one actually, when we picked it, was
This is good, by the way,
Oh,
too.
it's delicious.
Really good.
man, put me on the spot. I want to say it was July that we went. Yeah. So July, and they were originally going to bottle this one in August and then get it shipped out. It took a little longer than I thought it would getting to us, but still a very respectable turnaround time.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
We're actually about to release the.
This is unlike any.
So the good thing about this one, they started this process in like January of 2012. If I'm doing my math right, 'cause it says age 10 years and 7 months.
Yeah.
But it was bottled in August of 2022.
Yeah.
So if you backtrack,
Right.
January of 2012.
Yeah, so this was
to
put
get
into a
this,
barrel.
Yes.
Yeah, in 2012.
Yeah.
And it is by far, I've had
Were
a
y'all
few.
specifically looking for something older, like a 10-year? Or
So now I will try to.
Liquor. Okay, I knew it was
Island
something.
liquor,
Island
yeah.
liquor.
Depending on what I'm picking, you know, so balconies. Let's go back to that one. When we came across some of those barrels, we knew that a couple of the barrels we had tasted were maybe going to have a chance to go hazmat, and so that's
a little more foreshadowing.
So speaking of, for those of our viewers who don't know that term,
Yeah.
explain the hazmat term,
Yeah.
because you hear that a lot in this industry. Yeah, our producer, prime example, does not know what the term hazmat means.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, because I was gonna. It's a later question, but since we're there,
yeah, I mean it's
go ahead and explain hazmat.
Yeah.
And then, of course, what are your opinions on it? Because you've already admitted that you like a little
I mean,
bit of a higher proof.
I know what it means where I work, but,
But
yeah.
so, yeah, I mean,
So yeah, hazmat refers to any whiskey that is bottled at 140 proof or higher. From my knowledge, and if somebody on chat wants to correct me if I'm wrong, that comes from. So when you go to Kentucky, even if you're just going on vacation, you buy some bottles, you can fly back with so many bottles.
correct.
yep.
You cannot fly back with anything that's over 140 proof because it's considered
they will
hazmat.
not allow it
hazardous material.
Yeah, and so
because it's combustible at that point.
right. So that's where the terminology comes from, and it's you know it's a very unpredictable thing in whiskey to know when you're aging something. You know how it's going to come out. You know at what proof it's going to
Right.
come out.
And just for those listening that don't know, once you put it into a barrel, the proof will only go up from that point.
Yes, generally.
Generally speaking.
Yeah, generally
Your
speaking.
proof will go up.
Yeah, it. Go ahead.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how many bottles out there that you know of are hazmat?
Not many.
So I've personally owned Jack Daniel's Coy Hill last year. That
Yeah.
release. Some of them went hazmat.
That was, I think the highest one was 142.
I saw some. Our buddy Brandon that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I think he maybe found one in Tennessee that was 145.
Holy cow.
Some of the ones that we got, of course, we got different batches. Some of them weren't hazmat. The one that I got was 141.6, I believe.
Will you mute his mic?
I've got a out of Boulder, Colorado. So there's an independent bottler called Lost Lantern.
Okay.
They,
I've heard of them.
yeah, okay.
They've got the taller bottle, red label.
Yep. So they've done some Balcony bottles
Okay.
that they've sourced and bottled under that label. But they this particular one came out of Boulder Distilling
Okay.
Company, and it's a single malt that hit just over 140 proof.
Wow.
And that one's actually really. It's not as flavorful as I thought it was. I mean, it's still good, but
Right.
it didn't have that depth of flavor that I was
Okay.
expecting from something that was
That-
so
right.
touched. but and drank quite a bit lower. I
Really?
thought than the 140.
That's what scares me
plus.
about the hazmat bottles is how do they drink, and are they going to just? It's just going to be too much.
Yeah, I mean, I find if people, depending on how they approach it, and still newbies, you have people that are just still into shooting it almost,
Yeah.
and this is a sipping game to me
For sure.
to actually let it, kind of sit on the palate, roll around.
Yeah.
And most of that burn comes once you swallow,
Yeah.
and that's where it comes from.
Like I feel like I need to have Tums sitting on the table. If we're talking hazmat, there better be a bottle of Tums.
That was interesting. I had that conversation with a customer yesterday, and they were
Can I get a white?
They were talking about that Woodford Reserve gives them heartburn.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've heard that from several people. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
But I've never had heartburn in my life, so I don't know what that's like.
Okay, bragger.
Yeah. So whiskey doesn't give me heartburn. But
No, that's awesome.
did y'all? I see y'all have already finished.
It's
these.
I
still-
love
hold
it.
on.
It's
And
so good.
First and foremost, unlike any Four Roses single barrel I've ever had, the Small Batch Select is my favorite Four Roses. Mm-hmm. Just because of it. Again, you're going into that whole 10 different mash bills. It's so unique, and the way they blend those whenever they do the Small Batch Select is amazing to me. Which is one of the big reasons I like, and we talked about it a little bit pre-show. Pursuit United bourbon. Just their blending process is awesome to me. Barrel bourbon's another one that I've really learned to love because what they're doing is just so different. But this, it's unlike any Four Roses I've had. I know is OBSV, I think is what you said.
yeah.
I've had
OBSV.
I know I've had it. It's I think if I'm not mistaken, it's their 60% corn mash bill, somewhere in that area.
Right on the money.
Am I?
Yes,
So-
60. I was looking at it when you said that. That's why I was like,
So-
right on the money.
There's just something. There's a nuance about this one.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And I
Initially on the
enjoy
nose, I get a lot of like oaky char, like the barrel influence
Yeah,
really coming
but
through.
Yeah.
And that's some of the, I like a little bit of almost an over oak, not quite too tannin heavy, but
See,
a little bit of an oaky
I guess
heavy.
it's just my palate, but I love the fact that this comes in at 35% rye.
Yeah,
I like
and
the
I mean you
spice.
get that
I
you get
like
those
the,
baking spices
Yes.
that apple pie.
Yes.
There's something there.
Apple
and I
pie,
like it.
kind of with a little hint of cinnamon, that type of thing.
Or almost if you were to like leave the apple pie, and this is gonna sound weird, but you leave the apple pie out and you just bite into the crust. That's been
That's
a
a
little
good-
bit
that's a good one, too.
seasoned
Yeah.
a little
Yeah,
bit.
That's a
yeah.
good one.
But I mean,
Like some
there-
seasoned pastry.
Right. There's something there. I mean, it's really enjoyable. Now that I've had it, I'm excited about this one releasing into
That's-
stores.
yeah, that's a good one,
Because
too.
I promise
Not
you,
gonna
this
lie.
is one I'd show up for at
Yeah.
9:30 and wait 30 minutes in line.
Yeah, and even at 111, it packs a pretty
No,
good little
it's got a and
punch to it. Yeah.
it's always we've
love
said
that one.
it's got a great Kentucky hug. And it
Yes.
sits with you for
Yeah.
a minute, but there's not that heartburn feeling. But it's enjoyable from start to finish.
Well, good. I'm glad you guys
I
like
liked
it.
Yeah, I liked it for sure. It did. It had just enough of a linger with the burn
Yeah.
on it, so that was a good thing for me at least, and I loved it. You guys are doing some good things with that one. I love the fact that y'all selected it, y'all picked it, the process that you went through with it. I love it. It's really good.
Yeah, the guys I picked that one with, again, Brandon, Nathan, Wade were on that
So
trip, but Paul, fantastic guys. I'm really happy tasting it now.
It's a good
That
one.
many months
It's a
after
I was
good
the
gonna
one.
say,
process.
what are your
Yeah.
thoughts now that it's been 6 months or whatever?
Yeah, it's
Now that it's in a bottle and you're drinking it, are you having the same thoughts? Are you are you
what's cool is
happy about it?
so usually when I do a pick, even if it's on site, whatever they'll give you little sample bottles of what you picked.
Right.
And so I like to hold on to those, and then when the barrel gets released, kind of blind them next to each other,
Okay.
and see if there was any nuance that changed.
So you're a true definition of a student of your craft.
Well, I'm just interested in all of it. As far as, to me, whiskey is art. There's no other way to put it. There's so many different variables that go in to making whiskey just from the different grains. Some of the more unique whiskeys I've had I took a bottle from Brandon one time. Corsair.
Bourbon Heist.
Are y'all familiar with Corsair?
Heard the name.
Yeah.
That's
Not
all I've
100%.
heard is the name.
Yeah, they made a quinoa whiskey that was very interesting. Koval, which is a distillery out of Chicago, they make a millet whiskey. They've done one out of oat. So you see some.
I've seen an oat somewhere else. I can't remember where, but
So
I've
some
seen
of those-
somebody use oat.
You know, I mean, most people think of whiskey and they think, corn, wheat, rye,
Right.
barley.
Yeah.
And so to see some different variables come in, and then you really get into what like Balcones is doing with also making straight corn whiskey, but then doing
Yeah.
a lot of different barrel,
Finishing, yeah.
finishing.
Now, I love
So-
the fact that we talk about it pretty regular, and I'm curious to get your take on this. We talk about Angel's Envy at nauseum on the show, by far, and that to me is like that's the whiskey that, in my opinion, is what started the
the
whole
finishing.
finishing in different barrels other than just.
And we
charred
talked about
oak.
it a little bit whenever we were all there a couple Saturdays ago.
Right.
Because you had mentioned there's nothing like the rye finish in a rum barrel from Angel's Envy.
Probably the first bottle that I bought that I just went, whoa, what's this? Like, this is whiskey. Like,
Yeah.
it's got such a desserty, mapley. You
It's
talk
Christmas
about
in a
some of those
bottle.
baking
Yeah. Winter in a
spices,
bottle.
like those
Winter in a
fall
bottle.
baking spices. Yeah, they come through really well in that rye. The bourbon in the port finish, and I know some people will say, oh, you can't finish bourbon, it's no longer bourbon, if it's got a finish on it.
But I mean,
And-
even the TTB at this point has accepted that it is straight bourbon whiskey finished in.
Yes, finished in. And for me, I've really started gravitating towards a lot of finished products just because it provides a nuance.
It's
to-
something a
to-
little different.
A little bit different. And so if you find that whatever that favorite whiskey you love and see them just put that little twist on it, it's interesting to see.
I haven't cracked my Penelope Valencia since we're talking about finished. I haven't cracked that one yet. I'm really excited to crack it though. But I recently had obtained a bottle through Ryan, their rosé cask finished.
Oh,
And I did crack that one immediately upon popping it open and then putting the cork back in it. I thought I broke it because the rosé cask is actually a glass cork.
Yes.
Copper.
I
Yeah.
thought I broke it and I freaked out. Like I was trying to make a TikTok and I hit it to close it and I
Yeah.
freaked out and I stopped everything and I was like, oh God. But drinking it's just that little bit of a nuance. There's a little bit of a rosé sweetness and a little bit of dryness there from the
Okay.
wine. It's finding little things like that that's what interests me the most about this whole finishing process. It seems like everybody is coming out with a finish or a toasted. Toasted is the new big thing. And
For sure.
Yeah.
You can call anything toasted because, like Penelope, they're the one that they have at the Dallin location, Longhorn Liquor. It's char number 3, which in reality, like 4 is like the normal char for a barrel.
Right.
So, saying a 3 is toasted, you're not that far off.
No, you're really
Right.
But
not.
everybody's got a toasted now. If you're not putting toasted on your bottle, you're not doing the new hot cool thing.
Well, you see it in phase. I mean,
But you can literally call anything toasted.
yeah. Well, you see phases where you go through. Everybody does a toasted for a little bit, and then there's another phase, and that's what I love about the whiskey game. It's ever evolving.
Oh, for sure. And it seems like there's always a new way to finish.
Yeah, they're coming up with, probably my favorite. We did a High West pick last year that was finished in Calvados, which
Yeah.
is apple brandy.
Calvados.
Yeah, that was Calvados.
Or
Is
how,
that-
yeah, however you pronounce
No,
it.
I have no
We're
idea.
from Texas. You can pronounce it however you want.
Those were great.
It's and just quick side note, it's kind of like people that say Takaji finish.
Yeah.
It's Tokai.
It's Tokai.
The wine,
Yeah,
Tokai.
yeah.
But, sorry, just side note there. Go ahead.
We have it should be hitting the store next week in Lumberton, a new offering from Balcones called Prohibida, which is a rum that's finished in peat barrels. Peated
Okay.
barrels.
So it's a Balcones rum that's finished in a peat barrel.
Yeah. So it's.
I know the wife and I are kind of fine. We brought rum back from St. Thomas that was
But a
relatively good.
Oh.
yeah.
We talk about it ad nauseum. I can't do Scotch because of my linkage to peated Scotch. So you saying a rum in a peated barrel is just
Peat can present itself
It's not
very
the thing.
differently. Yeah. I get what you're saying on some of the scotches when you're talking about like Lefroy or Lagavulin.
But I mean, even some of the whiskey distilleries in America now are trying to do this whole peated bourbon thing, and I'm like, don't mess up a good thing. Don't
Yeah.
mess this up.
Yeah, I haven't seen peated bourbon.
Yeah.
Who's doing that?
There's one out of the Carolinas. I can't remember the name.
Craft, just super craft stuff.
Super
yeah.
Craft Distillery.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple different ones doing like a peated bourbon, and I'm like, you're gonna mess this up.
Yeah. And you brought up Barrel earlier with their blending, but
Yes.
they do a lot of different finishes and then blend those finishings back
Yeah.
together, like with the
What was
seagrass or the dovetail.
I think it's the dovetail. It's like 4 different barrel finish, like
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Mizunara,
Yeah.
and this and this and this. I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and their 2023 New Year, it's like 8 different states that they got whiskey from.
Oh, wow.
And like 7 different mash bills and 4 different barrels, and I was like, how?
Interesting.
At what point is it too much?
I think at some point you got to start looking at it as gimmicky, and to
Maybe.
me, I mean, just depending on you got like, let's go back to like the whole blackened thing with the metal. Like I like blackened whiskey.
Oh, don't get- yeah, it's
nothing
good.
wrong, but can Blair and Metallica really influence the whiskey as it's aging? I have,
But at the same time, I can ask the question. I don't know how to word it, because there's a mindset to it. Because whenever I tell you, hey, I'm going to pour you a little glass of Jefferson's aged at sea, your immediate thought is going to be salt.
Well, yeah, it's more or
Some
less
type of
subliminal
salted
messaging.
caramel.
Yeah.
yeah, briny. Yeah.
But there's not. There's not.
No.
You can't taste salt.
Right.
No.
There's not salted caramel. There's not sea salt there. But it's the idea of it. It's
Well,
the,
everybody-
It's the Metallica.
Well, it's everybody.
song in
When you
it.
talk about the Jeffersons in general, everybody associates it with that sea salty air.
Right.
Is where it goes with it. So
Yeah.
it's
But it's
more or
putting
less
it in your head.
Yeah, subliminal messaging is what it is. I mean, let's be honest.
Power suggestion when it comes to whiskey is major.
And we talked about it a
Yes.
little bit.
Yeah, I
Because
can-
see, and that's what screwed me up. And I won't name the brand because I don't think you are still sure where you're going with it. But you said pickles. And then immediately I could not get the pickle juice
Oh, I know what
brininess
you're
out
talking
of my
about now,
head.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah,
after you
yeah.
said it, and I was like, this sucks. And it's the power of power of suggestion. And you're
Right.
like, oh dang it, now I do taste it, and I can't
But
taste anything
but
else.
yeah, we turned around from that same company,
Right.
and the other one was
Better.
Yes.
But it is because I could say, if I say cornbread, you start looking for cornbread.
Yeah, absolutely. Power. Yeah. You
But
say, cherry. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, holy crap! It is.
What?
How did you find that?
I'm gonna try that with the next one. I'm gonna blurt out banana cream pie and see what happens.
So I've got a fun question I like to do for guests.
Okay.
And I know you can't look at your collection, and obviously you've got multiple shelves, so you'd have to like do a whole panoramic
I'd have
view.
to get on my knees and start digging to the back.
Right,
and be
exactly.
like,
So I'm gonna throw these out there.
Okay.
And just off the cuff, it doesn't have to be the perfect answer. Cheapest that you own, cheapest bottle of whiskey that you own.
mellow corn.
Okay. Most expensive.
Wow. Not what you would like. Loch Lomond, 20-year Scotch. I think that was about $250. Last year's limited edition release from Angel's Envy, the Madeira, collector's. I think collector's choice. Is that what they call it? I forget what they call that.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think it is collector's choice.
Yeah, that one was fairly expensive.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that one. Again, we didn't get to go down that road a little bit. I'm a massive Angel's Envy fan.
Oh, I
I know
love
we
it.
talked about the
I
rye,
love
but
Angel's Envy.
we have actually a new store pick that we collaboration with the
With,
group,
uh,
Space City.
Space City. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw it the other day.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I kept looking at it, and I was like, I don't know what this is, and I don't know if I want it.
Yeah, they did a.
Because there's a whole little display.
Okay.
Yeah, they did a pick last year that we helped them out with, and they sold really well.
Okay.
I mean, really well, and even, you know, a little bit higher price than what you're going to pay for the 86 proof
Right.
port finish.
Yeah.
It does get a little bit higher proof. I wished it got a
Up
little
there?
bit
Yeah.
more.
See,
you
I
know.
feel you and I have the same wheelhouse when it comes to proof. I tell everybody all the time, my wheelhouse is like 95 and up.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where 95 is where I start, and then
I would say I prefer, like, I can enjoy any whiskey.
right.
105 to 107.
See, he's a
and, you know,
little higher up on the
yeah.
scale than I am.
I guess would be the sweet spot. I
Okay.
mean, whiskeys, even the hazmats, they can get. I mean, they're aggressive. There's no
Right.
doubt about it.
Oh,
You
for
drink
sure.
140 proof whiskey.
Yeah.
It's gonna hit.
Yeah, it's going to hit. But I think there is a certain amount of. I don't think it's necessarily training. Maybe that is a good word for it. It's just repetitiveness of drinking that high proof whiskey.
Yeah,
It's
I don't want,
almost-
I
it's
don't want
almost
people
like
to think you're
muscle
like
memory
lifting
almost.
dumbbells with your tongue or doing
No.
trying to do tongue push-ups.
Yeah, well, I mean-
we're not training.
Well, I mean, in a way, it's kind of
But you
like I
are.
just said. It's kind of like muscle memory. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
when you do something repetitive over and over and over.
And you have
Yeah.
to, and the thing I like about it is you have to hearken back in your memory to things that you've drank or ate before. Like you're not just gonna go, yep, that's alcohol. You have to
Yeah.
really, if you really think about it,
Right.
you're like, okay, one time whenever I was, 4 years ago, I ate this thing. It was a marzipan, and now all of a sudden I
Yeah.
find that.
yeah.
You hearken
Yeah.
back to everything you've ever ate, and you're like, okay, I can see that now.
Yeah, you're building a database.
Right.
With each pour, you're just building this database that the more times that you go back to that and you just keep adding to that database, it's easier to. Again, it's extremely hard to drink whiskeys blind and pick out
Yeah.
an exact bottle. That's
It really
very.
is.
Anybody think that's easy? They're
It's
full of
not.
shit. But
Full of it.
yeah, they're just. It's very hard. But can I pick out that main grain? I always like to do
My
the
thing,
proof.
I like to
guessing
try to
the
find a proof
Yeah.
or an age range. I'm never gonna. I'll never be able to say, "Yep, 2 years, 6 months, 48 days."
Can't
Whatever
do
it
that,
is.
but I can tell you.
But I can tell
this
if
is
it's
young.
young.
Yeah, I can tell this.
A
I
little
can
bit
tell
older.
this is old.
Typically, a proof is. I can get pretty close, because my wife is laughing at me as I do these, because I'm not. My percentages aren't great right now, but it's. I think people like you and people watching understand that this isn't the easiest thing in the world to try to do.
Yeah.
No, it's very. There's a science to it for sure.
Hey, one
But-
of my favorite Christmas gifts last year from my stepdaughter, Kinsley her gift was kind of like an advent calendar. Just had all these, made all these little homemade envelopes
Yeah.
with what the answer was, and then packaged all the sample bottles up. And so each day it was. I mean, I look forward to. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
see what it
So
is.
what is this? I got a little present.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really love the aspect of that.
No, for sure. So I guess next on it, brand or bottle that got you started down the whiskey path.
Have to be Garrison Brothers, just because that was the distillery I was at.
Everyday drinker.
Don't have one. I mean, literally, when I drink whiskey, I look at my shelf, and it usually, at this point, ends up being a single malt. But it could be one of any of the 65 different balconies I have. It could be. I mean, usually it's single malt at this point. But yeah, I definitely don't have one that I go to just over and over.
Right.
Yeah.
The bottle you're most proud to own and or own that most of the normal population would not have.
I've got it with me tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Got it with me tonight.
Okay, so let's do that.
Okay, well then, yeah. So let me not say anything.
Okay.
Let's just, if you want to give a quick
Dang it.
rinse.
Yeah, but I'm
I've
gonna step
rinsed.
out this baby bladder.
You and your baby bladder.
Baby bladder. So I won't know it all.
No, yeah.
You won't know it all. I'm gonna do a rinse.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to catheterize him when we do these episodes.
Is this every episode?
He's normally a two walk away
Yeah.
per episode. So
Yeah.
I'm anxious to see if he goes number 3 or not.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, I'm usually like a camel.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. Sometimes once a day, I'm good.
That's well, I mean, especially in my line of work, because I work for a distributor out of Crosby. So I mean, sometimes when I'm going multiple accounts multiple times, sometimes you don't always have the quote unquote cleanest bathroom to go into, and I'm real funny about public bathrooms, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm anxious to see if you go number 3.
What?
Number 3.
Number 3.
All right.
Your third time out the door.
Oh, I don't know, because we're working on one of our longer shows.
Well, hey, it's great that we're working on one of
Where's
them.
the glasses?
Okay.
Glass.
Turn the heads.
Turn the heads.
Yeah. Look
I
at
feel
the
like a
camera.
little kid.
Blindfolded.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, very good. Just don't cheat.
I don't cheat.
No,
y'all?
no, we're not cheating.
What are y'all, cheaters?
No.
No.
Not even close.
Roy's old enough to wear cheaters.
If you could see right now what I was doing.
There's certain people that could be looking at this stream right now, and they're like, I cannot believe he just poured them that much of the...
So Jamie King Wright says, I know what y'all are about to try.
Oh, okay.
That's my wife.
Okay.
Oh, hey, wifey.
Hey, wifey.
Yeah, it is also her favorite.
Okay.
Oh, is it?
Outside of this bottle, though, her second favorite, oh, and y'all good,
Okay.
Okay.
Angel's Envy Rye.
Nice.
Really?
Yep.
That's not a... Okay.
Loves it. Yep. Makes me keep a bottle of it on the shelf.
I love
and
that.
at $100, I wish I'd have never let her try it.
Yeah, that's not a good one.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Babe, honey, if you're watching, you can't send me TikToks in the middle of the show. I can't watch them.
Yeah. I even got my...
Get the
my-
aroma off of that. Get the nose off of that.
Okay.
Apparently that was a Chesney
man, that is-
pour.
Huh?
Chesney Wright says that was a Chesney.
Yeah, she...
A Chesney pour?
That's boy, she's going to get me in trouble. I have my kids pour me whiskey, too.
Okay.
Bartender.
Yeah.
Bartender. Mine are a little young for that. My oldest is only 9. I don't think I've
Yeah.
got him pouring anything.
This is extremely floral.
Very
But
good.
I like it,
Yeah,
though. It's
okay.
very floral.
Chesney has a tendency to pour heavy.
Okay.
So
Oh no, Daddy.
these look like normal pours, but when I explain the origin of this bottle, and I know that a lot of people, most people
It's
have
got
never
a
even...
I
got a
love
funk to it.
I love
Funk.
I love the coloration.
Yeah.
The coloration's good.
There's
It's really good.
a funky floral note.
So what we're going to do here is see if y'all can't, let's try to figure out that main grain, see if y'all can't figure that out. Put
Well, I'm
y'all
gonna-
on the spot.
I'm gonna steal something Roy actually taught me. If you want me to figure out a main grain,
Oh, the whole
Oh, yeah. So I don't pour whiskey very well, so usually a few drops end up on the side of the glass or the side of the bottle, and
that's
I'll
good.
it's even more potpourri on your hand.
No, but it's really good and it's really smooth. I love the smoothness of it. I don't
Okay.
think
Sweetbread.
I'm giving my best poker face.
that is extremely good and it's extremely smooth.
Okay. Should I change my mind?
Oh, you're the one that's over there talking.
People
Now,
are
see-
probably listening to me smacking the...
Now, see,
I do it all the time.
So
now, see,
viscous.
now, see, we talk all the time about how I don't go
Okay.
fruity. This to me is a combination of mixed berries and hibiscus.
Oh, interesting.
Is what I get from that. Like it's
What is
sweet,
that?
it's floral. However,
So it's hard for me now, because if y'all poured me 1,000 whiskeys, and this was one of them, I'm
And
going
it's-
to pick it out.
and it's not abrasive.
But
Like on the nose, it's not abrasive. On the palate, it's not abrasive. It's very enjoyable.
I've had to search high and low for this bottle every time I found it.
Okay.
I've had to do some things I'm not proud of to acquire these bottles. That's a joke.
Okay, I was fixing to say.
No. God, I hope so.
I was wondering where we were going
We're
with this.
not joking and we got serious all of a sudden.
I was like, wait a minute. Do we want to?
But yeah,
That's
it's
good though.
What is that?
Well, I'm curious. Okay, you've got me.
Time
on-
out.
all right.
Yeah.
Everybody got to guess the grain and a proof.
See, I started out wheat because it was sweet, wheat, floral.
I'm gonna say the
Now it's
proof
rye.
is 108.3 on the proof. That's my proof guess. The-
118.
The grain,
Probably 8 to 12 years old.
I'm gonna say 10. So I'm at 10 and 108.
Okay.
And the grain, I'm gonna say sourdough.
That's a weird thing
I mean,
to say.
it sounds very weird, but that's kind of.
I'm going to stick with the wheat. 8 to 12 years old. Somewhere in that 118 proof.
Okay. 122 proof.
Really
122.
interesting.
The age is
It's a Balcones.
3.5 years old.
Oh,
There's
wow.
no way.
Is this a single malt?
Balcones Honey Barrel Single Malt.
Oh, look at that.
Check that sticker out right there.
The honey
What a
barrel
long, strange.
single
What was it?
malt.
What does it
Long,
say?
strange trip it's been.
What a long, strange trip it's been.
That is
Yeah.
surprisingly good.
Yeah. So this was an HBS selection, if you're
Okay.
familiar with Houston Bourbon Society.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a selection from them. It's I
I feel
went to-
stupid.
so let me.
I know, right?
I mean, I was close on the
I'm
proof.
talking
but-
about sourdoughs and.
You want a good story with this one though?
Okay.
So what's the
I
main grain on that one?
barley, 100% barley,
100% barley.
100%
Holy
barley.
crap.
I go to
I feel like a
my
jackass.
first time going to. We talked about Brandon Vincent earlier. His
Yes.
good buddy of mine.
Yes.
Very astute whiskey drinker, close friend. Invited to his house for the first time, little get together, swapping some bottles, stuff like
There's
that.
never too many comments, Patrick.
And there was a buddy of his there, John, that had that bottle, and he knew I was a Balcones fanatic, and I'd never tried that bottle, and it took one sip, and I was
Oh,
like,
that's, yeah.
"What?"
It's delicious.
It's
is.
really good. It's, to steal your word, it's delicious. Yes.
delicious.
Delicious.
Yes, we still got to
And you
put that on
can't
a
quite
shirt.
say it. It's so good. It's
Yeah.
delicious.
It's
That's
delicious.
delicious.
So yeah, I'm glad I got to share that one with y'all. That's
Oh, for
my.
sure.
So good. I love it on the nose.
I hate, like, I'm not somebody that will pay over retail for whiskey. I don't do that stuff. That bottle there, I would.
Yeah, I
I'm
feel-
not
yeah.
sure what the number is. Somebody would have, if they had an unopened bottle, they'd have to throw a ridiculous number and see if I may pay it.
Tell me
Like,
what it takes.
Yeah,
Hey, it's really good though. I'm not gonna lie. I love the
So,
sweetness on it. I
When-
really do.
I guess my question is, when did Balcones do a honey barrel? Because I don't remember
another great
seeing
story.
a honey barrel.
So when we get to Balcones and we're doing the picks this year, I brought that up to them, and their immediate reaction was, "We will never do that again."
Really?
Ever. Said the filtration was just almost impossible to get all the
John, will you scroll real quick? I don't know what.
honey solids back out.
Okay.
Almost ruined some of their equipment.
Barley is the new sourdough.
I'm glad I can make Patrick laugh on that one.
He's a character, man.
Hey,
So, what's the logic behind the honey barrel thing?
Yeah, it was, those guys over at HBS, I don't know how they came up with it. That's the first one I knew of. Now, that's where the barrel that we're doing with Brandon is born from.
Yeah.
It's the love of the honey barrel
And that's
from
what
Balcones.
interested me was
So good.
to,
So what
to reach
we're-
out to Brandon.
And so let's extrapolate upon that. Me and Bucky have a conversation earlier. He, by chance, talked to my good friend Brandon.
Right.
And we started a process several months ago with a good buddy of ours, Clint, and had a whiskey gathering where Clint had acquired a barrel. Bunch of people showed up. We all brought an extra bottle. It had to be at least 100 proof. Couldn't be single malt. That
Okay.
was the rules.
Right.
Dumped them in. He'd take it out of his garage. He'd go set it in the sun. He'd rotate it. He'd pet it. And, you know,
Love it, talk to it,
He wants
squeeze
to
it.
love it and hug it and squeeze it and hold it. And yeah.
That's what you got to do with these things.
and the result was fantastic.
I've heard that
And
so many times.
This is so at Born 2.0.
Okay.
And then he
And I've got 2.0 at the house. I just haven't cracked it open yet.
So Brandon's
I
brother.
apologize. I need to crack it open. I'll let you know what I think.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like we should crack it open.
Oh, we can for sure do that.
Yeah, for sure.
I should have brought it.
Brandon's brother Wade has
I didn't
some
realize
bees.
he knew all of these people so well.
Yeah.
I would have brought it.
He is in the game. I
Right.
mean,
I would have brought it had I known that because I looked at it.
right.
So we took that barrel that was originally used
Yes.
for those.
Yes.
Okay.
Wade, Brandon's brother, happens to keep bees. And so took the honey, put it in the barrel. It's
Okay.
currently sitting in a barrel right now, the honey is.
Okay.
And about 2 months, we'll dump the honey
Right.
out of the barrel. And then the plan is right now where we first used just everybody brought a random bottle.
Yeah.
The newest store pick
Okay.
of Balcony single malt for Longhorn Liquor, which has
Okay.
not yet been released yet.
Yes. Yes.
We are trying to find 24 people that are just as passionate about Balconies as we are, and
Yes.
we're all going to buy
See,
the same bottle.
So that's what brought all of this up was I messaged Brandon and I was like, "Hey, buddy, I don't know if you've made any decisions. I haven't seen any updates on the on the Facebook page. If I need to, if I can contribute a bottle, if I can help out in any way, just let me know." And he sends me this, basically what you're saying in a message, and he's like, "I think we're gonna do the pot still Balcones, da 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 da."
Okay.
And I know Mike, and I was like, "Mike, right? Wait a minute, I got Mike coming on the show. Can I help in any way?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, me and Mike are buddies." And then Mike shows up and he's like, "Yeah, I know Brandon. We talk all the time. He's my
Right.
best friend." Da, 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 da. And I'm like, "Oh, dang it, small world."
I say that word a lot, best friend, but God, I've
But
got
I mean,
a lot
that-
of best
no,
friends.
and that's
I know the
great.
feeling.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome though. But I mean,
I don't
hey-
want anybody else listening.
Well, no.
Pat Bell.
Hey, buddy. But no, that small world, that bourbon whiskey community. You know, I made one message to somebody, and all of a sudden it's come full circle, and here we are sitting with you, and he's already explained all of this great stuff to me, and how he was a part of one of the Balcones barrel selects, and wanting to do that, and I mean that's just awesome. And now, yeah, I'm even more invested because you're sitting here on our set talking to us about all of this stuff. So yeah, I mean, if there's anything I can do, because I want to be a part of this and I want to help in every way I can, and I want to grow in the bourbon community
Right.
that is Southeast Texas. So yeah, I mean, like you said, we're looking for people that are just as passionate as we are.
Yeah. So
Count me into that.
Yeah, so we're just looking, we're wanting to do all of one bottle. We are trying to recreate
And I really think
Okay.
that's how a honey barrel should be.
the honey barrel. And look, we're probably not going to come out with that product. I mean, I know that, but it's just
No.
the fun
But it's the fun of doing it.
of doing it with people that you love.
And then everybody
that
gathers and you drink a
that's
little
right.
bit of it. If we got to have 100 people over at the house and we all sample a little bit of it and that barrel's
Yeah.
gone, then guess what? That's
Yeah, and if
Right.
we have to
That's
have
what it
100
is.
people at the house, we're not coming to my house. We're going to
come on.
Brandon's.
Okay.
we'll volunteer his house.
Yeah, we're volunteering his house.
Nice.
Even if he's not home.
Right, exactly.
Even if he's
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be home as long as we have access to the barrel.
Yeah. So
So how did you and Brandon meet? Now that we've kind of brought this whole thing full circle, how did you and Brandon meet?
yeah, I was standing in the Beaumont store. Heaven's Door had come to do an event at our Beaumont location. This is before I came to work for Longhorn. I want to say this is maybe just slightly after COVID, even. Me and Brandon just had we met in the aisle, whatever. Just
I think we've all had that random meet
I walked-
with somebody in a bourbon aisle or a whiskey aisle. And
yeah, I just walked in.
Saying
just
about
start
it,
talking.
I had a conversation with
Well,
a
yeah,
guy
you
about
did it in
cigars in
cigars.
his store.
Yeah.
I don't even know the dude's name.
y'all stood in the humidor for 20 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You disappeared. I didn't know where you went.
That's miserable.
I was sweating. I don't know what was going on. That's cool. I think we all have that story where you just sit and talk to somebody in the whiskey.
Yeah, it lasted. We were there. Me and my wife were there with my buddy Casey and his wife, and we were going to go to dinner. And I was like, let's just go run by there and see what's going on.
Right.
Again, not an employee, don't know anybody at Longhorn, and run into Brandon, and that turned into an hour-long conversation. And my friends were like, "Can we please
we got to
go?
go.
Can we go to dinner now?
I'm hungry.
I've seen everything a Longhorn has to sell."
My belly button is trying to eat my backbone. Can we go to dinner?
So we that's where it started, and when you meet the guy, he's very genuine. He's got a ridiculous collection of very nice whiskey, and I don't care about any of that.
Right.
But he's very grateful in sharing those bottles, and he's as much about building those.
As is Pat Bell.
Oh, Pat,
who's already offered to share a bottle.
Yeah,
Yes,
I don't want anybody to get jealous.
No, because we've got one of those in Ryan McGee
who will
that
share
does,
anything.
Right, and I'm Pat, Brandon. I could name 30 people right now that we get together and their friends are. Any of these guys going to pick my buddy Luke from up in Evadale. He's awesome. He's got
I love the fact that he mentions my hometown.
Right.
In the
I know you would, but you've got this personality about you because me and you didn't know each other. You didn't know me from Adam.
Yeah.
And you just start talking, and all of a sudden we're talking Cowboy Bourbon, Balmorea. We've got this store pick coming out. You're letting me try a bottle of Andalusia that you've got behind the counter that hasn't been released yet. We're doing this. You don't know me.
Yeah.
Well, the sad thing about it,
But you've got this personality that, and
talk about funny stories.
I didn't know who you were. I have no idea who you were at that time. You could have just been part-time Joe Blow making $7.25 an hour.
You still don't know who I am.
Well, sure. And you're right. I don't.
That was
I have
my
no
creepy voice.
right.
Did it not come through?
We may not have a show next week. But that's the whole thing. Is you've got this personality about you, and you've got this passion that recognizes passion. Because as much as somebody might make fun of me for picking up a bottle, holding it, and then putting it back on the shelf, and then walking out empty-handed, but you approached me, and we talked, and it just kind of grew from there. And,
I get it.
And I want to. Don't get me wrong. Would I like to be on the Pat Bell and Brandon level at some point? Yeah, I think that'd be
for sure.
If I were to get a random text message from you one day saying, "Hey, you need to come over and check this out," nobody doesn't want that.
Right.
Yes. I live in Needland. Can you drive 45 minutes?
I service stores in Needland, so I'm already there. I'll swing by in the middle of my work day.
We continuously go back to it. It's this community, this sense of family, this sense of you like what I like. I don't care what you're, and we say it all the time. We don't get into certain things on the show, and we won't talk about this, that, or the other, and we don't really give a shit.
Right.
To be completely honest with you, at the end of the day, it's this passion and this love and this. I don't care who you are, what you are, how you're doing it. We have something we can talk about.
Well, not just
and we
that.
can take everything else out of it. And at the end of the day, it's two dudes just talking about some shit.
You talk about funny stories, how people met. You know how you and I met. I walked out of Beaumont, and I was literally, I'd met my wife for lunch, still in uniform, Black Rifle Coffee Polo, and he's like, "Oh, I love that coffee. Do you have the bags?" And I'm like,
Can I have
don't
some?"
have the bags, but I have the ready to drink."
Yeah.
And then we got to talking, and it's like, "Hey, I do a podcast with my best friend, yada, yada, yada. We do whiskey, cigars, stuff like that." And he's like, "Oh, fantastic."
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And that's how Mike and I met.
Yeah.
Was literally because of a shirt I had on that said Black Rifle Coffee.
What
and
else?
I was walking out with cigars and an empty cigar box that I still keep in my truck.
Yeah. Coffee, whiskey,
Yes.
making new friends. That's my learning people's story.
That's what it's
Where
about.
they come from, what they're,
So-
how they got to whiskey.
I have a question, and it's a weird question,
Okay.
but I'm curious to what your answer is.
I'm curious to what
So-
your question is.
It's good. And you can answer this however you want.
We may be taking a break. So-
And commercial.
yeah.
It was probably our second actual conversation. That's when you handed me your business card, and you were like, "Hey, this is my cell phone number. Text me. I'll keep you up to date on barrel releases and da 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 da. We do a big thing." Well, I got home and I actually looked at your card. There's nothing on it other than your name. Longhorn Liquor, your name,
Yeah.
number, email address, blah blah. So my business card at work says Bucky Pender, Parts and Service Director, phone number, email address, You're missing something from that.
Yeah.
You don't have a title.
Yeah. We don't want you to know what I do.
Ooh.
No, it's not that. I think that, it started off my position at Longhorn. I came in, they initially were looking in the very infantile stages of this relationship. They were looking for a store manager. You hit on earlier, how do you end up from needling into Lumberton? I came into their business, I reached out to them and they quickly reached back out to me. I had a meeting with Mike and Dennis. I felt went really well. Obviously it did.
Clearly.
And that's where it started, and I had no idea what I was getting into. I was getting into a completely new world. But at that moment, I had a little bit of financial security as far as with COVID. Like, it did force me out of work.
Right.
But I don't want anybody feeling sorry for me like I was, eating ramen noodles and
Nothing wrong with little ramen.
no, there's nothing wrong with ramen noodles. But and so we had a meeting. That's really what they were looking for in that moment, and that's what I came on as, was the store manager of the Lumberton Longhorn Liquor. And then that was right as we were entering into that holiday season, which in the business is known as ON&D, which is October, November, December, which is where things get crazy.
Yes.
I mean, they
really
pick
do,
up.
because there's so many different whiskey releases.
Well,
whiskey releases.
He has the opposite effect of what I have, so we refer to it as the J months. So January, June, and July, you ain't selling jack because everybody's either recovering from Christmas or they're going on vacation.
Mm-hmm. And anything
yours is different than
anything after hunting season. I'm sitting on my thumb.
Yeah.
So November, December, January, February, I'm looking at the walls thinking,
what can I do, or can I get out of here?
I'm gonna go crazy, because that's the dead season in the boating industry.
Right.
I don't do nothing.
Yeah, so I think
That's why I end up at your store walking around for an hour.
Right.
So I'm like, I got nothing else to do.
Yeah.
And my wife hates me because I'm not even making commission checks.
Yeah. But I feel like I came in and performed at a level like I'd owned my own business. I treated their business like I would treat my own business.
Right.
Nice.
And so we developed a trust, I think, with each other, knowing that I was going to look out for them. And there's definitely a lot of good employees at Longhorn.
Oh, for sure.
A lot of knowledgeable employees. That's what I love about it.
Yeah,
There
and
are
I
a lot
think-
of knowledgeable employees.
Honestly, even if they weren't knowledgeable, just the way they treat you whenever you are there is awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
customer service.
And I like that, because I've mentioned it a couple times. Whenever I walk into the Lumberton store, was it James?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He makes
James.
fun of me now.
Yeah.
I like that's my kind
Yeah.
of people. You're sarcastic.
Well, even the
Yeah.
guy at
we're
Silsby,
talking.
he's
The guy here at
Oh,
Silsby.
Keith.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
Keith's
he the
awesome,
taller
man.
guy with the
Yeah.
shaved head?
Keith's awesome.
Love
He's
that
great.
dude.
Yeah.
I
there's
talk to him
times
every time
I
I
picked
come
up
in.
something and he's like, well, if you like that, you might want to try this. And I'm like, oh,
I ask him every time, because
Hey, Keith is an untapped. He likes whiskey.
I ask him every time. Hey,
He drinks
have
a
you
lot.
had this? What do you, what do you think?
He drinks a lot of different stuff.
And I ask him all the time because I picked up a few of the single barrel selects that y'all have, like the Wyoming. I got the Old Forester from there. I was like, hey, have you tried this one? Like, I need to know. He's like, no, I haven't tried this one, but let me know what it tastes like, because I need to try it. And,
Do y'all ever
but
go
I like
out?
the honesty too.
Yeah, no, for sure. And to touch on that real quick, I'm just going to promote Keith real quick because I love that guy so much. He runs our Silsby location.
Awesome.
If you've ever been
awesome,
out to like Winnie Trade Days, out in Winnie, obviously the kettle corn is somewhat famous out there. That's Keith.
okay.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did not know that.
Yeah, y'all get out to Winnie Trade Days whenever it comes around. Please go buy a bag
First
of kettle
weekend
corn.
following the first Monday.
That's
of the
it.
month.
Yes.
First weekend following the first Monday. But I was super stoked when like, oh, that's badass.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
can I get
That dude's awesome. I
he's-
talk to him every
he's
time I go
super
in the store.
Yeah.
Awesome dude. He's always treated me like
Yeah.
I was a number one customer, and I'm never going to admit that I'm a number one customer. I've got way too many points in y'all's point system thing.
I've got way too many points on our point system. That first year, I was like, I think I'm just working for whiskey.
That's what it is. I could legit be on y'all's payroll with the amount of points that I had. I've used them since.
Yeah.
Between 3 different bottles, I've used all of my points now.
Yeah.
But I had way too many. Y'all could have had me a paycheck waiting.
Well, that dynamic of coming from a collector's mindset and a drinker's mindset, and then you come to work for a place like Longhorn, and, you know, obviously you've got access to some stuff that you normally maybe wouldn't have as just a regular customer, and I'd get giddy about that.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, Mike, you mind if I buy this?
You mind if I buy it?
Yeah.
On my employee discount.
And now I could care less about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Really, the bottles that I'm really looking for and going after are stuff that most people aren't looking for or going after.
Let me kind of expand on that since you brought it up. I'm going to skip down a couple questions. Stuff that nobody's really looking for. There are things that you enjoy. What are some of the ones that you would list as a hidden gem that get looked over a little too much on your shelf at your store?
We're talking all whiskey?
Sure.
Probably at this point, it's hard to say that Balcones is underrepresented after they just got bought by Diageo.
Yeah.
That I still haven't heard a number on that, but I imagine it's massive.
I'm sure it is. I'm still hoping it's just a distribution deal, but
Yeah,
because they can help in their distribution nationally.
By far,
by far, and they were already distributing nationally.
And I know, but I'm hoping they get into markets that they weren't able to before.
Yeah,
like I said, we've talked about some of their stuff too. Trace Hombres,
oh yeah,
pretty
Was
good Balcones.
Well,
the Lineage, I love the Lineage. To me, that's very underrated in their lineup.
that is my go-to bottle to try to turn people onto that are interested in single malts,
Yes.
that are coming from
That's
a
what-
bourbon background.
Is the Lineage?
Is
That's
the
what
Lineage.
got me into the American single malt category, because it ended up winning our last year's March Madness tournament.
Yeah, the Sip and Smoke. Yeah.
We had a Sip and Smoke March Madness tournament,
And
Yeah.
Lineage won?
and Lineage won.
Well, the criteria
took a
was
lot
we
of
based it
convincing.
off of stuff that we
had
reviewed
already
on the
done.
show.
Yeah.
So it had to be something
So-
we did on the show. We
Yeah.
put together a bracket of I think it was like 16 or
It was
8.
like 8 whiskeys and 8
It
cigars.
started 8.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
Lineage ended up winning, but it took a lot of convincing from this man, as it should have been the winner.
Yeah.
But
Because,
the
I mean,
more
we
I-
compared it
the
with
more I
like
sat-
Chattanooga 111.
But the more
and
I
there
sat
was-
with it, the more I was like, okay, this is. 'cause
Yeah.
In my head, all I thought was Scotch.
Yeah.
But it's
But
total.
as I sat with it, as I
It's a
sipped
total
it, as I
different
it was really that. It was just there was something about it.
Yeah, so I think I got to Balcones just slightly before the Lineage came out. Again, my experience with Scotch, I used to coach select softball, and so we're on the road a bunch.
Okay.
And so when I'd get out of town, one of my first stops was...
I'm gonna take a stab. Mojo.
yeah.
Okay. I have my cousin's stepdaughter played for Mojo.
What's her name?
Destiny Trahan. She's a pitcher at UT
Oh, no.
Permian Basin.
She's at Permian Basin.
Yeah, she's at UTPB.
Destiny played for me for 1 year.
Yeah.
She
Small world.
Very small world.
She got into Mojo through my buddy Craig, who coached her quite a bit. She came up through Needland. Which,
yeah, she's a graduate from Neyland.
She is.
Go Dogs, by the way. You won't hear me say that a whole lot, but go Dogs.
Destiny's outstanding. Yeah, she's it is very small world.
Yeah.
I'm very close with her grandpa, Carol.
Yeah, Carol. Yeah, Carol's a good dude.
Yeah,
I like Carol.
so we're very close with Carol and love him to death.
Crazy.
And so, yeah, it's a small world.
Small world.
So, but every time I go to these tournaments, I find myself in whatever town. That's an opportunity to check out liquor stores.
Yep.
Of course.
So my daughter Chesney that chimed in on the chat earlier.
Chesney pour.
She was a softball player, so
Nice.
she sat in the car many times.
I'm sure.
It's going to be a minute.
Yeah, just give me a minute. I'll be real quick, honey.
It's like
Real
that
quick.
whole SpongeBob thing. 45
Yeah,
minutes
exactly.
later.
Yeah. And
She's calling. Dad, come on now.
Dad.
so I hate to do this, but my phone is blowing up.
No, you're
No,
right
you
now.
need
You
to
need
do
to take
it.
it. Yeah.
Let me grab this
Yeah,
call.
if you need to take it by
Yeah.
all means.
I'm gonna try to get out.
Will
of
y'all
the way.
survive without me?
Yeah.
Have y'all done this before?
Oh, we've done it
Oh,
before.
okay.
Yeah. By far, we've done it before.
I can't really get out.
Oh, that's okay. I can squeeze.
Fantastic. Nice.
So this has been fun.
Oh, it's been beyond fun. I love episodes like these where we
Yes,
dive
for
into the
sure.
whole.
But I mean,
Actual-
it's like I said, small world. There's been things that have been brought up that you see these guys
Well, I'm
and they're
sorry,
so
when-
associated with Longhorn. And you think this, that, and they're like, you run into Mike at the Dowling location,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, I can't talk to that guy. He's the owner. But you sit down with these people, and they're like, I'm just a whiskey connoisseur like you. I just
Right.
want to know about it.
That's really how it boils down
enjoy
to.
the distillery. I want to enjoy the experience.
And the sad thing about it, when he mentions select softball,
Can I see
and-
that one?
Can you see which one?
Your cutter, your just
Oh,
regular
yes.
cutter. I'm gonna relight.
Your cut and relight.
Yeah.
You're good. There's the light, by the way. But yeah, when he mentioned select softball and knowing he's from Nederland, I'm like, dude, you coach for Mojo, and he's like, what?
Excuse me?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a very small world. Very, very small world for sure. But that's
But I
what
mean, that puts me even, and it gets me even more excited about with Southeast Texas Whiskey Festival.
Oh, for sure, yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, to be able, for him to bring a bottle like the Four Roses, single barrel select, that's not even in a store.
Right.
That's something he didn't have to do.
No, for sure he didn't have.
And
to
I mean,
do it.
you have to take a moment to appreciate the fact that he's taking what we're doing seriously, and we need to take what we're doing seriously.
Well, it's kind of quote unquote for love of the game.
Right.
I think is what it is.
Right.
We all love the
Game-
whiskey game, and
respect
the
game.
yeah.
Well, I think you're almost out of butane.
I probably am.
Might be.
Yeah. And the sad thing about it is I can't find my
John, do you have
Land
a
Shark lighter. Think.
You good back there, buddy?
I fix it. You can tell John's like me. John's been up for a little bit
Yeah.
because I know I've been up since.
But I mean, that's
3:30. Yeah, you've been up since 3. I slept in a little bit today and got to work at 3:30.
he's back.
I'm back.
Yes, fantastic.
Everything okay? The store's not burning down.
No.
Okay.
How many people dropped because I left?
All of them.
I think
Literally
they
all of
dropped.
them.
Yeah, we're down to nothing.
It's kind of like if I were to go grab a couple bottles of Buffalo Trace and Weller and stick them on the table, we'd have 300 viewers.
Yeah, there you go. So,
It's
do
all
y'all
about
want
what
to
you
move
have in
into
the background.
another
Yeah,
sample?
I was going to actually
Absolutely.
ask if you have something else for us to
Yeah, let me dig around.
dick around or dig around.
I think you
Dig
said
around.
dig around.
Oh.
So, okay. I wanted to finish this bottle tonight. Does John drink whiskey too?
Would you like a?
What is that?
This is
Excuse me, sir.
Rebel Yell.
What do you have in your hand?
This is a very old bottling from
I
Rebel
see
Yell.
that.
A little story. I don't.
Yes, please give a story behind that one.
My buddy Cody.
That is not the normal bottle.
No,
by
it is
the way.
not. No, we've seen it. 'Cause we've done the Rebel.
Rebel
actually.
100.
Yeah,
Rebel
well, you can see
100.
the tax stamp still on it, and
Oh wow.
so that's what the bottle looks like. So sorry, I'm getting away from the mic here. And
you're-
now
No,
there's a
you gotta
box
do-
under your foot.
It's fine.
Look at
okay.
that bottle.
I know.
So Cody, we met through. He lived in Georgia, went to college over there. Got into Texas music.
Okay.
At one point, and just picked up and moved from Georgia to Southeast Texas.
Interesting.
And me and Cody became friends, and he lives in Lockhart right now,
Okay.
in the barbecue capital of the world.
You gotta love
and-
Lockhart.
And he come by one day after I got into whiskey, obviously, and brought that box. This bottle was completely
Yeah,
unopened.
you can see where it has the Georgia stamp on it.
Yeah. And he said, I used to work for a liquor store back when I was in college. This was hanging around in the back. It was the only one. It had a lot of dust on it, and was like, damn, I think somebody probably find that cool one day.
I think they
Yeah,
wrote, I
I
think they
think
wrote a
they
song
would.
about dust on the bottle, didn't they?
Yeah, David, Michael Montgomery? No, that was John Michael
what's-
Montgomery.
No, what's
God.
that guy?
I don't
So
care
you
who
had
it
a little
is.
whiskey,
That,
and I start combining country singers.
that
Yeah,
is.
I know who you're talking
I
about.
wish
Yeah.
It's
I wish
David
somebody
something.
would offer me a bottle because
David Lee
That's
Murphy.
beautiful.
David Lee Murphy.
That's who it is.
Yeah. I just
That is
combined
so
a couple
cool.
people.
Yeah,
No big deal. Yeah.
John Michael Montgomery, David Lee,
It's close.
John Brown.
Might be a little dust on the bottle.
So yeah, he walks in year and a half, 2 years ago. He comes through. He'll go to New Orleans, go to Georgia, and he'll come stay at the house.
Nice.
And he's like, man, he said, I've been carrying this around from move to move and just throwing it in the closet.
Never
Figured
opened.
Somebody never opened. He said, I figured you'd like this.
Is it
And
corked
so-
or is it screw top?
It's a screw top.
That's about right.
And The cool thing about this bottle is just the age of it, you
Oh,
know, and
for
it's
sure,
and
yeah.
there's a lot of, I mean, this
There's history
isn't-
in that bottle.
There's
But
a lot of history in that bottle.
This one was probably bottled, 30 years ago, somewhere in the
Well,
neighborhood
that's what's
of that.
yeah, because that's what's interesting to me because it said I can see it from here, distilled and bottled by Rebel Yell Distillery, which isn't even a thing anymore.
No, yeah, it's help me out here, Lux Row.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
Well, sorry.
yeah, I've been there.
He was gonna get there.
He was gonna get there.
So, look, this isn't a whiskey that
But what-
I have, and I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. You're not gonna, but it's part of history.
Well, yeah, that's
And,
where because
you know,
they don't even let's be honest, that label and that
It's
verbiage
beautiful.
that doesn't even exist anymore.
So,
Like literally, when you see it, it just says Rebel. That's
the
it.
last pour we had
They had to
was
get rid of your Rebel Yell.
Well,
the honey barrel. Oh, he just poured water in his. But did you already rinse yours
I
out?
did twice actually.
Oh, okay, because one of my favorite things is usually
Which
when
I'll
me and my
actually
wife
do it-
drink the honey
I'll actually
barrel,
do a third rinse.
it's
just
the
to make
last
sure.
pour of the night.
Right.
And we'll set our Glencairns by the sink, and the next morning you can go pick it up and smell it.
Still smells like
Straight honey.
It's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that with.
Right.
I've got.
Here, smell. Just take a whiff. See if you.
I can still pick it up
Yeah.
even with the water in mine.
Yeah.
But I did that because you get to a point in the night where you're just like set it up there.
Yeah.
For my birthday, I got Garrison Brothers Honeydew,
Another one of my wife's favorite bottles.
and I just did. I just set my Glencairn up there after I tried it, and the next morning you pull,
Still smell of honey.
you see that the brown sitting on the bottom that's dried up, but you're like, I gotta know.
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh, hello,
Yes, hello.
that's beautiful.
Yeah. So where's that triple torch?
I
light
think the
this thing back
triple is actually out
Oh.
of.
is it-
Yes. So you're gonna have to
You're gonna
get
have to
really
use a
close to it, but
single-
you can use that.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not as strong.
So.
So are we gonna
I'll tell
get a
you
little
what,
pour of this?
You
Oh,
do
don't
the,
make me do that.
So do you want to
do
cut
the
and
honor.
relight?
Huh?
You,
You
want
wanna
to cut?
cut and
You can
relight,
cut.
you can cut
if you
the
cut a
ends
little
and
bit
have
off,
this- there you
you
go.
won't get that burnt tobacco-y.
Yeah.
There you go. You're getting into a little fresher tobacco.
Yeah, we'll go a little.
I,
Hey, we'll go a little deeper.
just a little bit deeper.
Just a little bit.
I mean, it's already long. Like I said at the beginning, it's already really long.
Yeah.
I feel bad because you're really close to the end of that bottle. and I
No,
didn't
that's why
really
I'm trying.
Oh no! Seriously, the reason I brought that is I wanted to finish it here.
Okay.
Oh dang! Are you
Yeah.
sure?
I'm
Well,
dead
pour
serious.
him a little bit, and
Yeah,
then
I'll pour him a little
and then
bit.
you can equal me to you.
Okay.
I'm not gonna feel bad about it now. It's kind
No,
of like
no,
that
no.
last cigarette in a pack. You're like, oh no, man, I'm not taking it.
Yeah. If somebody offers it to me, I'm taking it.
Right? Exactly. No, man, I got another pack. You're good.
Yeah.
Look at that bottle.
I know, it's amazing. I love the history behind the bottle. I was trying to see because like sometimes you can look and see like it'll say like copyrighted blah blah blah. I was looking for that on this
And
bottle.
it's still back then that bottle. It's still a weeded bourbon, correct? Mm-hmm. They've always been a weeded.
As far as I know, it was actually pretty hard to find some information on that one.
I can imagine.
Just because it went back so long. There was
Right.
one website I came across that did like you could post old bottles and they would do like digging the history
Right.
of it. Yeah.
So I've always heard.
Very
No,
good.
Well, that was a deep puff on that last one.
If you ain't choking, you ain't tugging.
Oh,
my friend.
man.
That's the way we look at it.
yeah.
so I've always heard a bottle that's mostly full will sit for at least a couple years before it starts to lose any kind of flavor. This bottle obviously is older than I am at this point. Mm-hmm. If I'm looking at it and thinking about it correctly, it's probably older than I am. Do you still feel like it's got the flavor that it should, or do you think it's...
This one's hard because you still got to remember. I mean, this only got opened maybe a year and a half ago.
The only
So-
year I see on this is 1974,
Yeah. So
which makes it older than I am.
yeah, and again, like I had.
Which we don't really get a whole lot of those on this
No.
show because I'm the elder statesman of this room.
Yeah, that was a year before I was born. So, but This is one, it'd be hard for me to compare it back to when I did a fresh crack on it. I mean, obviously, that was a long time ago. To be completely honest with you, this is something that I definitely wouldn't grab it. This is just strictly the history
a fun
and
one.
a fun one.
Yeah.
Like something, you guys
so
obviously love
It's very
whiskey.
good, though. I'm not going to lie. For it being
I'm not
as-
going to. What's the proof on it?
90.
It's very similar to the Rebel 100 that we did
Oh.
recently.
Interesting. Yeah, I get a little cinnamon. Like off
Yeah,
of
I get
There's
that. I
something-
get that too.
but
Just it's very faint though for me.
it. Yeah.
It's very faint cinnamon.
To me, there's not a ton going on here. It's just,
It almost just tastes.
but it's not
a lot like
offensive
bourbon.
or
No,
anything
it's
like
not
that.
offensive or
Yeah.
abrasive or anything like that. It's
Yeah.
very mellowed.
Yeah, very mellowed. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, there's that.
The
what you
coloration's
would
very
expect, typical
mellow-
corn
yeah.
sweetness. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot to it. It's not complex. It's not offensive. It's not. That's
Yeah.
what I think. That's what reminds me of Rebel 100. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a weeded whiskey. You know what to expect, and that's what you're going to drink.
But I love the fact that it literally is. I love the history behind it.
Yeah.
Like the bottle, because they don't even really use this kind of labeling
Nobody
anymore.
does it.
Nobody
Well,
does.
And don't get me, I don't want to quote any years here, but at
Right.
one point, Rebel Yell actually had a Confederate flag on their label
Oh, okay.
and then had to, I guess, maybe
was a
through
complete-
pressure, removed it.
Yeah. What was it like 3-ish years ago? They completely did away with the Yell.
Yeah, they dropped
because
the
it was-
Yell
Yeah,
within
now it's just
Rebel
Rebel.
Yell.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
But
Rebel 100.
I've heard nothing but great things about everything above what you normally see on a shelf. The Rebel cast strength, the 10-year, the Distiller Select. I mean,
Yeah,
everything
those Distiller
above
Selects are,
everything above Rebel, just the plain Rebel is awesome.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So that was interesting. So I'm glad that we could kill that bottle.
It's very good. It's
Yeah.
very
Oh.
mellowed.
I'm extremely excited that you brought it and that you let us try it and you
I
let us.
know, because I'm
you let
like,
us kill
I'm
the
sitting there
bottle
looking
with
at
you.
it, and I'm like, man,
That's nothing. I mean, not ever would I expect or ask a guest to do something like that on the show with
oh,
a bottle
for sure,
like that.
yeah, with a bottle
You pull
that
out an old Dusty,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
and you're doing it to show it off a little bit.
Yeah, that's a flex.
Flexing hard.
Yeah.
I like it. He's like, that's a flex.
So I mean, if you've got something else you want to share,
Yeah, so
go ahead.
So I just brought a little collection, and no intention of going through all of them, but I actually heard John talking earlier, and y'all talking about y'all's affinity for Jameson and like Irish whiskey, and so
He's perking up.
yeah, I wanted to go to a little, I love Irish whiskey. One of my favorites over there is
Yeah.
obviously Redbreast.
Yeah,
and
I've heard tons. I haven't had Redbreast, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about, like, even the Redbreast 12. It's just like the go-to if you're going to drink an Irish whiskey. That's the one you need to drink.
I would say those are the like the Green Spot or those, but
Yeah, the spots I've heard a lot of good things about.
yeah. So we just had I think it was Whiskey Advocate that just released their list of the top 20 whiskeys for
Okay.
2022. This was number 2 on the list.
Really?
So this was a limited release from Redbreast. It's called the Kentucky Oak Edition,
Interesting.
and so it's
Is there an age on this one, or?
it's proofed at 101. I'll tell you what. I'll let one of y'all look at the boxes.
So, as you kind of do
Yeah.
that, and I know it's not Scotch, but if I'm not mistaken, you said you were a little bit of a Scotch drinker, correct?
I think I'd like to call myself a single malt
So,
drinker.
and that's kind of where I'm going with this. Is you've mentioned it quite a bit actually tonight, the
Yeah.
single malt thing. So that's kind of my thought. Is American single malt, which I guess technically is our competitor to the Scotch market, is that kind of the new hot thing? Because Jack Daniel's released a single malt,
about to.
or
Yeah.
I'm sorry, about
Yeah.
to release a single malt.
It's coming.
It's coming. So, obviously, Balcones is doing single malt, and they've been doing it for a little while. Andalusia, which we brought up a few times, is doing a single malt. It seems like all these companies are now all of a sudden into this whole single
Yeah.
malt thing. Is that the new hot thing?
Yeah. So I'm just going to show y'all. I probably won't get to this bottle
No, no,
tonight,
no.
but to kind of show y'all
Yeah.
one of our recent store picks that we did.
I don't see any age statement on this box, by the way.
Okay, there's no big deal about that.
So this is a beautiful bottle. I love presentation
Yes.
as well.
That is a very beautiful bottle.
Yeah, I like the cuts on the glass there. I love the
Sure.
little
The embossed copper almost.
And so we picked this one. Me and Mike picked this one in store with the Westward rep.
That is an interesting combination. The fact that it's a single malt and it's a Pinot Noir.
Yeah, Pinot Noir cask finish. So 123.5 proof.
Okay.
So we've had some high proofs and had some whiskey. I just wanted Westward out of Oregon, somebody else that's really starting to emerge in the
Nice.
single malt category. We carry their complete core line, but really proud of this bottle. Just again, it has everything I'm looking for. It's got a nice finish on it.
Okay.
It's a single malt. It's got some proof on it. Something a little different. You know, I do gravitate towards those Texas single malts, but to get something from the Pacific Northwest puts a little bit in.
I always love how the fact that like Pacific Northwest whiskey kind of tastes different to me. Because I think it has a lot to do with the climate. Because Pacific Northwest, it rains all the damn time.
Yeah.
So it's mellowed compared to what we're used to as far as that.
Yeah.
Because like you said it before, Texas whiskey has a bite.
That was a good one.
That was
That was a
actually
very good one.
I didn't even do it on
You
the
were-
mic.
And that's an already open bottle.
I know, right?
Would y'all like to?
Yeah.
a little
Oh,
sample?
absolutely.
We're taking that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's like,
Yes.
I'm getting down on that one.
So do you feel like an American single malt can compete in that Scotch category?
I think
And there's going to be a lot of people that get upset about it.
I think
mean, you can ruffle feathers all you want, because I've said it before. I mean, you
some
can't
of
call it Scotch, but it basically is.
it's definitely a very
I love the fact. I love the
fast
coloration.
growing emerging category. Great story about Westward, the bottle that I just pulled up. When we had a conversation with them, they were actually at the forefront of making American single malt a category legally. And then they just accomplished that this year, and so now American single malt is recognized as that category of whiskey, and it's probably the fastest growing category. It's hard for me to measure that because you still have a ton of independent bottlers that are sourcing barrels from MGP or that are putting out a lot of bourbon or rye. Just a lot of same bourbon or rye that we've maybe had in other bottles that the labels change. But as far as a category, you do have your Scotch purist.
Yes,
That they only drink Scotch. But I think that it is growing. One of my great friends from Lumberton, he's a great customer of ours. Mark, he was on the Balcones pick with us. He's
not an insurance agent, is he?
No,
Okay.
no.
I know a guy from
Mark.
No, I know a guy from Lumberton. His name is Mark, but he's an insurance agent. He's oddly enough the guy I bought my bass boat from.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna sit here and smell this.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So
I'm curious on something. I need you to do me a favor. I need you to pull the 18-year-old Jameson out of the cooler because I want to see something.
So white grapes.
I get that on the nose.
Okay. I like where you're going with that.
I get it. It's a viney fruit. I get that. But here's what I'm curious about.
Color distinction.
Yeah.
It's almost identical. Like literally, if you look at 18-year-old Jameson, and I'll kind of show the folks at home, which I don't know if they can see it. The 18-year-old Jameson and the red breast that I have in the Glencairn, very similar in flavor. Thank you, sir, by the way.
See,
So-
that's the flavor on the palate that I can't ever figure out on Irish.
I literally just bought this bottle 6 hours ago.
Really?
So, sorry, Jamie. Well,
He's like, sorry, Jamie.
I take that back. Hey, edit this out. I did not buy that
No,
bottle.
you've had it for a while.
Yeah, I've had it for a long time.
I've had this bottle for a while.
Yeah.
man.
It's been in my
That's my
vehicle.
go-to.
Yeah, it's been in my vehicle.
I've had this one for a while. You just hadn't noticed it.
Yeah. But, just something a little different.
I love the
So I'm curious
coloration of it.
because I've got the Glendalough that we did.
Yeah.
It's an Irish whiskey.
That's the one
I've
with
had-
Touchdown Jesus.
Touchdown Jesus.
Yeah, that's our first grape.
Obviously, I've had Jameson and Jameson Black Barrel, which
You mean that one?
It wasn't that one.
It
but
wasn't
yes,
that one?
It's Touchdown Jesus.
Yeah.
We had the
He
lighter, the
flexed them
sky
hard.
blue label.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Single
I can't
cast.
remember
That's
which
the.
one it is.
I want to
Hard
say that's a 13-year. No,
I don't
not that
think
old.
so. I think it was maybe the double oak.
They've got a lot of similar. Oh, okay, double oak.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah.
Man, that
Okay.
is
But
good.
there's a something in an Irish
really
that I
good.
always I can't place it. So I'm curious of what you find on the palate.
Yeah.
Because Irish is hard for me. You give me a bourbon, you give me a whiskey, an American whiskey, and we can talk it all day long. We can talk it through. We can probably bounce off of each other. But an Irish, I can't. I don't know what it is.
I've always thought that Irishes, or at least a lot of the ones that I've tried, tend to have somewhat of a, and I haven't, kind of a, I had to say biscuity or like a bread type
Okay.
note to it. This one's a little different because it did have that Kentucky oak finish, so
Yeah.
it's
Right.
got a little bit more, barrel influence on it. Where
It's got
a lot
a little
of
more bite to it too than
Well,
most Irish whiskeys to me.
a lot of your scotches and Irish whiskey, they use used barrels
Yeah.
for a reason.
Right.
And so when you're using a used barrel, it's given up a lot of what it's going to give up into that first fill. And so when you've got a second fill going into it, say if it's scotch,
You good, buddy?
You wanted to kill the rebel yell to make room, according to your. I'm assuming that's your wife.
yeah, that's my wife.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah,
That bottle's been there for a while, honey. Dang.
Yeah.
You don't even know.
this is the.
That's surprisingly smooth, is what it is.
I would say the last 3 months is the first time in 3 years that there's been a decline in the number of bottles. Just because I've realized at this point, I've honed in on what I'm really looking for.
Yeah.
Where before, early on, it was like anything, everything.
Yeah.
And so, just for my personal preference, I always will love bourbon. I'm
Yeah.
not.
So you pretty much have gravitated. I don't know if you watched last week's show or not, but you literally went from like the dude to like the certified G.
Are you the certified G?
I feel like he's there because he's like, I've honed in on what I got. I mean, obviously, we're
Well-
partaking in many different.
Right.
I think when you watch an episode like even what we're doing right now, or especially when you get on YouTube on some of these influencers, remember that this whole experience, everything we're doing right now, whatever experience you may be having at home right now, that's all subjective.
It's all
Right.
subjective,
It's
and we
very-
say it all
yes,
the time.
very
It's
subjective.
so. This is so subjective. Mm-hmm. And I said it even when we did and I brought it up earlier, the Jim Beam Double Oak. I don't enjoy that. I found black licorice from start to finish, but there's somebody out there that loves the shit out of that.
Well,
one.
not just that. Hey, apparently barley is the new sourdough.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
and barley
barley's
is the new sourdough.
sourdough.
You said pickles in a weird tasting that we did. I mean, don't ever take what I say as gospel.
No, because
Yeah.
we say it all the time. Your palate is different than my palate.
I'm fruity.
Different than Mike's
I'm
palate.
fruity.
Different
You're
than
earthy.
John's palate.
I get more fruit on this one.
See, I get
See,
more.
and I drink once it hits my palate, like I said, white grapes on the nose.
Yeah.
Once it hits my palate, I lose all. I have no idea what that is.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's
No
I get
clue
that
what
too.
that is.
Well, and
We're gonna go for number 3, by the way.
oh
We've set a record, people.
yeah.
We're gonna catheterize you for the next episode.
That's fine.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. I hear that's kind of painful. I've never been that way, but I hear it's kind of painful.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, you and me both. I've had kidney stones twice, and I can tell you right now, that's about as rough as I want to get. But this is surprising. For this to be Kentucky oaked, it changes because I like, for me, like I gravitate everything because I was kind of spoiled. My brother turned me on to 18-year-old Jameson, which
Right.
is sitting in the cooler right now to my left. This is a total different flavor profile than what that is because of the Kentucky oak factor in it.
Yeah, and I think it was John earlier that mentioned the Jameson Black.
Yeah, the black
which
barrel.
They changed that and they aged it in a bourbon
Right.
barrel, and so I think you're seeing a little bit of that. What did you think? Did you like it? Yeah.
Do you?
Oh, he was like, yeah.
Yeah. I find Irish whiskey, especially
So-
some of the red breasts that tend to
But
be.
that's what I've heard, and I'm not a huge Irish whiskey fan, But from what I've heard, if you're going to get into it, or if you're an Irish whiskey enjoyer, Redbreast is that brand you need to gravitate
Redbreast
toward.
is, I know from.
Like Redbreast 12 is on so many
Oh, yes.
lists.
Yes.
Because you see them all the time, the top 5 this,
To
top
me,
5 that.
yeah,
I
This
kind
is
of
my
liked
list
it,
of-
and y'all have it in your store actually in Lumberton. Powers was actually pretty good. I had it
Yeah.
this past weekend
Yeah.
along with Noble Oak because we were back and forth between.
I guess my last question for you is, speaking of Irish whiskeys, how did you feel about Proper 12?
Oh, come on.
So
Why? Why?
let me give a little bit of backstory
Conor
here.
McGregor will first of all kick your ass.
My
Like, not
favorite,
even funny.
my favorite sport to consume is UFC.
Really?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Right.
My guy.
More than anything.
Okay.
I got. In fact, there's a bottle share going on tomorrow night that I've been invited to. This is like the 4th time. I haven't made it yet, and I really want to go tomorrow because I like these guys a lot. But there's UFC tomorrow night. And it's like I'm probably not going because I want to watch UFC. So,
Man, I caught myself watching the replay of the Brock Lesnar Shane Carwin fight.
oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So to answer your question, and this is me personally, and this may not be politically correct from somebody that runs a liquor store, I'm a little bit skeptical of celebrity-backed whiskeys.
We say it all the time.
All the
Yeah.
time.
I like, to me, and another thing that makes me skeptical is when you see really crazy bottle designs.
Yeah.
Like just something like, I'm sorry, I'm not one bourbon that I'm not a fan of at all
Stillhouse.
is Willet.
the
pot
Willet
still.
Pot Still. It's
Okay,
one of the
yeah.
top 5 worst whiskeys you can drink.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stillhouse. If you've ever seen
Stillhouse,
it's
yeah.
an old oil can
Yeah,
looking
like the old
bottle,
gas
black.
can looking,
Yeah.
Or the ones that do it looks like a barrel.
Yeah.
Weird, crazy, yeah.
Weird, crazy bottle.
I'm with you on
Well,
that one.
they had the whole, like the Cooperstown, which came in like a baseball. Or,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Any of those I just get a little bit skeptical about because like, are you
it's a good one.
trying to use something to sell that whiskey besides the juice that's
'Cause
in
I-
the
Yeah, because
I'll-
if you
I'll
notice,
admit-
like prime example, we're talking about Proper 12. Proper 12 has the same tiger's head that Conor McGregor has tattooed on his damn chest, for God's
Right.
sake.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was on purpose.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I get it, but at the same time, I kind of trek with what Mike's getting at is the fact that
But as a,
what are you
and I'll
hiding?
admit, as a baseball fan, every time I walk into, I'll just say it as the big liquor store chain store in Beaumont.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have that bottle, the baseball bottle.
Yeah.
As a
Yeah, yeah,
baseball fan, I'm like, do
Well,
I
yeah,
want
it's
to
a
buy
ba-
that?
Yeah.
Should I buy that one just to have it on my shelf?
You shouldn't.
Because they have it. Dude, right, exactly. But that's the thing is,
Yeah.
it makes you think, like, I'm a baseball fan.
Yeah,
I like
right.
baseball. I want to go to Cooperstown.
Yeah, you're buying it for another reason besides, the juice that's in the bottle.
Right.
Right.
And
I'm not
so-
buying it to
and-
enjoy what's in that.
And I'm not
buying it 'cause
trying
it's pretty.
anything to be, I'm not saying this to be dogmatic like that. All of them are like that. There's definitely some celebrities that have put a lot of passion into the product that they're
Yeah,
trying
I've
to
heard
release.
a lot of interesting
Now-
reviews on Brad
Okay,
Paisley's new
so here's-
one that's kind of about
Yeah, American
Alan
Highway.
Jackson.
Well,
Yeah,
here's
Alan
one
Jackson's
for you
got
because
one.
it sells for way too much, in my opinion. Because I'm never going to try it at that price.
Sweetens Cove.
Sweetens Cove, Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
It's,
Andy Roddick.
It's $199.99.
Yeah.
Because I saw it at the Dowling location.
Yeah, they have it. Yeah. I've never tried
Why?
it. I don't.
Is it because it's Peyton Manning?
Well, so let's ask
I'm just
ourselves: do
curious.
we think Peyton Manning cares about making whiskey?
No.
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 Andy Roddick, tennis player. If y'all
Right.
don't know Andy Roddick, yeah, he was involved with that. Do we
Huge
think he
tennis
cares about? Yeah, huge
tennis
tennis
show.
fan. Yes.
Last week we were a huge soccer show, by the way.
Oh, right.
Yeah. America had moved
the
on.
week before we were hockey.
Right, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we go through phases.
Yeah.
It gets me like I'm so jaded sometimes. Like with the World Cup. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't stand soccer.
No.
Let's be honest. I
I
can't.
don't like soccer either, but,
But
we
like
were
every 4 years,
Right.
or in this case, 8 years.
right.
Yeah.
We were soccer
Everybody
fans.
like- yeah.
Yeah,
we were
everybody's a
soccer fans.
soccer fan, yeah.
Yeah.
Until the U.S. got beat out. And
Right.
Then we're,
and
then we're like,
U.S. is knocked out. Nobody talks about it.
Yeah. My problem, like, it's not even soccer. There's a new documentary out on Netflix called about FIFA.
Oh, okay.
And the corruption.
And the corruption and all the, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, I don't know. The level of corruption make me like, I don't know. But, hey, it's a big deal. It's probably the biggest sporting event in the world.
It is.
Yeah.
So I'm curious on, because you're the more the sportsy guy of this show than what I am. So I saw today going through our Facebook feed, Breckenridge apparently did a Broncos collaboration thing.
Oh.
Well, they're out of Colorado.
I get they're out of Colorado, but at the same time, do you feel that is kind of the quote-unquote celebrity thing, even though it represents a whole organization?
In my opinion, I'm sure it's to have a fan buy a bottle.
Okay.
Because if you look at it, Woodford Reserve does a holiday edition bottle.
Right.
It's just their regular Woodford Reserve, but it's a special golden sparkly label.
Right.
Woodford Reserve does a Kentucky Derby bottle.
Right.
It's just their regular plain Jane bourbon.
Maker's Mark does an Astros dip.
Yes.
Who else? Smoke Wagon does a Christmas, a Halloween, an American bottle.
Okay.
It's just their plain Jane regular
Smoke Wagon.
small batch bourbon. It's to get people to buy it. Because honestly, I looked for the Halloween bottle whenever we were doing our Halloween show.
Okay.
I wanted to have the bottle. I wanted for us to be able to do it and say, look, it's our Halloween one. I've looked for the Christmas one because Christmas is coming up.
Right.
I'm not gonna. It's a gimmick, but it's something to get somebody to buy a bottle. Okay. The night the Astros won the World Series, I bought the Jim Beam Houston Astros edition bottle.
Yeah.
Because they had won the World Series.
Right.
And I didn't. That bottle stayed closed until they won this World Series.
Yeah.
So 5 years.
Yeah, I think the bottle
So
you
it
bought was
stayed
what, 2017?
2017.
Okay, yeah.
So it stayed closed from 2017 to 2022.
Yeah.
And then I fresh cracked it on a Facebook Live and bottle chugged a little bit of it.
Yeah.
And I kept it for that reason.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
it had
Absolutely.
the Astros on it, and I wanted it for that reason.
Yeah.
I've got a bottle of vodka sitting on my shelf that's never been opened from Effin Vodka that I've never heard of, never had, never tried, but it's got the Astros logo on it, and I bought it after they won the World Series.
I know what bottle you're talking about. Yeah.
But that's why I bought it. And that is what makes people gravitate toward those bottles.
Nice.
Yeah, kind of from more of a memorabilia standpoint than just trying to judge it based upon the whiskey that's in the bottle.
Right.
And I like
I apologize because we have a liquor store person on the show, and I want people to buy those bottles. I don't want to steer anyone away from it because I'm pretty sure I've seen the Kentucky Derby bottle on y'all's show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I don't want to steer anybody away from it by saying it's their normal bourbon, but it is. But it's a fun commemorative bottle.
Yeah, for sure. And some people, and it's a different sticker every year.
That's a sticker.
And so that makes it collectible.
Right.
And so people do collect every year's release. Right. And so that's fine. It's still Woodford Reserve.
Right.
In the bottle. They didn't change anything. A horse didn't piss in it, to make it any different.
You mean to tell me he didn't drink the whiskey and then piss it out?
Right.
What was the coffee we talked about where cats were pooping it
cats.
out?
Yeah.
The Cope Loire.
Yeah, their cat's pooping it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was
that's not what's happening.
The Asian palm cavette cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
The Kentucky Derby winner didn't drink the whiskey and then pee it out. It's not in that bottle. Don't think it's that.
Yeah.
But it's fun to have it. I'll admit that. It's fun to have it.
I guess to wrap that question with the celebrity aspect, I think it's all of them are bottles that deserve to be tried. And if you like it,
if you like it, great.
Yeah.
If you don't,
some
then
of it, Dana White, love him. Okay. Love Dana White. He came out with Howlerhead, which is a banana infused whiskey. That is not my. I mean, just the description of it is not my cup of tea.
Howlerhead, banana flavored whiskey.
Yeah. So I've yet to buy a bottle.
I've looked at it.
Yes.
It's a fun looking bottle.
I feel like if you got a Howlerhead, you might as well howl at the
but at
moon
the
like
same time-
a damn whiskey wolf, quote unquote.
Yeah.
God.
Which is the name of Jason Aldean's new whiskey.
Whiskey Wolf? I did not know that.
Oh.
Howl at the Moon.
Howl-
Well, I know Howl at the Moon
Yeah.
is a
Well,
piano
Howl at the
bar
Moon is
that
a
we've
piano
all
bar.
been to.
Yeah, but
I didn't
At
know
some
that.
point.
let's see his newest.
But
Interesting.
Yeah, y'all
Nice.
just keep talking. No
very
problem.
nicely
Yeah.
done. What was the other? Dang it! I lost track of what I was. Your brother,
Yes.
Rhett, introduced me to Twisted Tea.
Yes.
So I immediately, as soon as I saw it on a shelf, I bought a bottle of the Twisted Tea whiskey.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
I needed to try it.
It's a novel-
I
yeah,
wanted
it's a
to know. It was
novelty
a
thing.
novelty thing. It was
Right.
I'll try it. Why not?
When that bottle
Tastes
hit
like
the
doo-doo,
shelves, I knew immediately, like,
Because it's like $12.99.
it's about to fall off the
Yes.
shelf.
It
Yeah.
is.
By
Well,
far.
yeah. I mean, they're curious.
Yeah.
You gotta know.
Whiskey just the word whiskey carries
Right.
this connotation
It's
with
like
it.
Fireball whiskey. It's not
Yeah.
whiskey. It's cinnamon liqueur.
Yes.
That's what they need to
Like,
rename it as.
What are you drinking? I'm drinking whiskey.
Whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
You're
means
not.
you got
You're
hair on
drinking
your
fucking
chest
Fireball.
and you got a big penis, you know? Like,
But I drink it out of this cool little cup. But it looks so cool whenever I have whiskey in my Glencairn and I
you're
have to hold it so
squishing it.
delicately.
Delicately, and you're
And I'm
squishing
swishing it.
Yeah.
yeah.
This doesn't look manly. Nothing
No.
about this looks manly.
No. And I do it all the
As I
time.
look so seductively into the camera.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
You kind of made it look cool.
I
try. I try really hard. All right, so I'm curious. Do you have anything else in there that we need to try?
So I really, man, this one.
He's like, man.
Man, listen.
So,
What else do I have?
yeah, you got any more questions?
All right, so let's do this one real quick, and if you can pop them off pretty quick. This is kind of part of the rapid, whenever I did cheapest and all that. Can you rank your whiskey choice? Like, so for me, it would be like bourbon, Texas whiskey, just American whiskey, and then Canadian and Scotch would be super last. So
Okay.
in order of kind of what they are.
Okay. I'll just use American single malt to. Well, I'll start with Balcones at the top, and the only reason I say that but they do so many different.
And there's so many
whiskeys.
different expressions,
Yeah.
right?
Right,
I understand
like-
that one.
There's not many people putting out straight corn whiskeys.
No.
And so I find like as I try to hide the label from him, I'm just turning it towards you. So
My
this
face
is,
just turned red.
This is another yet to be released.
God
pick.
dang it.
Interesting.
Okay. Okay, we'll do it.
I'm thinking we may be looking at next weekend for this one. Again, everybody
Good,
knows.
I don't work.
I don't work weekends, period.
I have to work
That's a prerequisite in my job choices. Do you work weekends?
I work
no, I do
tomorrow.
not.
I work
Fantastic.
tomorrow.
I'm hired.
So me and my buddy Brandon and
You work
and-
tomorrow? Sucks to be you.
Oh yeah, I'm off tomorrow.
So am I.
Nathan,
Both of y'all.
we went out to Balcony. This was part of one of our
Oh,
selections
so
out
Brandon
there.
this is the one Brandon was telling me about.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably so.
Okay.
And we started just like Balcones is a completely different animal to
God,
go
we
back
gotta
into
get out there.
into the process. Like in Kentucky, you got these barrels that are kind of pre-pulled and prepared for you
Right.
to try. We were literally walking through their rick house with a
Saying
wine
that one,
thief, and just like, hey, y'all want to try? Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Drill into the bung, pull it out, and then dump the wine thief in there. And
Wow.
then we had 4 people, and they're just, I mean, it was incredible.
I,
And
it's,
it's like,
it's funny he mentions that because I know when I went to Texas Tail before they moved to their location on post office, when they did what was it? I told you about it. They literally tapped it right there in
Yeah.
front of me.
Yeah.
Like they tapped it.
That's
they
the-
filled
that's
my
so
glass
fun.
and said, hey, try this. And I'm
Giant
like,
Texas in Houston did
Yes.
that for me.
Yeah.
That was so fun. That's
Yeah.
one of the coolest experiences when they're like, do you want to try it?
yeah.
And they're like, okay.
Yeah.
so I
Did you
don't-
just do that?
Yeah. I'm freaking out.
and I don't know if it came up before we started, went live or since then, but we're kind of asking my like affinity with the high proof. And it's a completely unadulterated whiskey. It's just, they put it in a barrel. This is what the proof ended up being.
Yeah.
And we're not tasting it watered down.
Right.
we can always water, and there's people come in, oh, no, I don't like high proof. Well, you can
But
take
you
high
can-
proof whiskey and add some
Yeah, you
ice
can
or
add
add some
ice,
water.
yeah.
I can drop a little bit of water in it.
Right.
I mean,
And-
I
and
did
then
it
I'll
not.
proof it down
I did it
for
not too
yourself.
long ago with whatever we did. What was it? 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I literally took Liquid Death, splashed
you-
Liquid Death,
You can
changed the
proof
whole
it to where
profile
you
of it.
want
Yeah.
And sometimes, even with a little bit of water, it helps it open up
Right.
and,
Right.
and makes it maybe a more enjoyable product. I'm ignorant when it comes to that. I'm too lazy. I just go to my
I think
shelf.
we are too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we pour
And
it,
then-
we drink it, and we're done.
Yes, right. But so this is a different one. This is, God, I love this bottle.
I love that bottle too, just by doing the proof in my
I
head.
know it.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
So it's this is a straight corn whiskey. This was
100%.
this was aged in an ex tequila barrel for 69 months.
Okay.
Okay.
That's weird. I don't know
Yeah,
about that.
weird. And
Sagamore Spirit has a tequila
they
finish.
do
they
have
do.
a tequila finish, and I like that one too.
Do you?
Yeah,
I haven't had that one yet.
They've I like what Sagamore Spirits is doing.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
I'll
I'm not
admit to you,
gonna
I
lie.
like
The,
what
the
Sagamore.
mystery one that you did
the
with
mystery-
me,
I
I
did a
liked
mystery.
it.
So I
Yeah.
bought
They did a
Creator cask.
Calvados or
Calvados
Calvados,
finish.
yeah.
They have a Calvados. They have a bunch of different ones though. They have Calvados rum,
yeah.
tequila. They've got a shit ton of
My
finishes.
favorite one though from them has been that tequila.
I've
finish.
got the Sagamore Spirit 7-year. It's called the Creator's Cask.
Okay.
So 5 content creators got together and picked a barrel,
Yeah.
and it got sent to me.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah,
it got
nice.
sent to me.
Yeah.
Shout out to that one dude riding, by the way.
It was beautiful. And actually,
Mikey.
most recently,
That's Brandon there.
hey Brandon, there he is.
Fantastic. Look at him.
Yeah.
We love it.
But it actually just recently won. Uprocks did a blind taste of 5 brand new ryes.
Okay.
I think it was 5 or 8, but it got #1 in a blind taste from Uprocks.
Okay.
So
yeah,
that
that's
was
really
pretty
cool. Yeah.
And I'll have to bring in a little sample next time we do kind of a barrel release something.
Yeah, and y'all
at the
probably-
store. I'll bring you a little sample of it and let you try it and see what you
Yeah,
think.
I'd love to try it again. We just came out with a 7-year store pick from Sagamore.
Really?
Yeah, that's.
I know they're really, really close to releasing their distillate.
Yeah.
Because anybody that knows Sagamore and you follow the story and what they're doing, as of right now, it's a lot of it's MGP. They're
Same as
doing the
High West.
95.5.
Yeah,
And
right, yeah.
High West is doing it.
Pinhook.
Pinhook, Penelope. They're doing the MGP thing. but
Redwood
they're doing
Empire.
They're doing it
Yeah.
their own way. I'm not knocking it in any way, and I'm excited to see what Sagamore comes out with from their own distillate.
Yeah.
That's exciting for me because everything they're doing is great.
It leads me into this. You say that something interesting. So probably the most interesting pick we did this past year. We talked about barrel and some of the companies
Yeah.
that are blending. I'm really a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of the price point they come in at, but Bardstown
Yes. Yes.
doing a lot of that blending.
I posted about
so-
Bardstown,
Yeah.
oddly enough, because I saw their
I
pop-up
actually-
bar
Yeah.
in Beaumont heading to Baton Rouge.
So I did.
Yeah.
I do a little bit of a segment called BFFs. It's best friends forever, but it's bourbon fun facts
Yeah.
for me. It's BFFs. So one of my BFFs for this week, and I didn't get to the segment. It's fine. But Bardstown is finally releasing their own distillate called the Origin Series.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's going to be a bourbon, which is a high rye bourbon. They're doing a bottled in bond and a rye finished in alternating American oak and cherry wood barrel.
Oh, nice.
So it's a American oak stave, cherry stave, and they alternated it.
Yeah.
And that's how they finished it.
Yeah, that's
so it's
interesting.
the Origin Series, and it's their own distillate. So finally, they're going to be able to release to the world, hey, this is us.
So we went and did this pick, and it was a only time I've ever done it was a Future Barrels pick.
Okay.
So we picked a barrel of their own distillate.
Interesting.
When we
Oh, did you pour?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I
Oh, by the way, John had to cut out, so you're going to have to close everything down.
Oh, that's fine. No big
whenever
deal.
we get
Yeah,
to that
we're good.
point.
No,
I mean,
we're
good. I got
right
it.
now, but
so when we picked it, it was right at about a little over 3 years old, and
that's hot.
we can go back and we can taste samples of it as it matures
Okay.
and pick. It has to be at least 6 years old
Okay.
before we can release it, but then we get to decide like when it gets released.
Hey, buddy.
And so I thought that was an interesting concept. Was what Bardstown's doing with their own distillate. You know?
I'm gonna ask what might be a controversial for you question, and I don't want to get you in trouble, and maybe it's a question you can't answer. Mm-hmm. One of my easily top 3 bourbons that I've had is Pursuit United from the guys that do the Bourbon Pursuit podcast. Mm-hmm. But I've never seen it in y'all's store. Greenlight is their Texas distributor, and I'm pretty sure y'all work with Greenlight as a distributor.
Sure we do.
Is there a reason y'all don't carry it, or can y'all carry it? Is it something I can request?
Yeah, absolutely, we can carry it.
Because I'll come stand in your store on a Saturday with my own bottle
Freddie,
and pour it myself if I need to sell bottles.
Freddie Greenlight's Brett was in Lumberton yesterday, and we had a conversation about some of that stuff, and like I'm familiar with the Pursuit United. This one. So just to give everybody and if Brandon's still tuning in, he knows exactly what you're going through right now.
Brandon, that's a thing.
That's
legit, is what that is.
It's a little bit of a.
Woo!
It's one of those. Right? Yeah.
If you're scared, go to church. I can tell you right now, this is
I can see why they call it hazmat.
This is my wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's unique. It's funky. It's interesting. Hey,
that's really good, by the way.
Do y'all get do y'all sip on tequilas at all, or do y'all get into rum
like
at all?
A few of my a friend of ours, Sonny from the Sonny and Rain podcast, got me turned on to Casamigos a little bit.
Oh yeah, Casamigos.
Justin, I've been to the Tiger Den. He had Terramana, which is
Terramana's the Rocks tequila.
The Rocks tequila. I actually sipped on that for a minute the night I was at his house. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
And I felt like I could do it the same way we do whiskey.
Yeah, for sure.
So this one right here is literally like punching my little uvula that hangs in the back of my throat. It's like
a little dangly thing in the back of your
punching it like a punching bag right now.
Yeah.
No, back on.
Yeah, this one hits you.
Roy said.
So I actually did.
Roy said.
We're about to release. I mean, it's like every other. Like we're about to release this. We're about to release that.
Yeah.
But we literally are about to release our first. Well, not our first, but my first tequila pick.
Okay.
It was done with Código, which is George Strait's tequila.
Oh yes, yeah.
So we're about to turn into some dragons.
Yeah.
We're
gonna red dragon.
Brandon, that ain't no joke.
I can tell you right now, that's red dragon.
I'm pretty sure I could breathe fire. Don't light that lighter in front of me.
Yeah. It's warm.
I'll blow fire.
That's good.
But we did that. I did that pick with Código. It's Añejo, extra barrel strength, which is only 44%, but did not.
So, being as we're talking about this, I got a question.
Sure.
The Abasolo Mexican whiskey that's in your store.
I love it.
Really?
Love it.
I have not. I've looked at it several times.
What's the other one?
So
there's another.
Addictivo?
Yeah, Additiva. I think it's how you pronounce it.
Addictivo,
yeah, no, that is a tequila.
Oh, that's a tequila.
That is a tequila.
Well, they have a whiskey.
Okay, I haven't seen that. I don't have that whiskey in the store.
Addictivo, I think, is the one in the twisted bottle.
Yeah, it's in a twisted bottle.
Abasolo is in the straight bottle.
Square bottle. Yeah.
Abasolo's in the straight.
Addictivo is a whiskey in the curve in the twisted bottle.
Never seen their whiskey. I really didn't even know. So you learned me something tonight.
That's new to me too.
That's what I'm here for.
Right.
That's why people talk to me in the whiskey aisle.
you learn them a few things. But the Abasolo it's weird. If you have like this, like you really don't care for tequila, the nose is very tequila. Mm-hmm. The palate, I get so much chocolate off that whiskey.
Really?
And it is weird.
See, I get too much tequila off of this one.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
The only thing I get
that's my new jam as far as Balcones goes in that.
The only thing I can relate it to is, and it's making my mouth water now. Me and my wife went on a cruise to Cancun.
Okay.
And we did a whiskey or tequila tasting, or I did.
Yeah.
It wasn't much of a part of it. But that's what I get off of that.
Yeah. Which would make sense.
It's the same feeling. I've got that same almost like sour candy, watery feeling.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
In my mouth now.
Yeah.
That's what I get from it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I love it.
Well,
So do we have anything else, or are we going to dive into the Fab Four? Because I know we got a Fab Four and a last call at some point in this juncture.
we do.
Okay.
yeah.
Let's see if there's anything else that needs to be asked.
I'm ready.
All right. So, just real quick, and you don't have to go into a lot of elaboration on it. Let's do this real quick.
Okay.
I brought it up a little bit pre-show, but
Okay.
I'm curious, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are curious. There's a lot of states that are controlled liquor states. Texas is a state that allows privately owned liquor stores.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of liquor stores that are accused of, and it's the number one concern I see, especially whenever people talk to me, is price gouging, because we can set our own price.
Mm-hmm.
And I say we because I don't want to put Longhorn in it. I don't want to put Reds. I don't want to put Specs. I don't want to put whoever.
Mm-hmm.
We can be a privately owned liquor store. There's a lot of concern about price gouging, and I've seen it on TikTok, and I've seen it on Facebook and all these other places, and people that talk to me personally. What are your thoughts on that? And can you kind of elaborate on how y'all are so close to SRP?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've never seen something that I've been like, I'm not touching that bottle at y'all's location, but I've walked into another unnamed location and they've asked too much for a bottle, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, thank you.
I think where you really see the difference is let's talk about like Blanton's or Eagle Rare or Taylor Small Batch,
Right.
something that is allocated and
Correct.
highly sought after. But in the grand scheme of things, at certain points of the year, it's not all that terribly hard to find.
Right.
You will walk into some Longhorns and during different times of the year, and you'll find those bottles that are available. Last year we came out with a Weller Full Proof. Those bottles, and you know, I track secondary market just as because
much as
it's
the
my
next
job,
person.
you know,
Right.
like, and and so say like a full proof's going for $300 on secondary. You know, you're going to walk in a Longhorn and you're going to find that bottle for $50 on a pick release. You know, when we drop them like we did last year with that. It's kind of a catch-22. And we did discuss this a bit.
Yeah.
I'm not. I
don't want to name names. I'm not talking. I'm
No,
not
yeah,
dissing
yeah.
any liquor stores. The same way I'll never diss a dealership in my line of business.
Right.
As a consumer,
I don't
we
expect
all
that.
want to find what we want to find at the cheapest price possible.
Correct.
And there's no doubt about that. And I'm no different than y'all in that regard. I also understand that a lot of what we consume in, you know, a week or a month or a day, a lot of those prices are based off supply and demand.
Correct.
And we've seen that even here more recently in the last couple of years, you know, with the price of groceries and the price
Right.
of gas and
My wife mentions it every time she goes to the grocery store.
Yeah.
I spent $3 more on this, or 25 cents more on ramen for our daughter.
Yeah.
I hear it. I know.
yeah, right. So it's and I think people so blindly pay those because those are things that are necessities that they don't question
Right.
the price of it, but it's all based off of, you know, I used to be in the catering business, still love to barbecue. I used to pay $2 a pound for a brisket. Now they went up at one point, they were over $4
Yeah.
a pound.
Right.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah, right. So what drove that price up? And although
I've had 2 different whiskeys in this glass, I still get the honey out.
honey, yeah, it's funny how it does that. So I don't know that there's a perfect answer to this question.
Right.
I see why everybody does what they do. We do try to keep as much at obviously everything we sell is at retail, so that's neither here nor there.
Right.
Now we do have our own way of putting some of those more allocated things out there and putting them in. We make baskets and
That was going to be a follow-up question.
Yeah,
And
and-
you're not afraid to touch on it. I like that. You're not afraid to say that.
Yeah,
We put
well-
it in a basket. Because every time I walk into the Dallin location, I'm going to be honest with you. I look at those baskets.
Sure.
And there was one that really caught my eye. It had a Weller 12, an E.H. Taylor small batch, and I don't remember what the third bottle was. But it was kind of the reason I don't remember is because it wasn't really one I was interested in.
Sure.
But the asking price on that basket, and I know y'all don't really post them on Facebook, you just post the basket. But the asking price on that basket was $253.99, give or take. Mm-hmm. And in my head, I thought, do I really want to spend $250? And then I started thinking, well, wait a minute. The Weller 12 is like a $50 SRP. The E.H. Taylor is like a $40 SRP. And then you add in that other bottle that y'all had in there, and then it had some little what I call handshakes, which are basically the small little bottles.
Right.
So you start
mils,
start adding this stuff up, and you're like, okay, well, $250 is not a bad price for that.
Yeah. And
plus, I get something that I haven't tried before in that bottle that I honestly can't recall right now, but I would have popped it open and been like, maybe I like this.
Right, and I think more some of the blowback that I hear is when you get into some of the even more allocated, we're talking BTAC or Pappy.
Right, because I've seen those too.
Right, and there may be a bottle of tequila or scotch.
There's a larger basket that they have right now, and it's got a bunch of that in it, and it's like, I don't know. I think it was like $5,200 or whatever it was.
Sure.
But it's all of those bottles, and you're like, that's really, because you're getting it as a group and you're getting so much more.
Yeah, right. And so I think we've done a really good job of trying to put some product in those baskets that me as a consumer, I would be interested in trying something that I didn't already have.
Because there was one, it's like, and people going out, and if you're going to buy it, you're going to do what I do, and you're going to look at the pricing, and you're going to look at what's in the basket. And I'm just going to say it. There was one that was like $5.99, and it had a Whistle Pig 18 in it, plus like E.H. Taylor and Weller Foolproof for 12 or whatever it was. And it was like, $500-$600. But even then, you're like, if you look at that Whistle Pig retail, you're going to spend $500 on it by itself most places.
Yes, and that's the thing. And so I know some people can't afford that. I completely understand that. I don't spend that kind of money on whiskey, but at the same time, I think part of the issue is people aren't used to being able to walk in and see these bottles. Like
it freaks you out a little bit.
They know they exist, but if you go to some of the other liquor stores, it's like, oh, we don't have it, or it's already, some of the prices can be very
outrageous.
Astronomical.
Yeah,
but here you're looking at in this and it's like, well, if they just didn't sell me all this other stuff, like that bottle could be mine. But you're not walking to any liquor store.
But even if you ask, because I playfully and jokingly asked, well, can I just have the Weller 12 out of there? Because that's all I really wanted. And I'll even pay you like double retail for it. And like, well, no, that's not how it works. You buy the basket.
Yeah.
But they understand that, and the people they have hired know how to handle that.
Yes, and I think look, any decisions you make in business or when you're trying to make a decision that is going to affect many different people, you're not going to make everybody happy.
No, never.
No,
we have a client base that is very thankful. For the fact that we put these baskets together. It gives them the opportunity to get some bottles that maybe they never otherwise would have been able to have. And you're always going to have some naysayers on the other end. And
you're always, no matter what you do.
And look, I understand that, and it doesn't bother me.
Y'all could put those bottles on the back shelf and put it up there for triple, quadruple of what retail is. And people would still have the same complaint that they have now with it being in a basket.
Well, and some of these people, I mean, I'll be honest with you, you're never going to make them happy.
No.
They're going to have...
And it was funny, Justin, I was talking to him about, because he had bought a couple baskets from y'all, and he said, I had the opportunity, they had a basket up at the counter, and it had like this, and it had something, and then it had a bottle of Pappy 15 or whichever one it was, or 20. I think he said it was like Pappy 20, and I was like, well, how much was the basket? And he was like $2,000 or something. And I was like, you do realize that's a badass price, because you could even if you never ever wanted that Pappy, if for some reason you wanted to put it on the secondary market, and I don't support the secondary market,
sure,
but you could put that bottle on the secondary market and make twice of what you just bought that whole basket for.
Yeah.
As you enjoyed the other things that you wanted out of that basket.
Right. And people are free to do whatever they want once they buy it. So however they can justify it, but to think that at this time with the amount of growth that we've had in whiskey, that somebody's going to walk in and you're just going to find a Pappy 23
You're
sitting
not.
on the shelf. And
Nowhere.
people say, everybody thinks like, oh, that's a $5,000 bottle. That's a $350 bottle.
Right.
That you'll never attain for less than $5,000.
Right.
And it's just what it is. It's the nature of the game. Now, is there a bubble that busts at some point where
Maybe, but
because
who's going to predict that?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that heavily collect and they're using it
And
as
that's
an
the
investment.
difference. And that's the difference, though. I buy every one of my bottles. I have the intention of opening.
Yeah. I guess I get like these people that buy some of these bottles as an investment. No problem. You do whatever you want.
Well,
But
yeah.
then a store owner has it in the way that they want to use it to maximize, now they have a
Everybody.
problem with it.
Right. That's going to make their quarter.
Right. So like they get mad, like, why are you making the money and I can't make the money? Well, like, go open a liquor store.
Yeah.
Like, I don't,
Agreed.
there's a lot of
But-
blood, sweat, and tears that go in, and I know what MSRP is on these bottles, and I know what people want to pay for them, but
it doesn't matter because SRP is SRP, but what you'll pay for the bottle is what you're going to pay
That's
for
right.
it. I walked into a liquor store at one point, and I'm not going to name the liquor store, but they had a bottle of Willard 12 on the shelf, and I asked them how much it was. $179.99. That's that's $100 more than what I would pay for that bottle.
Mm-hmm.
I walked into the Dallin store of Longhorn Liquor, and you had like I said, you just had the basket, and it had a couple different things in it that I actually would probably not mind having for $250. So why would I not spend $250 on a bottle that guy's asking $180 for?
yeah, and you get two other things.
Right, exactly. That I'm going to enjoy probably because I trust
Yeah.
what y'all are doing.
Right, and also like, man, I don't understand why people get so fixated on these bottles. Like, if you're a whiskey fan, like there's a lot of good stuff out there.
Oh, for sure.
And I see so many people that come in and they're just so fixated, like, I only
where's
drink
your Blanton's?
Blanton's. I only drink Eagle Rare.
You knew where I was going.
And I'm like, well, where are you getting this
Okay.
from? Like, where are you being able to acquire?
Yeah.
Oh, like you say you drink only nothing but Blanton's. Well, how often are you drinking?
And what?
Because,
But another
you know-
question I like to ask whenever I run into those people is, what is it about Blanton's that you enjoy?
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
I might be able to point you in the direction of a bottle that may be less than or maybe even a little more expensive that you're going to enjoy as much as, if not more than, a bottle of Blanton's.
But they're not interested in that because it doesn't have a horse on the top.
If you put a horse on your bottle, you're going to sell it.
Yeah. I mean, what was the, I've actually hadn't seen this bottle in about a year, but Caribou Crossing?
Caribou Crossing is the Canadian version of Blanton's.
Right.
It's Blanton's in a Canadian bottle.
Yeah. And so I
Let me
think
guess,
that
it has a caribou moose on the top of it?
It does.
Okay.
It's exactly what it is.
Okay.
he nailed it.
Never
Yeah.
heard of it. You
Yeah.
got it exactly right.
And
But
it's-
that's all it is.
Yeah. And it drove it to allocation. I mean,
You put I'm telling you, you put a horse on your bottle and you're gonna sell.
and
I feel like we should make a bottle and put a donkey on it and see if it sells.
I'm fine with that.
there you go. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, Blanton's also did. I mean, Buffalo Trace did a lot of clever, insertion in some movies and stuff like that.
A very popular TV show.
Right. Yeah. that helped give it some publicity. So.
I don't guess I've ever seen that TV show.
Yeller.
Oh.
Let me throw a stone.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
But yeah, it's part of the game. It's changed even since I've gotten into it, and I entered this as a consumer. You guys have entered it as a consumer, but y'all have seen it change. Is there any right answer?
No. Never.
You're
There's
never
not
going to
all-
make everybody happy, but we do our best to, get those out there and give people an opportunity to get some of those.
Can
And
you grab the Western Sun real quick? So just kind of, Roy mentioned it earlier. We do a Fab Four every show.
okay, yeah,
And we've talked a little bit about it. You do a lot of distillery single barrel picks where you get to go to the distillery. So you're going to have a little bit different experience, I guess. I don't know how that happened. I'm not really sure. Netflix came up on the TV.
Netflix came up on the monitor.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on.
But
Who's making popcorn?
right, let's pop the popcorn. They know
Netflix.
it's time. So you might have a little bit different experience. So sometimes we pick a Fab Four and we make it very vague for a reason. So this week our Fab Four is distilleries.
Okay.
So in my making of this list, I did it as distilleries I love their expressions from.
Okay.
You may choose it by the experiences you've had at the distillery.
Sure.
Roy may pick it just because he likes the way the label looks. I don't know. We make it vague for a reason. Everybody can interpret it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So this week's Fab Four, just to kind of give you a little bit of a heads up as we go into this, is distilleries.
Okay.
So
I like that.
I'd like to dive into.
Love
we're
the
gonna go
premise.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, I know I have 2 honorable mentions on mine.
Okay, well
so
go
don't
ahead.
know if
I didn't do any honorable mentions on mine.
So my first honorable mention is Brown Foreman, just because I like the fact that they do Old Forester, they do Woodford Reserve.
Okay.
Those are 2 whiskeys that I like to enjoy myself. My second honorable mention is Wild Turkey, just because we've talked about it before. It goes back to my childhood where I started with 101, all that good stuff. Yes, I was drinking illegally, but hey, it happens.
You and me both, brother.
Life's a bitch and then you die. I mean,
Yeah.
let's be honest. So that's my honorable mention. So I guess we can dive into number 4.
Yeah,
So-
like y'all had time to prepare. I'm on the spot. I'm
Well, I
trying to-
mean, you've also probably been to
But
way
you've
more.
been to
Oh,
way
yeah,
more
yeah.
than we
Exactly.
have.
yeah, I think I've got my top 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, your number 4 is.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with to play upon what Bucky talked about with the experience, Maker's Mark.
Okay.
I went into that experience, Maker's is fine, nothing, and they just blew me away. Not only the way they treated us and took care of us, but the experience of the room they put us when we overlooking this body of water and like in this beautiful room and music playing and they've got everything like it's just like you really feel it's very surreal
Gotcha.
experience and then I actually got to taste the we picked 2 barrels at that pick, one for Longhorn liquor and the one to be released at Whiskey Fest.
Oh, okay.
And
Awesome.
excited about both of those,
Yeah.
and I got to try the one for Longhorn earlier, right before I came over here, and was very pleased with the way it turned out.
Heck
And so
yeah.
just having that experience and everything, I would put Makers there at number 4.
You're number 4?
Chattanooga whiskey.
Okay.
Personally, just because I've actually been there.
Right.
And the experience I had was awesome. They let me try all their experimental batches that they had at that time. The people there were just awesome,
Yeah, absolutely.
and they make
Love
good
it.
whiskey.
John,
Yeah,
John,
absolutely.
do you have a top? Okay, so you're good. Okay. So my number 4, oddly enough, and it confirmed it with what we tried tonight, 4 Roses. Just because I like the fact that they're doing a lot of different things, a lot of different mash bills.
Yeah.
The science behind what they're doing to me is top notch. That's why they're my number 4. I've never been there in my life.
Yeah.
Would love to go there at some point. It may happen, may not. But at the same time, I like what they're doing basically from their single batch or small batch rather to what we tried tonight with what you brought. So
Yeah.
to me, that's
They're
a good-
doing some.
They're doing some interesting
And
stuff because there's so many different
I've
mash
personally
bills.
heard that their campus is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, Four
beautiful.
Roses is, and that pick was a very surreal experience. Again,
Yeah.
10 barrels.
Oh yeah.
Right.
It's
But I've
very
heard the
lengthy
campus
process.
itself is just it's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Let's
Yeah.
go to number 3.
Man, you. Oh
I know we're
boy.
putting you on the spot.
Yeah, getting into some nut cutting time here. I'm
cut
gonna
away.
go with Garrison Brothers.
Okay.
They were the first that I fell in love with. You got a lot of different offerings. I mean, they make just bourbon, but you've got some different finishes from the Guadalupe with the port finish, the honeydew, with that's been honey infused, which he made that offering for his wife because his wife was looking for something that was lower proof. Garrison Brothers.
I'm not a girl, but I love it.
Yeah, we just last week did a single barrel cask strength pick
Okay.
from
I know
Garrison.
you were telling us that you just got the sample
Yeah,
box in.
I still had.
I'm curious how that went.
Yeah, it went nice. I'm excited about it.
I'm excited
and so,
about it.
Yeah, so.
That's when I need you to let me know when it's coming out.
And as far as an experience at the distillery, if you like peace and calmness,
And that one holds a little bit of sentimental value for you.
yeah,
You
absolutely.
said it
Being
was-
the first
it was your
one
first,
that
so
that kind of started
it
this
was his
journey.
first.
Yeah, my first.
You ever
Yeah.
tell you the funny thing about it? He and I have the same number 3.
Actually, we all three had the same number 3.
Oh wow! So it's all
Garrison
Garrison
Brothers.
Brothers.
Look, none of this was planned, guys.
No, it was not.
None of it was
Garrison
planned.
Brothers, just from day one that I heard about what they're doing to the very first one that I tried with the Balmorea, fell in love with it. It's probably still my number 1. To getting honeydew for my birthday, and then trying the small batch, which is just their basic offering.
Yeah.
I feel like right now they can do no wrong.
No, I agree with you, and
I want to get there.
Right.
And that's the other thing. They're so close. I'm like, I can go there tomorrow. I need the opportunity.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, like I said, my number 3 as well is Garrison Brothers, just because of the fact that I like, from what I've heard, and Mike kind of confirmed it tonight, the campus itself is next
So
level
different.
relaxing and so surreal. Like Ryan even talked about, you can drive up and not even go into the distillery part and just get whatever
Yeah.
you need right there at the front.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to walk into the distillery,
Yeah.
which is, it's good to me that they have multiple angles, I guess, that they're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big one for me.
All right, here we go. Number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Andalusia whiskey out of Blanco, Texas.
Really?
Just they're new kids on the block. They're
Yes, they
very
are.
small company. They've got probably 6 to 8 employees at this
Oh,
point.
wow.
They're laying down.
That's it?
They're in the middle of constructing to be able to double their production. Right now, they're laying down about 2 barrels a week.
That's it?
That's it.
I know their striker
Holy
for
cow.
me is
Yeah.
one that I need to try for
I think
sure.
that's the one you let me try whenever I had
Yeah,
come
so
in there.
I really like their core
I'm pretty
offerings.
sure. I think it was the Striker. It may have been something different.
Yeah,
but
so they do the triple distilled, which is kind of more like their ode to the Irish whiskey.
Gotcha.
And then the Striker and the Revenant Oak. The Revenant Oak's peated. Striker is smoked with Texas hardwoods.
It had to have been
that's
the Striker then.
That's the one that I was.
Because if it would have been the
interested in was
peated, I'd have
Striker.
immediately remembered. 'Cause
Here's what I like though, with even on their peated. In Scotland, they peat. They smoke 100% of the grain.
100, yeah.
Andalusia smoking 10% of the grain.
Nice.
And so it's a lot more subtle smokiness on there. So it still balances out
But
where
it
you.
gives it that smoky-
Yeah, you don't get that. Sometimes I get that burnt Band-Aid.
Yeah, and that's
type
what I-
taste. Yeah, no, I don't. I'm not a big fan of it either. I know people out there love that, and they come in the store all the time, and they just have an affinity for peat. I'm not there yet. Maybe that's still a progression that's to come. I don't know where this road's
Right.
going to go.
Who knows?
Right.
But I do know that I appreciate peat more now than I did at the beginning. But I still steer clear of some of
Yeah.
those massively heavily peated
Okay.
ones.
Nice.
But and they're starting to put out a lot. I just got a bottle from a store out of the Houston area, which is a maple barrel finished.
Okay.
Very nice.
Striker.
Okay.
And then one out of a San Antonio area that was a Madeira finished.
Ooh, okay.
And so they're really the one that we picked from them that should be hitting pretty soon had a more of a bourbon finish. So
Okay.
I kind of picked. Getting back to what we were talking earlier, I kind of picked that specific batch to
Yeah.
hopefully be a bottle that maybe could
Somebody-
be the
a lot
conduit
of-
between a
A
bourbon.
lot of people gravitate towards.
Right.
you.
Yeah, like
And
this is a
introduce
single
you
malt,
to-
but it's got that bourbon
Right.
finish. Like
Something to introduce you.
That's right. Ease them in.
And I've talked about it. I think I talked about it with you previously. Whenever somebody says they're not a huge rye fan, the Sagamore Spirit Double Oak is something I always
Mm-hmm.
bring up. If you're not a huge rye fan and you want to try to get into it, Sagamore Spirit Double Oak is a great one to introduce you to the rye.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it's got a lot of the bourbon influence, but
I would agree with
it's
that.
still a rye.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 2, Buffalo Trace.
Okay.
Okay.
Just because
Yeah.
of the amount of offerings they have.
Yeah, sure.
You think about Buffalo Trace, you
Are
think
we
about...
on? I feel you skipped.
I'm
one.
sorry, number 2.
You're on number 3.
No, I'm on number 2.
Yeah, number 3, we all had Garrison.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Number
yeah,
2,
you're on number 2.
Number 2 is Buffalo Trace. There's just too many offerings, and they're all too good. You go from the Weller to the Buffalo Trace to the BTAC collection, which I've only had like one of, and it was just like a sip. And then you can go to the vodka side with the Wheatley vodka. There's and the Sazerac rye. I mean, the offerings across the table are just too good and too many to ignore what Buffalo Trace is doing.
Yeah.
Didn't even
Absolutely.
make my list.
Which is fine. It's not going to make everybody's list.
Right.
And you notice I didn't put it at number 2 because of Blanton's, because of Eagle Rare,
Right.
because of this, that.
You did it because of the other offerings, and I get it.
I truly, and I will say it every day of the week, Buffalo Trace is my everyday pour.
Okay.
Because I enjoy what it is. And y'all single barrel pick, I know y'all didn't have a lot to do with it this year, and it was just kind of, and we didn't even get into that.
Yeah.
But it was kind of one of those things that just got released. But even the single barrel is just different enough
Yeah,
that it's still great.
I like it. And you backed your case up very well.
Number
Thank you.
2.
Yeah, let's
Number
go.
2.
I'm deferring to you.
No, that was his number 2.
Andalusia was my
Andalusia
number
was
two.
his number 2.
So in that
Yeah.
case, my number 2, Angel's Envy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love
You
what
can't
they've
go wrong
done.
with
Yeah,
Angel's
you
Envy.
can't go wrong with it. Like I said, I
I'm
feel kind of been in the OG quote unquote thing of Angel's
But-
Envy, because I remember when they had the actual cork issues.
Yeah.
To start with, where they were having a little bit of molding on the cork and stuff like that, which they've fixed since then. But
I would really love to get my hands on the cast strength Angel's Envy, just to see what that next level of it is, because we talk so much about it. We've sat and drank it together on multiple
Yes.
occasions. That cast strength is kind of that next step, and
Yeah.
I'd love to get my hands on some, just so we can kind of see what's it next level with it.
right.
And like I said the other day, whenever I was at the Downland location, I stared at the display that they have, and it's the Space City. that you
Yeah,
were talking
Space
about.
City, yeah.
And I was like, I really need to buy this because I want me and Roy to try it.
Right.
But I didn't get a bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have a lot of different offerings, and like I said, the rye in the rum barrel is Christmas winter to a T.
Yes.
Well, and they have 2 core offerings. They have the bourbon and port, and they've got the rye and the rum.
Yep.
And they've kept it, and I feel like they've excelled at both of
They
those.
have.
I like
really
the fact
well.
that literally they fall by an
Is-
acronym that I fall by, which is KISS, is keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah,
They
That's
do.
what
Right.
they've done
But
with it.
and correct me if I'm wrong, Angel's Envy, it's not MGP, but it's sourced, correct?
From what I understand, I think they kind of fall into what we were talking about earlier, where they are, distilling. Like you go to their distillery and they've got the equipment. They're
Yeah.
making stuff there. At this point, if they're using some source to blend with some of their own concoction
Right.
to
which is
make
no-
it stretch right.
I'm-
Yeah,
it's not a negative thing.
How many people can open up a distillery and then just sit there for 4 or 5 years
Right,
while
and
whiskey
wait.
matures?
Yeah,
And we've
Right.
talked about it before. We went to Front Porch Distillery in Nacogdoches.
Yeah.
They have their 19 Oaks whiskey. It is a Kentucky whiskey that they get from Bardstown,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kentucky.
that's all they disclosed.
undisclosed.
Yeah.
We
Right.
know where it's at, Bardstown.
Yeah.
BBC. And then they blend it with their own distillate.
Uh-huh.
And they do that because they're not gonna. They're a small. They can't produce 200 barrels a day like some of these
Yeah.
big companies do.
Do they say it's coming from Bardstown, or I mean, do
They
you
say
know it's coming?
it's a Kentucky blend.
Yes.
Okay. Because
I know it's Bardstown because she told us it's coming
Well,
out of
yeah,
Bardstown,
she-
and there's
she
only one that is
disclosed that,
sourcing
and-
out of Bardstown.
And by she,
Barton.
we're referring to Taylor Alvarez.
You're right.
Yeah, Barton
It
Distilling.
could be Barton.
Yeah, they're sourcing. In fact,
Well,
I didn't.
and
So,
that's what's funny is she said the heads are sanded off.
Yeah.
She doesn't know where. It is.
right. So I really brought this tonight
Oh,
as just as an anomaly. Like everybody knows Trader Joe's and they're just cheap and
Right.
Oh, wow.
So this is a Trader Joe's Kentucky bourbon
Oh boy.
that
Interesting. Trader Joe's
Yeah.
Kentucky bourbon.
it says distilled by Bourbon Square Distilling Company, Louisville,
that?
Kentucky. But I think
Bourbon
this is
Square?
generally
I feel like Ryan's been to Bourbon
Oh,
Square.
Bourbon Square is part of Bourbon 30, I think.
Yeah, I think it is. I think you're right on that one.
I think it's part of Bourbon 30.
I think you're at 100% right.
So what's Bourbon 30? I'm not familiar.
Bourbon
So
30,
Bourbon-
a
and
friend
they-
of ours
They
went
actually
to.
have their own though.
Yeah, they went to he went to Bourbon 30 and literally went through like, what did he tell us, like 15 barrels? And then he picked his top 3 and then they blended all
I'm
3 of
21.
them and made his own blend.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I think you pay like $150 for the entire experience.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I think if I remember correctly, that's what I remember.
Okay.
So we're down to number 1.
So this is their just plain Jane offering. It's literally Bourbon 30.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
that's
I've
just-
never.
That's their actual just regular plain Jane offering. But what they do is they allow you to, like he said, blend your own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you literally go
It's like
through
an-
as many
it's a- it's an
barrels as you can
experience
taste.
place.
That's cool.
Is
Yeah.
more or
And
less what it
then
is.
you pick your top 3 barrels out of what you taste, whether it's you go through 10
Yeah.
barrels, 20 barrels, 50 barrels, whatever. You pick your top 3, they blend those 3, and
Nice.
they send it home.
So I feel like with where this is going, we're all going to agree on our number 1.
Wow. All 3 of us.
Really?
And I feel like we should all
I
say it
know
at
where
one
my
time.
number 1 is.
If it starts with a B,
Yes.
we're all going to say it at
Yes.
the same time. It's going to be Balcones.
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 Yeah.
Yes, by far.
So, let me start off with Balcones. I fell in love.
And I feel like you have a more personal experience.
He
Well,
does.
Going through the Kentucky bourbon, and then when I first had Balcones, I instantly knew this is different. Just like I gravitated towards the edge of what was acceptable in, say, like craft beer.
Yeah.
I did the same with, like, I just knew Balcones was putting out something different. They were doing something unique. And as you get further and further down to it, and you see they make bourbon, they make rye,
Yep.
they make corn
Single
whiskey,
malt.
Yep.
they make single malt, they make a weeded
Like I
bourbon.
said, to me, my if I had to pick an everyday
It's
drinker,
so
which
amazing
to me I
what they
don't
do.
really do the everyday drinker
Right.
thing, but to me it's the lineage. I love what they're doing
Yeah.
with
But-
the lineage,
And
and I love the fact that it's
what
readily available.
sold me on it, so obviously the lineage, like he's talking about, it won the March Sip and Smoke
It did.
bracket.
It went.
but then
it
I went
up
a- I went a
against my
step further.
beloved Alec Bradley Magic Toast and beat
Yeah.
beat the Magic Toast.
Yeah.
From
it
my
beat the-
side
it
of
beat
it.
the
Yeah.
cigar on that side of it. But what sold me is during September I did 30 days of 30 whiskey because it's National Bourbon Heritage Month.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did, and I had multiple samples.
I need
of
somebody to
everything
clarify
they did.
that comment because I don't understand that one.
Jay Mattingly's bourbon.
Oh,
Jay Mattingly
Brandon would know.
Okay.
Yeah. Jay Mattingly, y'all familiar
Yeah.
with Jay Mattingly?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
okay.
am.
All right.
I had a hard time seeing it. I'm old.
Yeah.
I had multiple expressions of them during September, and it started with the baby blue with, I think, the 100% corn.
Well, if you remember
Yeah,
correctly,
that's straight corn.
when
Yeah.
you and I went to Texas Tail and then we went out to dinner that night, that's where we had the baby blue for the first time.
Yeah. So the baby blue with the 100% corn, it was so sweet and so different.
So different.
And then I had the pot still, which was just it just tasted so good. And then you add the lineage into that, and the rumble.
Oh, Rumble.
That
The
Rumble's
rumble
good.
is so weird.
Not a whiskey. It's not
at
a
all.
like it's its
not a
own
liqueur,
category.
It's not
Like
a,
to me,
yeah.
I don't know what to call it.
I know the next one on
It's
It's
like
a
a- what
hybrid
is it?
between like a rum and a
Fig? Is it
brandy.
Right.
What is it?
Yeah, so they used
Honey
those.
fig.
So they kind of
Well,
took this aspect of rum and used brown turbinado sugar,
Gotcha.
and honey, and
That's
then
what it is.
and then kind of used this brandy aspect of
Yeah.
it, and which is obviously like distilled fruit, and so
Yes.
they used the mission figs,
Yeah, there
Yeah,
you go.
the
That's
mission
what
and
it
then
is.
they made this.
I knew I was
spirit
on
and-
it somewhere.
I know
Yeah.
to me, the next one that I want to try in Balcones' line is the
The
Brimstone.
brimstone, I'm
Yes.
interested in
So
because that's
y'all
the
took the
scrub.
words out of my mouth, and I wish I would have brought that one tonight because
I look at it every time I
Yeah,
go, and
the
I'm like,
Brimstone
I
is
gotta
like-
get it. I gotta get it.
it's one of my 5 favorite.
So
Okay.
from what
Wow.
I've heard, it's like a campfire in your mouth.
So I've used the term candied campfire.
Candied
Okay.
campfire. Haven't heard that one yet.
Yeah, candied campfire. It's very sweet. It's very candy-like, but that
Okay.
smoke is present, but it's not overpowering like a Ardbeg or something
Right.
like, you know,
Gotcha.
an offensive Scotch. So,
Got you.
yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, when you think Balcones, what is it that draws you into it?
Just, I guess, you know, part of it is being behind the scenes and seeing the level of our, you know, artistic expression that goes into their to their product. Walking into a room that's not much bigger than this, with the table just a little bit more a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
but square, and just
Yeah.
like literally hundreds, if not 1,000, of these sample bottles with Post-it notes on top with what their
Yeah.
flavor profiles they
Right.
picked up out of it. And then taking those and comparing them with everything else and just starting to blend to try to come up with, it's,
They're literally in Waco. They're putting art in a bottle. That's
Yes.
what they're doing.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we've got some homework,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
we've talked about it a lot.
Yes.
And I mean, obviously, starting with some Balcones on the table, but getting out to Garrison Brothers, getting out to
Yes.
Balcones. I mean, these are things that we know we need to do.
Right.
Yeah.
As a Texas whiskey podcast type thing.
Right.
I know we do all over the place, but we pride ourselves on being from Texas. We pride ourselves on
Oh, yeah.
enjoying the shit out of Texas whiskeys. We know we need to get out to these places.
We found a new one that we actually
Yeah, I
liked
mean,
that we didn't think we
it's
were going to
actually
like.
not that bad.
right. And,
Um,
you know, we got a great relationship with, you know, Whitmires and William Price.
And I mean,
Okay.
that's that.
Yeah.
And I would never overstep my boundaries, but I think that would be a really awesome part of a relationship that I feel like we're building with you and Longhorn Liquor. Is if we were to head out to somewhere like Balcones, I feel like you would be somebody I would reach out to and be like, hey, we're about to go out to Balcones. What do we need to do? Who do we need to ask for?
Or not only
what's
that,
the-
hey,
you know,
if
give us some inside information.
If we wanted
Yeah.
to quote unquote call Mike and be like, hey, we're heading to Fierce Whiskers in Austin. Do you want to tag along?
Yeah, because if you said you were going to Balcones for sure,
You'd probably
and
end
I
up
would be
being-
like, all right,
Put me in your
y'all
suitcase.
picking me
Yeah.
up?
Right.
Put me in your suitcase. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I would literally go to any distillery across Texas with you guys, and just to be able to share that experience with, I've had that experience with other friends and people that I care deeply about to have that experience with, but to have that with new people that I've met that have also shared that same passion.
for
Like
sure.
to me,
Sure.
that's what it's all about is those experiences.
Fantastic.
I just let's. God, it's almost 11 o'clock.
I know, right? This is
We've
the
been
longest
going
episode
for
ever. We're
3
close
hours,
to-
45 minutes.
Yes,
Yeah.
you by
You
far
win.
have the longest
You
episode.
win, sir.
All right, well, I rambled on for long enough.
Let's start wrapping this
You want
up.
me to hit my last call?
Well,
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted let's do this real quick.
Okay.
For all the merchandise, we've got Christmas merch.
Yes.
We've still got Thanksgiving merch up. We've
Yes.
still got Halloween merch up. We've got all of our normal merch up.
By the way, I don't know
It's
if any
all
of the
still on
fans
sale.
noticed. Did you check out the background tonight? Are we
you've seen the
foreshadowing a
background,
little bit on the
There
background?
may be a little foreshadowing there. Keep a lookout for it.
Gotcha.
But everything's still on sale for
Yes.
Cyber Week. We're just going to
Yes.
continue it through the year.
We're giving back to the
We're
community.
giving back to
That's
the
what
community.
we're doing.
Check out our merch. It's functionyourway.live.
Yep.
We've got some big things coming up. Obviously, tonight was one of them. We're going to be out at Southeast Texas Whiskey Festival
Yes.
on January 7th.
Bought tickets already.
Bought tickets
Wives
already.
will be in the house.
Wives will be there. They're
Yes.
our DDs. They got to be.
They
'cause
are the DDs,
We're not
yes.
going to be functional
No,
after that.
we're going to be dysfunctional
Come
at that
out,
point.
say hi, find Mike,
Yes.
find the other Mike, find Dennis,
Yes.
find everybody out
Yes.
there. Tell us what your favorite thing is. Is there anything that you want to
Yeah,
say about
I-
Southeast Texas Whiskey Festival?
Yeah, I just want to
Longhorn
let everybody
Liquor?
know. Yeah, January 7th, SETX whiskeyfest.com.
Yep.
You can come into the Lumberton and Beaumont locations and buy actually a physical ticket.
Our good buddy Mitchell will see you on Thursday from
Yeah,
what we saw in the con.
I'll
Tell
text
them,
earlier.
tell them the functional gentleman sent you.
Fantastic, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell them we sent you by far.
Absolutely. Yeah, that will get you a free handshake.
But free handshakes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a one of a kind event to come to this area.
Yes.
It's for a great
For sure.
cause. Couldn't be more happier than the people we're partnered with. And yeah, it's something we. If you're listening to this podcast, you most likely like whiskey.
Correct.
Absolutely.
The reason I'm sitting here and the reason I'm talking to these two gentlemen is because we all like whiskey.
Fantastic.
And so it brings us all together. Let's go do that out in public with 1,000 of our closest friends, and probably make Beaumont regret that they let us
exactly.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you deal with loud noises. You may or may not want to take your headphones off.
Are you doing it live or you pushing a button?
You want me to do it live?
That's
I mean, we got a guest in studio.
That's
I
a
can do it.
producer, man. I mean, it's his call.
If you're
Whatever
ready,
you want.
if you're ready for it,
I mean, I've got one. Do you have pours?
I'm ready.
Okay. Do you have a pour?
You need
No.
a little bit of a pour.
Yeah, I mean, you can
Just a little.
whatever you want to pour. Yeah, just a touch.
Just a smidge.
It's a thing we're gonna introduce you to. We
Yeah.
do a last call every episode.
Oh, he's breaking out.
Woo! You want me to tell you a funny
he's
story
going
about
fancy.
this?
He's going fancy, y'all.
No. I had this at my brother's wedding in St. Thomas. We killed a whole bottle in 30 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Not that one.
No, that exact one.
No, not that one.
Oh, not the Longhorn
Did
pig.
you see
no.
what is
yeah, I
on-
saw
yeah.
that now. But I had a single barrel. I didn't have a Longhorn pig, but I had a single barrel that I bought from a liquor store in St. Thomas for like $45.
I listened to y'all's favorite episode. Whose favorite was Jack Daniels? Was it somebody? Yeah,
that was mine.
Yours.
Yeah.
And so I thought, but this was the first pick that we
Look at
did
that.
with
I
Jack
like it.
Daniels
I
single
like
barrel,
it.
and so I brought it to.
Very nice.
So
Fantastic.
All right, so if everybody's ready, are you ready? Do you
I'm
have
good.
it pulled up?
I got
You
it
ready to
pulled
go?
up, ready to go.
Last call for alcohol.
Give a bottle of bourbon and have a happy friend. Share a bottle of bourbon and have a happy friendship.
Yes,
There you
sir.
go.
Fantastic.
cheers.
Absolutely.
We've been the Functional Gentlemen.
Yes.
You've been awesome. Thank you, everybody, for the
God,
comments.
thank you for almost 4 hours.
Let's wrap this up.
Yep.
Hashtag function your way. Get us out of here, John.
Check the merch.
My time, get what I deserve. Trendsetter, I got style for you. Ain't seen you at the top, it's been a while for you. Big you up and they look down on you. Take one loss, no one's around for you. I won't stop.